I don't see anything wrong with having good perspectives on people having debates, conversations around things that they will disagree with, and you can agree to disagree without killing people.
Yes.
You know? And it should be. And this side's like, no, it's okay to gloat the fact that somebody died.
Right.
And like, where does that moral compass stem from? Or do you have a moral compass at this point in time? Like, is there anything driving your moral compass besides the fact that you want to gratify your flesh here and now?
Yeah.
Because it seems to change. Because now they talk about folding space and time.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, how do you fold an inch? We created an inch to understand an inch.
Right.
How do you do that actively?
Yeah.
You take a ruler, you look at an inch, and you're like, how do you fold it? What would be the in-between of an inch? And you're like, well, obviously, if you do the math, half of an inch would be like 0.5 or something like that. You know? And you're like, well, yeah, but you got to fold an inch. Like with the rule, how do you, like a book, you can fold a book, but how do you fold an inch?
Right.
Like he wanted to turn it into a real missions-based thing, or like a whole operation he wanted to turn it into. And he had so many big aspirations and dreams, but one of the biggest ones he shared with us constantly is like, I want to be able to build an orphanage in a place that I can pull the boat into, like the dock, you know? And bring like Bibles and food and supplies when the world just goes kaput. You know, and that was his whole idea. It was like, I want to have an orphanage where there's a bunch of kids, where we save them from whatever they're going through, and we teach them, and we have like a whole school running and like this whole facility pretty much, you know?
Hello again, and thanks again for listening to another episode of the only podcast that cares more about you than your mom does. That's right, it's the Why Can't We Talk About That podcast. Before getting to today's discussion, I would first like to remind you to leave a review from wherever you are listening from, and also to please share the show with everyone that you know. Send me an email at whycan'twettalkaboutthat@proton.me and tell me hello, or let me know of any potential guests that you have in mind. Thanks. My guest this week is Stiers, who currently works at a private aviation company on the Central Coast and gets to see multiple millions of dollars of jets a day. In his free time, Asher enjoys surfing, hiking, archery, hanging out with family, and especially spending time with his girlfriend Ella. More important than any of that, he loves to pursue a relationship with his Creator and Savior, Jesus Christ. He also has an exciting real-life sea story that might even impress Jack Sparrow. Enjoy the conversation. I kind of feel like nobody likes coffee.
Really?
I have a theory. I think people want to like coffee. So it's like people use the term like acquired taste, right? You've heard that term. Oh, it's an acquired taste. All that really means is that you don't like it, so you keep drinking it until you do.
Yeah.
Right? That's what acquired taste is, you know? So it's, I don't know. Like to me, and people say, well, Ryan, that's everything. No, it's not. Nobody ever ate a cupcake and said, you know what, that's not very good. I'm going to keep eating them to see if I like them, right? You like instantly know, like, okay, that is fantastic. That's something really good right there.
But then,
you know,
are you just like totally just canceling out Starbucks then altogether, or would you not consider that coffee?
Well, see again, my wife likes Starbucks. My wife, as you can see, she's a huge coffee person. She's got coffee mugs all over the place. She loves coffee. She's like a connoisseur, I guess you could say. Like she's all about it. She knows the good ones from the bad ones. But I go to Starbucks, the only thing I get there is a peppermint hot chocolate. That's it. That's the only drink I ever get. My daughter knows it. When she'll send me there after work, hey, Dad, can you go pick up some Starbucks? I'll be like, yeah, and then she'll order me a venti peppermint hot chocolate, extra hot, which still isn't hot enough because apparently they can't make it too hot because then you'll sue them if you burn your mouth, which is another stupid thing. But anyway. So yeah,
I guess everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Exactly, right? Exactly. See, and I'm all for that, and and I like talking about that stuff, and that's why we're here. So I know we don't know each other at all, which is going to make this kind of fun.
Cool.
I mean,
I've known of you for years because you went to youth group, I believe, with my older children, or at least with Aiden, I think, right? Because how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Oh, okay, so you're a couple years younger than Aiden. He's 23.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't think my older daughter's 26. I don't think you ever met. Yeah, because
drummer Aiden.
Yes.
Is he drums?
Yeah, he's a drummer. Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Musician for sure. But I know that you guys have been to the same parties, like at the Yamamoto's and that kind of thing. So that's what I remember you from. I remember you
cool.
as the funny kid that used to say funny little one-liners as we were walking through the room, or whatever. Oh man, that Asher guy's really funny. I used to tell Jaden, I said, man, that guy's funny. She goes, yeah, I know. Okay.
Because I looked you up on Spotify, and my girlfriend Ella. Do you know Ella? Yeah.
I don't know. I know her about as well as I know you.
Okay. Got it.
So I know who she is. I've met her parents before. She did family photos for my friend Mike and his family, so I know of her, but I've never really. In fact, I talked to her today at the church just for that little second where you were standing there.
Yeah.
That was probably the only time I've ever talked to her. So.
Oh wow. Okay. So very little. Okay. That's hilarious. I actually know. So me and her looked you up on Spotify.
Okay.
My girlfriend, she's kind of like a detective sleuth.
Oh, nice.
She'll go in and like try and poke at everything.
That's awesome.
Try and find it, but she really couldn't do it. And honestly, she gets frustrated with Spotify.
Yeah.
She's more of an Apple Music kind of person.
It's on there too.
Which I haven't really looked into Apple Music, even though I have an iPhone. Just recently kind of got into iPhone.
Yeah. Remember I told you I'm one of 4 people that doesn't like coffee. I'm one of 2 people in the world that doesn't have Spotify.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So your stuff's on Spotify?
My stuff is on Spotify, but I don't have it. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, let's just kind of give me a brief, talk to me a little bit. Tell me who are you? Like, what are you, what's your deal? You're 21.
Yeah.
Okay, you're obviously working a lot, because every time I was texting you, you're like, oh, I've been work all day. So you obviously work a lot. That's good.
Yeah. Let's see where I want to start. I don't know. I grew up kind of in the South.
In the South?
Not kind of in the South. I did grow up in the South.
Like the South?
Like the South.
Not Southern California?
No, not Southern California. No. Okay. Like the heat, the muggy, the mosquitoes, all of that. I grew up in Arkansas.
Oof.
No, I grew up in Arkansas, but, my dad was in the military, so we traveled quite a bit.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So we went from, I was born in Washington, Tacoma, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And it was really cool because I got to travel quite a bit with my family when I was born, obviously. I've been to South Korea.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because I'll get to that later.
Like you lived in South Korea?
We did.
Oh, wow.
We lived in South Korea because my dad was stationed there for a little bit.
Gotcha.
And it's really funny because, fast forwarding a little bit from my childhood to last year, I got to revisit there for missions trip, which I never thought I would go back to.
Okay.
South Korea, particularly,
Yeah.
It wasn't really a place that I had ever thought that I would really want to go back to or visit.
Sure.
But, yeah, I grew up kind of traveling a lot because my dad was in the military, and then finally my parents bought a house in Arkansas, and they started financing it through the VA and everything. And so I kind of grew up there, and that's kind of where, the majority of my childhood was spent.
So, what age to what age would you say?
I'd probably say, 4 or 5 until I was 12.
Okay.
So it's a decent amount of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not like the majority of my childhood.
Right.
And a lot of people have asked me this because when I was 12, we moved to California.
Okay.
And so a lot of people would ask me, well, do you consider Arkansas to be your home? Or do you consider California to be your home?
Yeah.
And it didn't really hit me until recently. I was like, once that year comes that it passes the amount of time that you lived in your home, you kind of start to think I guess it is kind of my hometown, the new place that I'm at, because it surpassed that amount of time that I spent there.
Right.
So that's kind of the lens that I put on.
But that's pretty formative years from 4 to 12. I mean, that's
yes.
That's like playing in the forest and that kind of stuff.
Definitely. And it's so funny because I hate the heat.
I bet.
After that,
I'm pretty sure everybody does. Just some people choose to live in those places. I don't know. I don't get it.
But, I really hate the heat, and I'm like, I don't like it. Like we really are so blessed to live on the Central Coast.
Yeah.
This is where old people come to retire.
Right.
And I've heard it so many times, but I never really started to believe it until I started to see more and more older people in the communities, and I was like, they're right.
Yeah,
they really are.
Well, it's a blessing and a curse though, because I was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life. I lived in San Diego for about 8 months, but other than that, I've been in this exact town.
Wow.
So, but because of that, the weather's so nice that you go anywhere where it's even a little bit different. Like if it's 85 and higher, I'm dying. If it's less than 50, I'm dying. Right? It's like it has to be like between like 60 and 80 is like the perfect little. You know what I mean? Like so, like we went to Florida one year in July, and I just about died over there because it was like, what is this? Like it's not only hot, but it's the humidity is nasty and it's terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Or I go. My cousin lives up in Washington area.
Okay.
Which isn't even that much colder than here, but I remember the first couple times I went to visit him, like, dude, and he's like wearing a t-shirt. I'm like, dude, I'm freezing up here. What do you? It's like it was like 30 degrees, right? And he's like in a t-shirt because like, oh no, it'll get colder as the winter goes on.
That's Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nasty, dude.
I have to ask Fahrenheit because I'm so used to talking to my friends overseas, and they're all like, "Oh, it's 30 degrees over here." And I'm like, "Okay, what is that?" Like, I got to do the math real quick from Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Because that's hot, right? Celsius isn't 30 degrees Celsius pretty hot?
Well, nobody's ever told me actually 30 degrees Celsius.
Oh, okay.
Like I was just using it as an example.
Oh, gotcha.
But somebody would tell me something in Celsius, and I'm like, I don't actually know what that is in Fahrenheit.
Don't
what
compute.
Is that? I don't understand.
It's like another language.
I don't get it.
Okay.
But no, that's really So I definitely grew up Arkansas, moved here when I was 12, and I guess like the hope in moving to. Obviously, I didn't really have a big say in it. I was 12.
Right, you were 12.
I was 12.
Your parents are going to do what they're going to do. Right?
Yeah. So, my dad just got out of the Army, and so my mom was working most of the time. And so he wanted to give her the ability to go out and work and him stay home with us. So I got a lot of quality time with my dad when I was a kid.
That's neat.
Which is obviously the reverse of how you would think that a family dynamic would work, where the dad would go out and provide, and then the mom would stay home with the kids.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't really think about that until later and the effect it had on me.
Yeah.
There were both positive and negative effects that came from that.
Sure.
But my parents were like, okay, we don't really like. My dad didn't like the heat either. He was not a heat guy, and his whole family's from Arkansas.
Right.
So like, why are you there? Then why are you there? So
I would have been out of there. 18, I'm gone. See ya.
So his whole family's from Arkansas. I started to find. This is a really interesting topic we can get into later, but I started to find, in my dad telling the story, my mom telling the story, that there's a lot of negative people in the world, and I knew that. It's no surprise to me that there's a lot of negative people in the world. But when we told people that we were moving, they all laughed at us when I was a kid.
When you're moving to California?
When we were moving to California.
Okay.
So my mom and my dad, they sat down, and my dad's like, I don't really want to stay in Arkansas. So we're going to move to like one of 3 places. And I think one of the places was Colorado, California, or there was one other place that my mom told me that they sat down and said that they would move to, but I don't remember the third place. But
Kenya? Maybe Kenya?
Kenya? No.
No, that wasn't
that was off the list.
I had one guess and I blew it.
No,
dang it.
It wasn't Kenya. It was in the States. I know that much.
Okay.
It was in the United States.
Gotcha.
So,
okay. Yeah.
But it was really interesting, and they decided on Santa Maria particularly, California first, obviously, but my dad started researching California and good areas to live in and safe areas to live in and things like that, and he really started to just dive into it. And I didn't really recognize it when I was a kid, but man, my dad was a genius.
Oh yeah.
Like, boy, did he know his stuff.
Nice.
He would, and it's kind of sad because he would disappear for hours on end sometimes, and he would just be researching.
Oh, really?
Everything.
He's a studier.
Like, everything.
Nice.
And I know a lot of people at church, if they go back and they're listening to this, they can go back to his posts, and he literally, like, he was a man. He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Like when when it comes to COVID, he had his master's degree in science as well.
Oh wow.
So he was very, very well informed, but he would disappear and just research everything. So in coming to California, he looked up Santa Maria, and he figured out that Santa Maria was particularly a migrant population heavy city.
Right.
And at the time he looked up the population, it wasn't that big. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was here and I was like, there's no traffic driving.
Right, yeah.
There's no traffic
Exactly.
driving from Santa Maria up to Slow.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad at all.
That sure has changed, hasn't it?
It definitely has, So, I mean, you drive from Santa Maria to Slow, and now you're almost destined to hit some traffic. It definitely has changed, and I think he knew that coming into it, because he became a teacher, and so
wow.
he started working on his master's degree as we were moving.
So was he retired from the military at this point?
At this point, yeah, he was retired from the military.
Okay,
so,
when he started teaching, I mean, he wasn't doing both.
Yeah, so I'll back up a little bit.
Okay.
So we settled down in Arkansas. So my dad got out of the military 2008.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 2011, 2012 was kind of really when we started to think about like moving, and I think 2012 is when we actually moved.
Okay.
And so he was long retired by the time we started moving, but he was trying to think of a way to provide for his family, us, and moving. And he was a guy that never found it hard to find a job. Like he could find a job anywhere, anytime, go in somewhere, talk to some people, get the job. And so he was very confident that we could move out here and he could find a job. And so I think part of him, and I don't know, I can't speak for him, but I think part of him really, really wanted to move out here to get the sailboat, which is a really big part of my story, actually.
Okay.
Is the sailboat. And a lot of people in the congregation will know, like, we were all about the sailboat for a very long time. Okay. Because we actually ended up getting it.
You did get one.
But we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, he decided to move out here. And around the time we started to move, like I said, we were telling everybody we were moving, and there were a lot of negative people. Like, you're never going to make it out here. Yeah. Like, there's no way you're going to make it, because everything in Arkansas is so cheap. Right. And compared to everything in California. Yeah. And so when we started telling people we were going to move, they're like, you're crazy. Like, that's insane. There's no way. And at some points, it did seem hopeless. So we packed everything up, and we got ready to move. And then my little brother, Levi, who's now 19, he had an appendicitis. His appendix ruptured.
Yep. I've been there, done that.
And praise God, I haven't. But I can only imagine what it would feel like in going through surgery. Lord, I hope I never do. But he was literally just right before we moved from Arkansas, sitting on the floor of the empty bedroom that we were packing up, puking into a shoebox, just dry heaving, and it was crazy because God was so faithful through that time, keeping him alive, because he had his appendix was inverted. Ooh. It was backwards. But it was good because it ruptured 2 days prior. Okay. So we didn't know that it ruptured until we got to the hospital. They did a CAT scan or CT. Is it CAT scan? It's CAT
one
scan.
of those, yeah.
Yeah, CT, CAT
Some
scan.
kind of picture.
Something, right? And I remember my mom and my dad, they handed me and my baby brother, who's now 14. Wow. 13, 14 now, but man. Met my little baby brother to my grandparents who lived there. That's my dad's parents. And we were with them, and we went to a restaurant at that time, but we were staying informed when they went to the hospital. And the children's hospital down there was really nice. Okay. Like the children's hospital down there, they knew what they were talking about. Yeah. My dad was originally going through the nursing program because he wanted to do something science. He didn't really know what he was going to do. But
and this is still in Arkansas,
It's still in Arkansas, yeah. And he was going through a nursing program with my mom at the time, too, I believe it. They didn't pursue that or follow through with that. But my dad knew a lot about like some of the procedures and everything. And so he started talking to the doctors, and he was very, very surprised at how knowledgeable the doctors were at the children's hospital. And so they wanted to do a test on my brother. So I think my brother's like one of the first people that they did this test on, where they, instead of going into the actual side and like cutting you open and then pulling it out, they actually went through his belly button, and then like pulled it out through his belly button. Yep. And
that's the way they did mine too.
And I think he was like one of the first kids that they tested it on, because they asked my parents like, "Hey, there's this new thing that we've been doing. Like, are you okay if we try this?"
He'll be the third person in history. What are the odds? Well, we don't know. Do you want to go for it or what?
and so I can't imagine what my parents were thinking, obviously, but that happened during the time we were moving, and so his recovery was a process, and our move, obviously, it was a big factor in moving to California for them. And
so I'm sorry. So this was happening when you guys were already planning to move to California.
Yeah, we had everything packed up.
And he starts throwing up.
He starts throwing up on the floor.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And so we were like, well, okay, guess we're gonna have to delay it by a little bit. Yeah. So that happened, and they got him into surgery pretty quickly. My dad was pretty. He was pretty excited that they knew what they were talking about, and they sounded really well informed. Right. And so he's like, yeah, go for it. So they did it, and I think it was 24 hours turnaround, like he was perfectly fine. And the doctor said because of his appendicitis that was inverted, actually backwards, it kept all of the toxins that would typically kill you in one place.
That's so weird.
And so he was saved by the grace of God.
So do they think like his appendix was always backwards, like since birth? And then that just happened to be, and they never would have noticed, because it's not like you go in and check your appendix unless you have a problem, right? They're not checking baby's appendixes like, oh, see, is that in the right way? They would never know, right? Like, potentially, he could have went through his whole life and never known that if he would have never had appendicitis.
Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Okay.
They just said it was inverted backwards.
Okay.
I don't know if that happened when he originally had the appendicitis rupture and it just decided to flip or something.
Maybe it was part of the rupturing, maybe.
Or I don't really know how that worked. They just said it was inverted and it was backwards.
Okay.
And they went in there and extracted it, and they did a really, really good job. And we had to deal with that on the way moving here as well. And that was a whole thing. I know my parents were probably under a ton of stress.
Yeah.
They had saved up about $15,000 to move out to California, which you're like, well, that's not that much.
Right.
To come out to.
It's not.
It's not
you could probably buy a house for that in Arkansas, but I don't know about California.
No.
You can't buy a car for that in California.
No, not even a used one, But yeah, so we didn't really have that much money, but my dad knew where we were going and what part of California he wanted to move to, or the general area that he wanted to be in.
Right.
And I go back to the migrant population being here because he knew it was going to explode, which also meant that there was opportunity for jobs.
Yeah.
And so he knew that, and he knew that in coming here.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the reason he chose like this specific area.
Okay.
And back then there wasn't, when we first moved here, there wasn't like the massive town center over there by Santa Maria, like the Best Buy, all that. That wasn't there yet.
Oh no, it was just fields.
It was just fields.
Yep.
And we were like, whoa, it like really got big quick,
Right.
Old Navy, that whole shopping center, Chick-fil-A, like everything over there just exploded within a small amount of time.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, we used to walk through those fields all the time. There was just nothing there. It was just nothing.
Wow.
There's cows. There was cows in those fields. We walked through and see cows, and that was it. And now there's like this massive like buildings and everything else over there. So
that's so cool. Yeah, no, it's changed a lot, and my dad, he saw that, and so he's like, okay, well, if that's the case, and I know something's coming, then I'm gonna go after it and see what God provides. So. We moved here, and I remember when I was a kid, we lived out of a hotel for a good 3-4 days when we moved here. We literally we had everything packed up. Me and my dad going down the grade on Highway 101. I don't know if you're familiar with like the Paso grade, right there from Paso.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember we had a U-Haul truck, and it was packed. Like it was packed to the brim. And on top of the U-Haul truck, we were towing a car behind the U-Haul truck. Oh, man. And my mom was following us in a minivan, so... and the minivan was packed to the brim, too. It was like my brother, Levi, and then my younger brother, Judah.
Yeah.
And, it was packed to the brim. And it was really funny because I remember me and my dad trying to go down that hill and not make the whole U-Haul truck rattle and shake because we're going so fast with all that weight. The brakes are just like...
You're riding them and it's like... It's like, oh my gosh. Your steering wheel shaking like this, right?
Yeah. We were praying the whole time like, we really hope nothing happens, because that would be really terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lived out of a hotel in Buellton, right off of the... freeway there. I don't know what hotel that is, but there's a hotel right off the freeway there, and
in Buellton.
Yeah, in Buellton.
Okay.
Yeah, and we lived out of that hotel for 4 days.
Okay.
And my parents, they would leave us at the hotel, and we would like watch TV, go to the pool, just hang out while they went and like looked at houses and looked at all this stuff. And it was a really big blessing because my dad said, if we don't find a place within a week, then we'll go back.
To Arkansas?
To Arkansas, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We would go back.
Wowzers.
Because there's nothing here. We couldn't find anything. And we found a bunch of houses and we're like, well, we could put a down payment on a house potentially. And it just wasn't. They wanted to see that you had a stable job that you can pay for the house. Like you have a job that you can pay for the house and that you're not looking for a job.
Sure.
Because we were looking for a job as well on top
Right.
of finding a house
Right.
and everything else.
Yeah, because the people that own the house or whatever, they kind of want to get paid.
Exactly.
They're like, well, we kind of want you to have a job, so you have a way to pay for the house.
yeah. So he was telling everybody, hey, I'm going to find a job. Like, I
Yeah.
just need a place to, like, have a house first, and he was telling like, I'll find a job. Like, that's not hard for me, Nobody really wanted to, like, lend it or try it. So we finally found the apartment complex in Orchid. There's an apartment complex right by Waller Park there.
On
what is that apartment complex?
Goodwin?
Yep, right there on Orchid Road.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Goodwin there.
Uh-huh.
But it was the townhomes there.
Okay.
And so we found that, and I don't know if you remember Carol Howell. Do you remember Carol Howell? She went to our church.
James.
Yes, James.
That's her husband,
used
right?
to play the drums.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so she was actually the property manager there.
Okay.
And so we ran into her, and she was like, yeah, don't worry about it. I've got a place for you. This is what I need. I don't remember exactly all the specifications, but she told my parents and laid it out, and it was such a big blessing because I think it was like a day before we were getting ready to head up.
You didn't know her yet. It wasn't like you were already going to Calvary and you knew her from Calvary.
No, we had just moved here. We didn't know her at all.
Okay.
And my parents were talking to her, and they're like, we've really been praying for a place, and every other place that we've been to that they just won't let us rent or won't let us buy or anything else.
Right.
And she's like, don't worry about it. So she gave us a really, really good deal. While my parents got their feet on the ground, she gave us I don't remember, my parents didn't really share with me like what the deal was or how much it was, but we got a really good deal.
Yeah.
And we started moving into the townhomes. And I lived there we lived there for ages, man. I think we lived there for like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
It was a long time.
Okay.
So from like 2012 all the way up to 2019, we lived there.
Oh, wow.
So, that's 6 years technically. No, well, 7, 8, no, it's about 8 years.
Yeah.
About 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. We lived there. And we made so many friends there and so many memories there. And then right before COVID hit, like in the year 2020, like January, my parents were like, we don't really want to stay in the apartment complex anymore. Because they were getting tired of walking up the stairs. And this is a 3-story house. You've got your living room and everything else on the bottom story. There's no bathroom on the bottom story. Nothing like super amazing. And then you got to walk up the stairs to go to the bathroom. And then you've got 2 bedrooms on the second story. And then the third story, the very, very top, is kind of like the master bedroom with the master bathroom and a little storage area and a closet.
So these are 3-story townhomes?
3-story townhomes.
Interesting.
Yeah, over there by Orchid and Waller Park.
Yeah.
And we lived there for ages. We met a lot of great people. We had a lot of great times, a lot of friendships. And I think it's really funny because if you ask my brothers, they really love the season fall.
Oh, yeah.
They love fall.
That's my favorite.
I mean, I love fall. They love fall. But part of that, I think, is the memories we made in the fall. Because around the fall season was when all the kids in the apartment complex would come out to play.
Oh, so fun.
And I was the oldest, which is good and sad at the same time. Because then everyone would look to me for a game.
Right.
And I was like, guys, I'm like done. Like, I just got out of school. I've got homework to do. And all these little kids are like, what are we going to play?
Right,
So I don't know. And me and Levi were pretty creative in coming up with a lot of games to play.
Yeah.
I remember we came up with this game with plasma cars. I don't know if you know what plasma cars are.
Refresh my memory.
So the plasma car is
I do know.
A little plastic car you sit on that has like a kind of butterfly-shaped steering wheel.
Okay.
That you kind of like move around.
Yeah.
And you're sitting on it, and it skirts, and it goes forward every time you move it around.
So you have to do this to go forward.
You kind of have to do this to go forward. But
there's
we found
no motor or pedal or nothing on it. Okay.
No, we found creative ways to make it go. Us kids, we were like, we're gonna make this thing go, but we're gonna do it a different way.
Okay.
And
like a 70% incline downhill.
Yeah, exactly.
That goes right into traffic at the bottom.
Exactly. So there's there were the apartment complexes, and the way that the apartment complex was built, there was 3 sections. And the first section was you had 8 townhomes on one side, and then you had 8 townhomes on the other side. So if you looked directly across, you'd have 8 townhomes exactly the way yours was, just flipped and backwards, right? And then in the center, you had a playground. That was the first one. And then you go down to the second section, and in the second section, you would have the pool.
Okay.
It's the same thing, same setup as the first section.
Yeah.
You'd have townhomes on one side and townhomes on the other side, and then you'd have the pool in the center.
Okay.
And then if you go down to the third section, you would have the dog park. So there's a community dog park that you can take your dog to.
Yeah.
Down in the third section.
The wolf
right?
park, right?
And so for us, there was a sidewalk that went around the whole playground area. You know, there was a grassy area, and then there was a playground, and there was a sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And it was so funny because I remember we would get on these plasma cars. We're like, how can we make these things go fast? Because they're slow. They're really slow.
Right.
And this is one of the games we came up with. There were so many dangerous games we came up with, and countless times where kids would go inside crying, and we'd have to explain to them what happened.
Right.
But this is the one where we most of the time got hurt from.
Okay.
This is the game that most of the time kids would go inside crying because of
Okay.
it. So,
but so worth it.
It was so worth it. It was like, as a kid, you know, we're like, dude, this is awesome. Why don't we do this every day?
Yeah, for sure.
And they weren't even our plasma cars, and that's where kind of the issue came in, and I'll get there in a second. Yeah. But they were our friends' plasma cars, and some of the first friends we met. Actually, it was the first friends we met when we first moved into the apartment complex. Yeah. Zach and Dylan, I still remember them to this day because they took us to the drive-in. That's no longer here, sadly. Mm-hmm. You know, that was the first time we ever went to a drive-in. They don't have those in Arkansas. Nobody wants to be out in the heat watching a movie.
Seriously.
You know? So we didn't have those. But yeah, we met them and they had these plasma cars. And so we would get on them and we would have 2 people on the back one and we would have 1 person driving on the front one. And then we would have a person connecting the 2 in the middle.
Yes. This sounds very safe.
I mean, no helmets. No
of course not.
No helmets. You know.
Of course not. You got to get to the hospital somehow, right?
So we didn't have any helmets.
Yeah.
And there was no padding whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, none. And we made like positions. We were like first position. Then you would have the connector, who's on the back of the first one, connecting the second one to the first one. Turned around, too, by the way. So back to back with the driver in the front.
So what, that guy just drew the short straw? Or what, whoever had to be in the middle? Or
I know. All the time. Nobody wanted to be the connector.
Yeah, I bet.
It was the last position that people
I can imagine.
wanted to have. You know? Especially if the rear driver was terrible.
Right.
You know, because like as the connector, you're just like at the mercy of the rear driver.
Yeah, you're done for it. You can just count on it. You're the one that's going to the hospital when this is over.
So, I mean, I just remember so many countless times kids not wanting to be the connector. Everyone wanted to do it, but nobody wanted to be the middle connector. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, if you guys want to do it, somebody's got to sign up to be that guy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't for a long time that we had somebody who willingly stepped up to be like the middle connector. And I'll always remember this kid. I don't know how he did it. His name was Ricky. He had major ADHD. Okay. And he would I don't know what this kid was on. I think he was indestructible. I mean, literally, this kid had done so many crazy things. Here's an example. He jumped on my back all the time, and I was like, dude, get off. I don't want you on my back. And I was a strong kid.
Is he like your age?
No, he was younger. He was way younger, 3-4 grades younger.
Gotcha.
And he would always jump on my back or Levi's back, my brother, and we were strong kids. My dad made us work out when we were kids. Nice. Like that was a part of our routine.
That's military, man.
And he made us work out. You know, awesome. Like every other day he would make us work out. So we were strong kids. Yeah. And we weren't afraid to pick fights. My dad taught us how to fight, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was really funny because he would always jump on our back, and we were like, "Get off of us!" And we would throw him. Like, I mean, literally, we would pick him up and like throw him. Like, no mercy, like WWE, like slam, you know? We're like, get off of us. Nice. And we got so upset and angry all the time at this kid because he just would not get off of us. He was like a freaking backpack. Right. You know? Yeah. Sometimes we would just let him be there. We were like, you know
it's not worth the fight.
Like, literally, just like you're like glue. Like, you can't get this kid off of you. Funny. And no matter how many times we threw him, I mean, we really, and I feel bad like talking about it now, like how many times we threw the kid, but he really did not get hurt. So he came along and he was finally the middle connector on those plasma cars.
He's born for it.
And literally, I mean, perfect fit, right? So every time we would play plasma cars, Ricky, you're the connector, you know? Yeah. He would have no complaints whatsoever. Okay. And so we'd have somebody push us down the hill and we would run right into the middle of traffic, you know, just pushing us through it. We would go. And it was a perfect fit for him, but it came later, like the parents of the Zach and Dylan, their parents they're like, this is a really dangerous game.
Yeah.
Kids are getting hurt.
Did your parents know about this?
Oh, of course they knew.
They just didn't care.
They just didn't care. They're like, they're kids. Just let them play.
Yeah, right,
you know?
right.
Survival
of the fittest, right?
And they didn't really have any, and they knew too, they didn't really have any question that we could handle ourselves. I mean, me and Levi, we were like studs, you know? They were like, no questions asked.
Yeah,
like, those kids will probably go and fight a whole, like a whole army or something and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't ask questions too often until some kid got hurt, and then we would have to sit down and talk about why that kid got hurt or whatever it was, you know?
Yeah.
It was really fun just being a kid in those apartment complexes. And, fast forward again to 2020, right around January 2020.
Yeah.
We moved out of those apartment complexes into a house finally.
Okay.
And my dad got his master's degree in science, and my mom was working on her master's degree in special education. And so that whole time we were moving, he was also doing his master's degree. So that was a whole thing. Yeah. And then he got into the Santa Maria Bonita School District, which they pay amazingly. Right. And he knew it too. Like I said, he did all the research.
Was he a science teacher?
He was a science teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, for Tommy Kuntz Junior High.
Okay.
And to this day, they have a plaque there in his name because he passed away in 2021 from COVID pneumonia.
Right.
I still question to this day if it was actually COVID.
Okay.
I have my speculations.
Yeah.
Because they treat everyone at that time like they had COVID.
Well, everybody has speculations, but for somebody like you who's,
yes,
I mean, obviously personally affected you, that's a different thing altogether. So
yeah, and it was difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that. We just moved out of the apartment complex, and praise God we did, because the apartment complex is right at that COVID time after we moved out into like an actual house.
Sure.
They like shut down everything. It became like dictatorship over there. Like the new management, it wasn't Carol anymore at that time. The new management just shut everything down. It became really like strict, like no playground, no pool, it became.
But you guys were already out of there.
We were out of there, yeah.
So that was kind of a little blessing in itself.
That's what I was saying. Okay. Yeah, it was a really big blessing that we moved out at that time. But yeah, we moved into that house, and that house had a lot of memories. Let me tell you, like my parents all through my childhood, like I remember arguing and shouting. Like my parents were not the greatest examples of what a good relationship should be. Let me tell you. And I know
they're both geniuses.
And I know nobody's perfect, but I know that my dad hadn't been shown a great relationship either. And my mom came from the north, and he's from the south. My mom grew up in Minnesota, and it was a really big contention for my mom and my dad, being that she's from the north and my dad's from the south. And my dad would always bring it up. He's like, that's why you Northerners during the Civil War, you blah, blah, blah.
No.
So that was a constant.
That's fighting words right there.
It was a constant just argument back and forth, you know. And there was a lot of things that went on that we were totally oblivious to as kids. But I remember sitting in the apartment complex at one point, and my parents actually being like, hey, we're getting into a divorce.
Oh, wow.
Just sitting me down and saying, hey, who do you want to go with?
Oh,
which,
my gosh.
like, for a kid that's 14, 15, probably I was a sophomore.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know, like, neither, I guess. I don't really know. And we had jobs while we were at the apartment complex. We were working, and so we just kind of batted a blind eye to all the problems that my parents were going through. But, yeah, we saved a bunch of money, and the whole reason that we kind of moved, like I said, was for this boat. And we had a lot of jobs, and all of our finances, like all the money that we would get, would go into the boat fund. It was like a big jar, like one of those Cheeto Puff jars that you would buy from Grocery Outlet. Yeah. The gross ones.
I wouldn't, because those are nasty.
No.
But I would probably just buy a piggy bank or something.
You're right.
Well, maybe I'd buy it, but I'd have someone else eat the cheese puffs, and then I'd use the container.
Yeah, so, we got those massive, that massive Cheeto Puff can, and we ate it, and it turned into like our money, our savings. So
for the sailboat.
So for the sailboat, yeah. And it wasn't like we had a choice. It was like my dad's dream, my dad's goal. So he's like, all the money you get goes into this bucket. I'm like, okay.
All the money you guys made at your jobs
also went into the bucket.
Wowzers.
So it was a family thing.
Okay.
And I will say I did have a lot of bitterness and anger towards it at that time, because obviously I'm like, I want to go and spend money on like friends and
kid stuff,
hang out and do some kid stuff.
Were you working outside of the home at this point? Like you weren't working for your
I didn't
family.
have like an actual job.
Okay, so you're not talking about chores and stuff.
It was dog walking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't do chore money. They thought it was because I love you, you're going to do it.
They're like, I fed you and gave you clothes, right?
So that's enough. Like, You think that you need to get paid to do your chores. You're kind
But
of
see,
crazy.
that's a Southern thing, and that's beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
California people, we're not... We say that, and then people are like, wait, what? You just expect your kids to do chores for nothing?
Yeah.
What do you mean for nothing? They live here for free. They got food. They got clothes. I mean, what do you mean for nothing? You know what I mean? Like it's foreign to us here.
Yeah.
So
it never really hit me that it was foreign to you guys
Right.
until we started going into our friends' houses at the apartment complex, and they're like, "Yeah, we get paid to do our chores." I was like, "You get paid to do your chores?"
You're going home to your parents. Hey, listen, Joey over here, he's getting like $20 a week to take out the trash. Can we talk about that? Your parents are like, nah.
No,
don't think so.
It was just off the table. You're not
Yeah.
getting paid to do chores.
Right.
It just wasn't a thing. They made a chore chart, and we got stickers, and there was like rewards for like doing your chores.
Right.
But we never followed that. There was no money either.
Okay.
We hardly ever followed that.
You just got the sticker on there.
We just got a sticker on there.
Yes.
And none of our parents didn't even follow through with that, really. I mean, they put a sticker on there and they forgot that we did our chores. So they were like, "Mom, Dad, we did our chores." And they're like, "Oh, good for you." And they went on about their work or whatever they had going on because they were busy people. But yeah, we moved out, and I remember moving into that house, and obviously there's a lot of problems with family dynamics at that time.
Sure.
And all that money that I was saving. I did a lot of dog walking.
Yeah.
And so a lot of dog walking money went into the savings account and the savings thing. And it was around the time that I was a junior in high school that we finally got enough money to maybe potentially put a down payment on a boat. So sophomore summer, we went out and looked at some boats, and we were like, well, we have like a decent amount of money to put down on like a sailboat.
Yeah.
And a nice one too. Like, it wasn't like we didn't have enough money to afford like some rinky-dink small one.
Yeah.
We had enough money to put down a decent amount on a big one.
Sure.
So we started looking around, and we didn't know anything about boats. The only reason my dad really loved boats was because his dad was really into them. And
Like his dad used to take him sailing when he was a kid, maybe, or something?
I don't actually know. I don't ever think he went sailing. I mean, he grew up in Arkansas, and there's not much to sail on.
That's true.
You know, like
It's a long way to the beach.
There's not much to sail on down there, you know?
Right.
He did a lot more hunting, and he has a lot of corn-fed stories, like corn-fed husky boy from the Midwest sort of stories, you know? And he didn't really have that many sailing like memories or anything.
But he just liked boats.
Just liked boats. And he liked the idea of getting one. And I think also too, and later we realized this once we got the boat, that he kind of wanted to move away from the crazy world. Just kind of like isolate himself from the insanity. Like, he's like, people are nuts.
Yeah.
You know, and you look around now and you're like, yeah, I could see that. And a lot of people will say that. Like, I just want to go and be alone. I don't really want to talk to people.
Oh, I get it, man.
In this time in society. And so that's kind of what he first saw. And I think for sure he is a guy who had a lot of visions of things. And pre-COVID, he knew. He's like, yeah, when they shut down the world, wait for the riots to happen. This is probably like 6 months before any riots, George Floyd, any of that really happened or any of that really went down. He's like, there's going to be riots.
Yeah.
He's like, I just know it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like, everything happened.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, wow.
There was riots.
He was right.
Yeah,
he was right, you know? And so him getting the boat was his way of like, let's get out of here quick.
You know? There's no riots on the sailboat. You know? At least there shouldn't be.
Like, I mean, unless you're staging a coup. But you're kind of like our dad. Why would we stage a coup for our dad? But, you know, that was kind of the goal. And we ended up saving for the sailboat. And like I said, it was my sophomore summer that... when I say sophomore summer, I'd just gotten out of my sophomore year. Okay. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know, would that be junior summer?
I would call it the summer after my sophomore year.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Okay. But I guess that's summer after my sophomore year. Okay. As you would say it.
And what did you go to public school or did you?
Yeah, I was in public school my entire
life. Okay.
Childhood, pretty much.
So what high school did you go to?
I went to New Tech. High school, New Tech.
And how old are you?
I'm 21. And New Tech came around in 2012.
Okay. Did you know Brighton Silva? Or Mia Silva? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I know they went there.
Mia was cool.
Okay. I love Mia's probably closer to your age.
Mia's at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really cool.
She her parents own the restaurant that I work at Ricky's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Where's Ricky? Where's Ricky?
It's near where Cold Stones is.
The old
The ice cream place, Cold Stones over there.
in Orchid?
Yeah.
Old Orchid?
Yeah, there's a Dollar Tree over there.
Yes.
There's a it's
Okay.
it's
And what's it called?
Ricky's House of Pizza.
Ricky's House of
Yeah.
Pizza. Oh, those are her parents.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
They bought it from Ricky a few years back.
Oh, okay. I knew Ricky. Like,
oh, did you?
I did know Ricky.
Interesting. Okay.
And that was part of my childhood too, because I
Okay.
worked for this lady named Donna Polizzi, and she was pretty wealthy, and I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
I was 14.
Yeah.
And I worked really hard for that lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents instilled in us hard work ethics. And she referred me to Ricky to do yard work for her. So that's part of, like, where some of the finances came from besides dog work too. Donna was a good friend of his, and he asked me to come over. It was so funny. I remember this. It was hilarious. Donna, the lady I worked for, and him, they were good friends.
Okay.
And so one time when like, I got fed up with the boat, and I ran away from home.
Oh, wow.
It was for a day and a half. I got really angry at my dad.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about that in a second. But I got really angry at my dad, and I ran away from home for like a day and a half because I knew they were going out to the boat. And I was like, I don't want to go to the boat. I hate the boat.
So you already bought the boat?
So we already bought the boat at this time.
Okay.
But I was working for Donna still, and all the money was still going to the boat.
Yeah.
But, I ran away from home, and I knew she lived down the street from our new place. It wasn't the apartment complex. It was our new place. And I knew she lived down the street because I had gone over there many times to work for her.
Sure.
So I went over to her house, and I slept on her couch like really early in the morning, and then Ricky came over. I was like, oh, this guy. You know, like, I was so...
Yeah.
Like, and this is around the time where I was like, this guy, man, I just quit working for this guy, and he's back again. I didn't know they were good friends. I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she didn't even expect that I was coming over. It was kind of like a surprise visit because I was technically running away from home.
Right.
And I was 17.
Yeah.
So she didn't know I was going to be there, and that was kind of weird, but... Anyways, I slept on her couch, and he shows up, and it was right around the time of like COVID, and like this is 2021-ish.
Okay.
No, it was 2021. So that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
that's funny.
I saw him again at that point in time, and he was a really, really funny guy. Mm-hmm. But we saved for the boat, and we got it, and it was a nice boat. Like, it was a really, really nice boat, and to this day, it still sits in the same place.
Oh, wow.
Port St. Louis.
Okay.
And I see where I want to go with this because I could go a couple different directions. But when we bought it, we prayed about what kind of boat it would be, what we were looking for, and originally we had put down. We wanted to put down money on a Beneteau Oceanus 38.
Okay.
And it was technically a 38.1. I don't know why they put the
I'll nod and pretend like I know what that is.
But yeah, well, I know it's really funny for those of you out there who know boats. You know that's a really nice boat.
They would know that,
and they would know that. Yeah,
you could have told me whatever the Pinto of boats is, and I would have been like, "What?"
You're like, I have no idea.
That's great. It sounds great. You know?
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I believe you. So it's a really nice boat.
No, it's a super nice boat, and they were asking $130,000 for it. Oof. And for us, we were like, well, we've been saving up. We got a decent amount to put down on that sucker.
Okay.
And so, and my parents, again, they're both teachers making really good money at that time, especially for the Santa Maria Bonita School District.
Sure.
They make a decent amount of money at that district. I think it's the highest earning district in California, potentially, or one of the highest. I know that much. But they were making a decent amount of money, you know? So we were like, hey, we talked to the broker. The broker was a real party guy. We were like, oh, we don't really like the broker because then the broker is the guy we'd have to go back to for any parts or anything else from that point on. So we were like, oh, we'll pray about it. We'll think about it. But we got a tour on the boat, and me, Levi, Judah, my mom, and my dad were like, this is a really, really nice boat. Like, this is sold. This is like a yacht boat. You know,
it's a pretty good size.
And we did. We put down our payment. We were in brokerage, and they declined it. They didn't want it. They're like, no, we don't want it. You don't make enough for it. And I never really understood why, but later my parents kind of explained it to me in that they see it as a luxury item instead of really like something that you can live on.
Right.
So if you're making payments on it, they don't want you to be a liveaboard status is what they call it. Because if you do liveaboard status, there's nothing stopping you from pretty much sailing away, which is my dad's plan in the first place. You know, like, we're getting the boat and we're just taking off.
That's right.
You know, so they were like, Nah, we don't think that's gonna be reasonable because it's a luxury item. You're gonna have to pay a little bit more, and obviously looking at like what you guys make and what you guys put down, we don't like the numbers.
Sure.
It's all an algorithm. They're not personable people. They're just algorithm people. They look at the algorithm and they're like, this is good or this is bad. And so they're like, it's bad. So like, okay, well, God, I guess that's not the boat that you have for us. So we kept praying, and then we found right around December of my junior year, like I think it was technically like, when was this? November? I think it was Thanksgiving break-ish. Yeah, Thanksgiving break-ish. We went up to Napa to look at this boat because my dad's like, guys, I think I found the boat. It's a trimaran. And a trimaran basically just has 3 holes instead of a monohull, which that Oceanus that we originally looked at was a monohull. It's just one single boat, like just a little single hole with the mast on it, even though it was really nice and it had really nice spacious cabin inside. But this one had 3 holes, and it had the main galley, or like the main center hole, and then it had 2 on the outside as well. Okay. And it was a really big boat.
So you could potentially live on this thing.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And there's people out there, if you look up sailing channels on catamarans or trimarans, there are people out there who will live on their boat and travel the world. Yeah. And that was my dad's goal. He's like, I want to go out, see the world, travel it, and not have anybody ride my butt the whole time.
It's nice. If it wasn't for sea monsters, I could see myself doing the same thing.
Oh,
I'd be too scared of sea monsters.
And the Kraken and everything else. It's so funny because my dad loved the Kraken. Like, that was his whole thing. He's like, man, I love the Kraken. He loved Kraken coffee. Okay. And I don't know, do you know where Kraken
It's in Pismo, right?
Yeah, Pismo and Avila, and we would go there all the time. That was like his favorite place to get coffee, and I know you're not a coffee guy, but
I'm not, but my wife is.
He loved it.
So I went there. You know what I got?
What'd you get?
Chai. And they have a pretty good chai there, so it's like, all right, cool.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so that's where we went all the time, and he loved it. He thought it was amazing, and he loved everything ocean. And I mean, we surfed. As soon as we got here, my dad bought me my first surfboard, and it was like 6'1". No idea what I was doing.
Hey.
Didn't even know that was the
but
worst
you're in
surfboard.
Cali.
Yeah, right.
So you gotta be a surfer, right? Exactly. We're all surfers here. That's all we do is surf.
Exactly, right.
And there's palm trees everywhere.
That's all people think about.
I know, because that's the way the movies portray it.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of girls in bikinis and palm trees. That's all. The whole state of California. It's like, you do realize this thing is like 1,000 miles long, right? Yeah,
you're just talking about the coastal cities. What about Palm Springs? What about Riverside, for goodness sakes?
Or even Northern California. You're like, it like snows up there. It's like really cold up there.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, we got the boat, and that's part of my testimony is because none of us wanted the boat. Again, it wasn't like our dream, wasn't our thing. All of our money went into it, and we went up and we saw this around Thanksgiving break of my junior year, and my dad's like, when we find a boat that is right for us, we'll all know. And we're like, well, we don't like boats anyway. We don't know anything about boats, so why are you like telling us we'll all know? No, we won't. Yeah, like we don't want a boat. And it was funny because we actually went up and we saw this boat, and we were like, wow, this is a really nice boat.
Yeah.
Like, really nice boat.
Okay.
It needed some work. I'm not going to say it was all nice and pristine when we got it. It needed quite a bit of work. But we had the money to put into it. And actually, it was cool because the price that was on the boat was less than what we had saved up. So we could actually put money into it if it needed some things to be fixed.
Okay.
So we did. We fixed a lot of it. We fixed...
Just yourself, or like you paid someone else to do it?
No, it was us.
You guys did it.
We did it. We knew nothing about it.
That's so cool. YouTube videos, right?
So exactly where we went. But what's funnier is like we didn't even think about going to YouTube. Instead, we went to my dad's dad came out.
Okay.
And he has major ADHD, but he got his associates, and I love him dearly, but he has his associates in electrician school, plumbing school, and all of that. But I mean, he's in his 60s. Yeah. And he just started ripping things apart. Okay. And he didn't really know how to put them back together or what they did.
The demolition is the fun part. It's the reconstruction. That's where the skill comes in, right?
So, and we were on a really big time crunch because it started to get really expensive. And boats, a lot of people will say, are money holes. Yeah. Especially if you don't know what you're doing or you don't know how to do it yourself. And we didn't.
Sure.
So we're like, well, we have a bunch of money to throw at it.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what we need to throw at it.
Sure.
You know, we don't know what needs to be fixed. We don't know anything about it, really.
Yeah.
And my dad's dad, we call him Papa, but he knew what needed to be done. He's like, that needs to be fixed, and this needed to be fixed. And little did we know that a lot of the things on the boat was unconventional already. Because it was a home built. It wasn't a factory built, where a lot of these boats these days come out of the factory.
Sure.
And they have all these specific specifications that they have to meet according to the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Well, this boat particularly was built in Canada, in Vancouver, and the guy sailed it down from Vancouver down to all around the world, actually. He took it around the world. And he built it himself. His name's Kent Webster. Genius guy. I would say that I don't necessarily agree with him politically, but it's no surprise because he's in Vancouver.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the Canadians aren't known for being real right-leaning, I don't think so.
No. So I mean, you know, I wouldn't necessarily agree with him politically, but he's a genius. He built the whole boat himself. It took him 12 years to build it. Wow. He did the entire fiberglass epoxy. He built it from scratch.
Was he building it in order to sell it? Or was he building it for himself?
He was building it for himself.
Okay, then why did he give it up?
That's the thing. He got too old for it.
Oh, okay.
Him and his family did what my dad wanted to do, and they sailed the world. They had seen everything. They had been everywhere. And it was a nice boat. Like, when he built it, it was the first of its kind, pretty much. Like, nobody had ever seen a trimaran home build like he built it, that size. It was massive, 44 feet, you know, and you're like, that's not that many feet. But as a boat with 3 holes, and it's 23 feet across, 44 feet wide. Technically 42, but 44 because there's 2 extra feet that are added to the back step, if you want to count that. Because there was a step on the back that you could like climb up from like your dinghy, which you would take from shore to the boat, and you would just walk up the steps in the back. 44 if you were to count that. But it was a huge boat, and he built it, and he just got too old for it. His kids grew out of it. And he's like, well, I'm going to sell it. And we weren't the first people he sold it to. He actually sold it to this guy named Aaron. And Aaron, we don't know too much about him except for the fact that he hated the boat. He got to a certain point where he sailed it down from Vancouver. Or we don't know where he sailed it down from, to be honest with you. Maybe Vancouver. Anyways, we just know that he hit some really rough waters. And it was so bad that he broke the hydraulic steering.
Oh my gosh.
He replaced a bunch of stuff, but he didn't really know what he was doing, so he messed up a bunch of stuff. And we know that because we got in contact with Kent and talking to him. He's like, that's not there anymore? Nope, that's not there anymore. He's like, what about this? And we're like, that's gone too. Like, the guy he sold it to just absolutely decimated it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say decimated, but he changed a lot, obviously. You know, it was still floating, and it wasn't leaking.
Right.
So he didn't decimate it.
Yes.
But he definitely went through a huge storm, and we know that because he broke the hydraulic steering, which a lot of boats have hydraulic steering, where when you turn the steering wheel, you get the rudder moves, right? And that's because there's a hydraulic ram underneath the boat that pushes the rudder whichever direction you want to. And it's kind of backwards, because if you turn the steering wheel to the left, the rudder is actually going to turn to the right, and then vice versa. You turn the wheel to the right, and the rudder is going to turn to the left. It's kind of backwards. It's weird how.
But do you turn right if you turn to the right?
So if you're turning it to the right, you will turn right.
Okay,
but the rudder moves left. The opposite way.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
And we know that he kind of messed it up. He broke the hydraulics because every time you turn the steering wheel, the rudder wouldn't move. And what he had to do is he took a rudder. We call it a tiller, is what you call it.
Okay.
In the sailing world, it's called a tiller. And it's basically just manually, you go down instead of hydraulics. You go down, you connect this massive pole or this little push thing, kind of like if you were to use like a little oar, I guess, to steer. You know, and you just connect it directly through the whole hole. Like, he literally drilled a hole through the bedroom all the way down into the back bedroom. There's an aft bedroom in the back. You put it all the way through the middle of the bedroom, down all the way to the rudder, and somebody would have to stand on the back of the boat and steer it by pushing the rudder.
Wow, dude.
Instead of actually being in the cockpit where you have the steering wheel.
Sure.
So he messed up a bunch.
Yeah.
That's in short, he messed up a bunch. And we had to fix a bunch. That was one of them. But my papa didn't really contribute to fixing too much. He kind of broke a lot more than he fixed. And that was another problem and a money hole that came into play. But it was super cool because we learned a lot, actually. We learned so much. And in the summer, not the summer, but in the winter time of 2020, it was literally during COVID, actually, that we got the boat. It was like 2020. We got the boat, 2020. So winter time of 2020, we sailed it down the coast. And the diesel was broken. Thanks to my papa, it was broken.
Was he with you on the trip?
He was with us on the trip, yes. And what we ended up doing, and this is so jerry-rigged, and I wouldn't suggest it for anyone who's learning how to sail or sailing in general. I wouldn't even tell anybody to do it. It was absolutely insane. Yeah. My dad was a little kooky. I don't know why he did it. My papa was a little nuts, but anyways.
It's hereditary.
But I was about to say, in retrospect, you learn a lot.
Sure.
I'm like, y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
And every time I tell the story, people are like, you're still alive to this day to tell the story.
To tell the tale, man.
And I was like, I'm going to have a lot of dad lore because it is wild. But we took it from Napa. Have you been to Napa before?
Not that I know of. It's up north, right?
Yeah, it's way up there. It's where Gavin Newsom keeps all this stuff.
Okay.
Actually, his boat was at the same boatyard that our boat was.
Oh, wow. Did you have lunch with him? Did you tell him what you think?
No. Okay. I mean, if I did, I'd be like, Newsom, get your crap together. Come on, get your crap together. We'll get into that in the politics section. But like, come on, Newsom, really? Like, you got a lot to fix, brother.
Yes.
Quit taking our money.
Yeah.
I mean, finally the roads are getting there, but still a work in progress. If that's the only thing where money's going into, then we got some problems, But, like, his boat was there. It was under construction. It was in this massive tarp, and you couldn't miss it. It was like a mega yacht tarp.
Right.
And we're like, wow, that's a really, really nice boat.
That's your tax dollars to work, man.
Peeked in there. Yeah. That's a really nice boat. Yeah. But we took our boat, and we did the bottom paint. And I remember this to this day because I sent Ella a picture. At that time, we were talking. We weren't like together, but we were talking.
Right. And
I sent her a picture of us painting the bottom of the boat because it needed a new bottom paint.
Sure.
And with boats, you get a copper paint. It's like a copper-based paint because it keeps the barnacles and stuff off of it for a particular amount of time. There's like a particular amount of time it keeps it off. But we repainted it. And we painted it black. My dad's like, I want it to be black. It's like, why? And he's like, it's a stealth boat, That was the whole idea behind it, was a stealth boat, Yeah. And he's like, we're going to use this to smuggle Bibles into places that need Bibles.
Okay.
And that was kind of his... I was like, okay, there's like he wanted to turn it into a real missions-based thing, or like a whole operation he wanted to turn it into. And he had so many big aspirations and dreams, but one of the biggest ones he shared with us constantly is like, I want to be able to build an orphanage in a place that I can pull the boat into, like the dock, and bring like Bibles and food and supplies when the world just goes kaput, And that was his whole idea. It was like, I want to have an orphanage where there's a bunch of kids where we save them from whatever they're going through, and we teach them, and we have like a whole school running and like this whole facility pretty much, And I was like, that sounds pretty. I mean, it sounds pretty methodical to me. Like you laid it all out. And,
sure.
He never drew up blueprints for anything.
He had it all up here, dude.
But it was all in his brain. And I wish he wrote it down, because the things that this guy, came up with, I was like, where did you pull that out of, Dad? Like,
right.
Where did you come up with that, you know? And a lot of people in the congregation know, just in talking to him, genius guy. But sometimes I was like, write it down, man. Write it down.
Yeah.
Like, where's the blueprints for this thing? And that was a big point of contention when we got the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, he would tell us to do something, and he would want it a very particular way. And we were like, okay, well, we're doing our best. Like, you want it a particular way, draw it out, map it out for us, do something that's going to help us picture it or envision it.
Right.
And then you would just tell us how to do it. And then you would get upset that it wasn't his way. And we're like, well, okay, then do it yourself. Like, come on, really? But, we like, okay.
Yeah.
So we put a bottom paint on it. We jerry-rigged, and this is what I said, I would not suggest this to anyone. We jerry-rigged an outboard motor on the back of this thing, down the steps in the back, like I was saying. And it had a wooden transom board on it. And a transom board basically is just this, literally, I don't know what you would call it, 2x8. Not thicker than a 2x8, 2x12. Maybe we cut it down. I'm not good with lumber. I was never in construction, but it was a thick board.
Okay.
And it was really thick, and we took a mount and we placed a mount on it. It's called a motor mount, and basically the way that motors work is it's got like I don't know how I'd explain this to the viewers, but it's got like it looks like this. I guess.
You see that, everyone? That's what it looks like.
I don't know if everyone can see that. Sorry, everybody.
I think they can see it. I think we're gonna hope that through some mystical, spiritual thing, they're able to see that right now.
I don't understand. If you're listening and you know who I am, just ask me and I'll show you what I'm showing Ryan now.
The Bible says with God all things are possible.
Amen.
I'm gonna hope that they can see that. So
I believe it. I'm believing with you here, Ryan. Yeah, I know it looked like that.
All right.
And you put it on the board, and so the transom board, the back of the motor had these 2 clamps, and you put the clamps on the board, and it would clamp onto the mount.
Okay.
And it would just stay there, and you would have to like screw these things in, kind of like screws, but they had like these round fat plates on it that would like you would screw it into. Oh, okay, kind of like that tool that holds you know the thing that you clip right here?
Like a clamp?
Like a clamp. Okay. Yes, like it had a clamp. Okay. And you would kind of clamp it onto the back of this transom board there. And we jerry-rigged it on the back. I mean, it was so jerry-rigged that when we pulled into Moss Landing, because we made it to Moss Landing, if you know where California's geography, Moss Landing is right smack dab in the middle of Port St. Louis to San Francisco area.
Okay.
It's like right smack dab in the middle.
Okay, so hang on. So you guys are taking a huge trip in the actual ocean with a motor
that's jerry-rigged. Yep.
That's just clamped onto the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
with 3 children.
No. It was just me, my brother Levi, my dad, and Papa.
Oh, okay.
My mom and my little brother Judah were following us by land.
Okay.
And
they were smarter.
They were
like, no, we're not getting on this boat.
My dad knew it was insane already, so he told them, he's like, you guys live on, you know, pretty much like you guys will live on to tell the story.
The legacy,
and but we're gonna take this down and hopefully pray that it goes well. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just like clamped on there. We drilled holes through the board, and we tied it to the stainless steel railing on the back of the boat. Okay. So it wasn't just like hanging there. We tied it on with a bunch of ropes and like zip ties, and like every type of weird knot that you could think of was tied into this thing, and it was holding up this 15 horsepower long shaft motor, which, by the way, thing is so heavy, and we had to put it on manually because there was no like crane or anything to lower this thing down onto the mount.
Right.
So we had to lift it by ourselves. It's so unconventional.
Probably took all 4 of you.
It did take all 4 of us.
Hernia surgery by the time you were done. Probably.
Absolutely. It was so true. Oh my goodness. So we had to lower it down by ourselves doing that. And the zip ties and holes through the wood with rope going through it, holding it all together. And it was just sticking in the water. We'd never been out on the ocean before either.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. That's a good first crash course.
First time for all of us being out on the ocean.
That's great, man. That's really cool.
So we took it down the Napa River because it was at the Napa Valley Marina, which is up kind of in the river area. And we took it out, and there was this bridge, and we were supposed to call ahead to open the bridge, because if the bridge wasn't open, the mast would hit the bridge, so it would pretty much break the whole mast off.
Right.
And we called ahead, we told them to open it, and we were going pretty quick. Like, we were cruising, right? And we were like, wow, we're cruising. Like, this is actually working really well, like better than we thought it would work.
Right.
And we get to the bridge, and the bridge is like not opening quick enough. We thought at least it wasn't opening quick enough.
Yeah.
So my dad, he's like, turn the motor off, put it in reverse. My papa goes over there, straight from forward to just yanks it in reverse. Like, just yanks the gearbox in reverse.
That's got to be good for it. Oh, no.
It was horrible for it. It was horrible for it.
Gosh,
but,
dude.
Man, I got to give props to Honda because they make things indestructible. Yeah. Literally, after that, I was like, we're toast. We're so done. Yeah. You know, but it still worked after that. Surprisingly. You know what's funny is we were middle of Napa River, almost out of it into the Sausalito Bay, almost into the bay in general. And we were headed out that direction, And this thing starts spitting oil right before the bridge because they were opening it. And the motor starts spitting oil. We're like, we haven't even gotten like 30 minutes from the marina, and this thing's spitting oil at us already.
Right.
Well, it's technically because my papa messed up. I mean, you can't just shove something in reverse that's going like 20 miles per hour and then just crank it in reverse all of a sudden and hope it works.
Well, you can because he did.
I mean,
You probably shouldn't, though. Yeah.
That's not healthy.
It's not the ideal way to do something.
No. So it's spewing oil, and we're like, great, now we're stuck here. But we fixed it. And it actually started working again. Praise God. And I was so surprised it worked. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And we made it. We made it all the way to Sausalito Bay. And I remember we didn't know anything about sailing. So my dad, we had this little Garmin that he bought right before we got on the boat. We had to go buy a bunch of things, fix it. And we put this little Garmin in a chart plotter pretty much.
Right.
And we charted a plot all the way from Napa Valley Marina all the way down to Port St. Louis. And it was just this purple line that we had to follow, and we're this little triangle on the purple line. Little did we know that if you zoom out, it's actually quite a bit more different land-wise. If you're like saying the scale now, it goes from 2 miles when you're zoomed way in to now 9 miles when you're zooming way out.
Right.
And we didn't know that. And my dad's like, figure it out. That was his thing. Like, go and figure it out, son. You got 24 hours to do it.
Yeah.
Watch YouTube, find out how to do it.
Nice, dude.
And I was like, great. Now I got to figure out how to chart a plot and not kill us all.
How did you view that, though? Were you like, challenge accepted, or were you like, oh, I didn't want to do this?
I didn't really want to do it.
Okay.
I was kind of angry at it, actually. I
yeah.
was really frustrated at it. But I poked around in there. I watched YouTube. I kept playing with it like an iPad. And I finally figured it out. I was like, I got it. You know, and I finally figured it out. And like I said, the distance is way different when you zoom out versus when you're zoomed way in.
Yeah.
So I put a course plotted with the line that we were supposed to follow 9 miles offshore. 9 miles, which you're like, 9 miles isn't that far. You know, that's from Santa Maria to like, I don't know, Santa
Almost
Maria
Nipomo.
to Nipomo, right? And
Yeah.
9 miles doesn't seem that far, but when you're in the ocean,
dude.
it makes a huge difference. 9 miles offshore,
You can't even see the shore.
you're barely seeing the shore.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's a huge difference. And
Yeah.
everything in the water moves so slowly. I mean, 6 knots is the fastest that most, I mean, unless you're on a racing boat, but typical boats, you're using sail and also the motor. 6 knots is the fastest you're going to go.
And 6
in the
knots
water.
equivalent to miles per hour.
Maybe
is
like
about
5.
That's it?
5. That's it. Slow. Really, really slow.
Wow, dude. No wonder they got rid of boat travel and they started using planes and stuff.
Let me check that, actually. I know it's slow. I'm going to use Safari real quick.
There you go.
What is, because I really want to know now that you say it, knots to mph, because I know it's slow. Oh, okay. So, well, that's a little faster. 1 knot is 1.15 miles per hour.
So it's about the same.
So it would be about 6 miles per hour, I guess.
Okay.
I was thinking it was 1 less,
Interesting.
but it's 1.1 more, I guess.
Okay.
So it'd be like 6,
Dude,
maybe 7 miles per hour.
that's terrible.
So it's so slow.
You can't travel that way.
So slow.
You can't travel the world doing that. You won't even,
And-
you'd be 95 years old by the time you get back around.
You know what's hilarious, actually? No, absolutely. You know what's hilarious, actually, is Kent, the guy who built the boat, right? It was funny because he said, oh, man, I got that thing going 25 knots on a wave down in the South Pacific over by Australia. I was like, 25 knots? Holy smoke! What kind of swells are you riding on? Like, those have got to be massive
It was
swells.
sea monsters, dude. I bet. Sea monsters were pushing him from the back.
I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
We're out here going 7, 8 miles per hour, 6 knots,
Yeah.
and you're out there going 25 knots.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, that would quadruple your travel time, dude.
Dude. Well, I mean, see, the thing is when somebody says they're going faster than maybe 6, 7 knots, you're like, okay, what swell were you riding?
Right.
Because the swell has a huge factor in
Oh,
that.
sure.
You know, if you're riding down the face of a massive swell, you're picking up speed so fast that that trough is going to really blow water everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You hit the back of the next swell and water's going right over the bow of the boat and everyone's getting wet.
Gnarly.
But anyways, 25 knots. Crazy when he told us that. We were like, no way. Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You know? But, right, we're taking it down. We get to about Sausalito Bay. And if you're familiar with San Francisco, there's Sausalito Bay there. There's Alcatrazes out there as well. You've got all the shipping lanes. And again, we've never been out in the ocean. We've never sailed before in our lives. We don't know the shipping lanes, which is a huge thing when you're in like San Francisco Bay.
Yeah.
Huge place for trade, especially those massive cargo ships. You look so tiny.
Yeah, I bet.
Compared to those things.
Yeah.
And we had a big boat. You look at our boat compared to the size of some of the other boats, and we're like, wow, our boat's pretty dang big.
Yeah.
And we're up next to this massive, cargo ship, and we're like, that thing's massive, like huge, like a floating city, pretty much. Yeah. Like one of those cargo things that probably sink our boat. Like one of those sea trains on our boat will definitely sink it. No questions asked, hands down. Yeah. So we're in the cargo lane because we didn't know where else to go. We're in the cargo lane in San Francisco Bay, and it's nighttime at this point. The sun had gone down. It's nighttime. And we're like, crap, well, we got to find a place to go and stay that we're not going to get run over or anything else like that. So we started researching places to go, and we ended up going to this place called Sausalito Bay. We anchored down there, and for us, it was really jittery for my dad and my papa because, they hadn't been out on the water in the ocean. We didn't really know what we were doing. For me and Levi, we were like, we're going to bed. See, like we've had enough fun for the day. We're going to bed. And we still have a long ways to go.
Right.
So we went to bed. We anchored down. My papa, praise God, knew how to actually put the anchor down the right way. Man.
You wake up, you're floating out in the middle of the way out there.
Yeah. Well, so, it would help us if that was the case. It would have helped us a little bit, because that's where we're headed anyways.
Sure.
But, we're anchored, and it was a pretty nice night. It was pretty calm, until the anchor, nothing happened. Just the anchor chain hit the front of the boat, which isn't a great sound. It kind of sounds like a screech.
Yeah.
And both my dad and my papa were like, what the heck was that? And we're like, well, we don't know. We're not floating anywhere. We're not going anywhere, so it doesn't really bother us. It wasn't a big deal. But the next morning, actually, this is hilarious. That night, we're so used to closing the toilet seat, right?
Yeah.
Us, men will leave the toilet seat open.
Right.
Sometimes. Most of the time, men will leave the toilet seat open.
Unless
you live with the woman.
Right, exactly.
And we have been. We live with my mom,
Right.
and she always tells us, close the toilet seat.
Yeah.
We always close the toilet seat. No questions asked. So we close the toilet seat.
Yeah.
My papa, he's been single for years before coming out to help us. We close the toilet seat on the boat.
Right.
He wakes up in the middle of the night. It's rocking everywhere.
I know where this is going.
It's rocking everywhere. He's trying to go to the bathroom, and then he screams. And the way the bathroom's set up is right in front of our room. Literally, you could walk out of the door from the bathroom, and then you would be the two beds that me and my brother were sleeping on.
Yeah.
And we were like, what are you screaming at?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, stop screaming. He's like, who put the toilet seat down? Who did that?
He's peeing all over himself.
2 a.m. in the morning, he's peeing on the toilet seat. And we're like, this is disgusting. Why didn't you just lift it up? And he's like, I don't close the toilet seat in my house. And he was so angry about that. We thought it was hilarious.
Funny.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If you ever want to have some fun, talk to a woman about the toilet seat thing. Because you'll get some really interesting answers out of that. Because, I venture places I shouldn't a lot of times, especially with my wife, and I ask these questions and stuff, and we'll get into a little debate about it. But it's all because my thought is guys have to sit down sometimes too. Yeah. Right? When we do number 2, we got to sit down, right?
Yeah.
And we don't. I can't remember a single time in my whole life where if the seat was up, I didn't just put it down and sit down. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I get it. Women have to sit down much more than men. I get it. Every time they go, they have to sit down.
Yeah.
At least I hope. I hope they're not trying to stand up, but sit down. I get it. But I'm like, what is the big deal with the toilet seat? Do you guys fall in the toilet sometimes? You sit down oh my gosh, I thought the seat was down. Now I'm sitting in the water. What's happening there? And how come we've never done that? But my wife has an answer that I never heard from anyone else. She says it's because when the toilet seat's up, it looks gross on the toilet.
Yeah.
That's her whole reason.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes more sense than a woman saying, I keep falling in the toilet. You keep leaving the toilet seat up, and I keep falling in the toilet. I'm like, why don't you check before you sit down? I mean, you have to go that bad? You just run there, guys, sit down real fast. Oh, no, I'm in the toilet. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
You just fall right in there. Yeah.
So, anyway, that's some fun you can have later.
Really...
You can ask Ella that question later.
I have to, yeah.
You guys can find out what.
Hilarious.
That'd be a good question to talk about now,
I will. Well, obviously for me, it's like I keep it close. And
sure.
Most women, they're like, I keep it close. And I'm just expecting her to be like, yeah, just close the toilet seat. For me, it's not really a big deal, but the toilet paper thing, that's a big thing.
You mean like
the
mullet
reverse mullet or
okay.
like the front way?
Which way do you go?
I'm like, the front way is so much easier accessible.
Yeah.
I get having it be more sanitary because it's the back way, and I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
But it's so much like I'm not trying to reach behind and grab the toilet paper from behind when I'm trying to wipe my bum or be in a hurry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I want to be able to reach it immediately and wipe.
Yes.
You know? Not wait for like 4 seconds while I try and grapple with the toilet paper roll.
Right.
You know?
I'm with you. Yeah, I don't trust people that do it the other way. No. That's the moment, usually the moment our friendship is over. I'm like, I don't think we can hang out anymore. I don't know.
No. That is it's super funny. No, but so it's a boat. So we wake up.
Yeah, your grandpa's peeing all over the
peed all over. He got super angry. So that was just a fun little fact, part of the story. There's so many little details that are hilarious. But, but we get out of Sausalito Bay. We get out under the Golden Gate Bridge. It's the next morning, and we're on our way. Oh, not really actually. Back up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Wake up in the morning. My dad wanted to check out the motor. I'm like, cool, we'll check out the motor. We had a kayak on the side of our boat that we just stuck there because our boat's so big. We just put it on like the side. There's 3. Let's see if I
like to use it, or just because it looks cool?
To use it, just in case, like like a life rafting case.
Oh, okay.
Like
in case you hit an iceberg, like in
poop,
Titanic. Or
something. Poop goes bad.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all bad. Here, I'll show you a picture of it. Oh, there you go. So there's the boat there, and
nice, dude.
For those of you who haven't seen this and you're at church, you can ask me for this picture.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's the boat itself, right? So
there's no sails on it. Where's the sails?
We put the sails
are
all down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're in that cover there. But we put the kayak. Oh, there it is, right? You see that orange thing over there?
Yeah.
That's a kayak, right?
Okay.
And this is the motor that we would use typically.
Is that's the one that's
the
clamped
one
on
that's
there?
clamped on there, yeah. Yep. We would take it off and put it on, though. We wouldn't leave it in the water because the salt water would destroy it. So we would take it off and put it on, and that was a nightmare. Like, I remember taking that thing off and being like, we got to put it on again? No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, there's kind of like a picture of it, and cool. I had a better picture of it here somewhere. There you go. That's a good representation of how we would get it up and down. Dude. There's my dad sitting there with the motor there.
Okay.
My mom's over here, my brother holding the rope on each side of him while he sits and carries pretty much the weight of it.
Okay.
Because if you drop that thing in the water, which is right here on the other side of the picture, you're done for.
Right.
And I'm standing in a dinghy that's attached to the boat by a rope, trying to make sure it goes on to mount properly while the boat's moving and the dinghy's moving and everything's moving.
That's crazy, dude.
It's all gnarly, but anyways.
That was before your brother had the cool longer.
Yeah, he had the big afro going at that time.
Okay.
He had the big red curly afro going at that time. But
he still does have the long hair now, right?
No, he kind of trimmed it back.
Oh, did he really?
And I'm kind of glad because for a long time he would hide behind it. Like he would kind of hide his eyes behind it.
Okay.
He's a real soft-spoken guy, but he really needs to...
He comes into the library, and I talk to him in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Which library?
Santa Maria.
Santa Maria Library.
Yeah.
Oh, he does?
Where I work, yeah.
Okay.
I work over there, and he comes in sometimes and sees me.
And
again, I knew him by face just because of the youth group and stuff, right? Mm. And, I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, he came in. He came in a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him, hey, your brother's going to be on the podcast pretty soon. He goes, you have a podcast? I go, yeah.
Yeah, so we go under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
And that was really cool. That was really, really cool. I mean, I have a video of me just filming myself going under the Golden Gate Bridge.
Nice.
It was so cool because the perspective that we had was totally different than what my mom and my little brother had, Judah.
Okay.
They had it from the shoreline where they were seeing a little tiny speck going under the Golden Gate Bridge. And they're like, look, there they are. And we had sails up and everything, and we were cruising.
Okay. So they were on land, but they were actually pacing you to where they could see you the whole time in the water.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, they were.
Okay.
So they were trying to follow us the best they could. Obviously, at some points along the shoreline, you can't follow us.
Sure. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there were a couple times where they couldn't follow us. But
yeah,
we got out under the Golden Gate Bridge, and that was a fun day. I remember I was like, dude, I could totally get used to sailing. First 6 hours, amazing. I was like, this is so fun, so great. There's dolphins following us because there were dolphins out there.
That's so
There
cool.
were dolphins following us. We had the sails up. We were cruising along, and then a couple hours later, the seasickness started to set in for
no.
a while. It was like the excitement had worn down.
Yeah, it took that long for that to happen?
It was a while, man. It was a
Weird.
while. But we're troopers, we're trying to work through it.
Yeah,
we're not gonna puke,
Yeah.
we're working through
Was
it.
it all of you were getting seasick?
All of us.
Oh no.
Like Levi, I mean, you saw the boat. He was just
Yeah.
kind of laying on the side there on the front. And it was such a stable boat and it was so high up off the water that water wasn't splashing over with the swell. And so he was sitting there. He laid on the deck, pretty much with his hood on and his life jacket, just laying on the deck like a mummy, just right there, soaking in the sun. And for the duration of the trip, for the most part, he was sleeping. I remember so many times I was like, Levi, I need your help.
Yeah.
And he's sleeping. And I'm like, why are you sleeping? That was his way to kind of exit himself and kind of pretend like everything's okay, is sleep.
Yeah. It's a good escape, man.
And that was his escape,
Like dreaming about being on land, and back when life was good.
Right? Right? So we thought we were going to die out there.
Yeah.
For when we started puking, and it was nighttime too. We did a full 21 hours from San Francisco all the way down to Moss Landing. We did a full 21 hours. But we technically stopped in Santa Cruz. Okay. Because we all were so seasick that we just had to stop. Like, we didn't have any other choice but to stop. So we used a depth finder, because we had that little Garmin was also a depth finder. Okay. And so we saw how deep it was, and we were like, well, we got about this much rope length for anchoring down. So we just anchored right off the Santa Cruz pier there. Okay. Which, by the way, you could smell the weed.
I'll bet.
Out from. I bet.
Yeah.
And again, it's wintertime.
Yeah.
And there's swells, and so the swells are pretty big. It's wintertime, and we were being chased by a storm the whole time we're coming down. And so we stopped that night, and I remember trying to get to Santa Cruz was so difficult because it was dark outside. You couldn't see anything. You're out in the middle of the ocean. You're really hoping that the swell doesn't it's our first, you're terrified. No experience whatsoever. Sure. Like, first time doing anything like this, And every time we heard a swell come up, you would hear the motor start to gargle. Because the way the motor was situated, it would come out of the water. It would just go gargle, 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 gargle. And you're like, well, great. Like, we're not going anywhere if it's gargling and we don't have the sails up, so we're not going forward. Sure. And my dad ended up puking. My dad went over to puke.
Even your dad, huh?
My dad started going down. He'd never been on the ocean either. Okay. So he had to go, and he went back into the back bedroom to just take a nap. I was like, Dad, I need you to sail. Man, he puked off the side. And he's like, all right, I'm done. It's nighttime. And he disappeared. Yeah. And my papa, he'd been out on the ocean. I was like, Papa's probably not going to puke. So Papa, can you steer while I puke? Right. And he puked. Oh, no. I was like, that's when you know it's bad. Right. So he's puking. My brother's asleep. Levi's not really that much of a help. And I'm like, if I don't steer, we're all going to die. Right. We're going to get stuck out here. Yeah. And so I'm steering. I steered for a good 3-4 hours. Oh, my gosh. Before my dad finally came back up and he's like, oh, thanks for the nap. I just had to relieve myself and puke. And he puked off the side. It was a whole puking fest, pretty much. Dude. It was lovely. You just hear everyone puking. Yeah. And we made it to Santa Cruz, anchored there. And then we woke up and we were out of gas. And I kid you not, this whole time coming down, it was about every 2 hours-ish, we would have to go with a gas can on the back of the boat and fill up this gas container that was directly hooked up to the outboard motor. And it was so sketchy because the deck was so slick, and if you stepped in the wrong place, you're done. You're gone. Nobody would know you disappeared. So every 2 hours or so, we would have to go back there with the gas can and fill up the gas that directly was linked to the motor to make sure it kept going. Yeah. And I remember it was pitch black out, and I had to wake Levi up. I was like, Levi! He's like, what? He's still puking. He literally just got done puking again. Yeah. And we had to go fill it up, and it was really sketchy. But we ran out of gas when we got to Santa Cruz. And my mom, she was freaking out this whole time. She was terrified for her life, I was like, Dad's not awake yet. It's 6 a.m. We need gas. How are we going to get gas? And we're just anchored out there. And she's like, well, you're going to have to come in to get it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's winter time.
Get in the kayak, dude.
Like, and that's what she said. She's like, get in the kayak. But if you don't know Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz, especially where the boardwalk is during the wintertime, has some massive waves.
Oh, really?
And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
I am not getting in a kayak to go and pick up gasoline and somehow try and figure out how to get into shore without dying or drowning.
Without being shark food.
And literally like getting crushed by a wave and then try and get back out in those waves with all these gas tanks that I'm somehow going to fit in the kayak and hopefully float in.
Right.
You know, I was like, that's insane. I told my mom there is absolutely no way. And she was trying to talk to me the whole time and talk me down. And be like, you gotta hurry up and come out and get it because the waves are getting bigger. I was like, Mom, just relax. Let Dad wake up.
Yeah.
So she finally found this guy who came out and gave us some gas.
Okay.
They came out in a boat and they gave us some new gas cans. We siphoned a bunch of gas. That was super nice of them.
Yeah.
Boaters US. It's kind of like AAA, but for boaters.
Okay.
It's called Boaters US.
Nice.
And you can become a member just like AAA. And they came out and gave us gas, and we kept going on our way. That day, less of us puked because we had gotten the seasickness out of the way, but we were still trying to get our sea legs down. Obviously, we were like, we don't want to eat anything. It was a horrible day the day prior and that night.
Do you eventually just get used to it?
You do.
So you could be out there puking 2-3 days, and then eventually you're going to just get used to it.
Yeah, and it's different per person. You know, like my brother, he puked a bunch. Me, I puked once or twice, and I was like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
You're just over, it didn't really affect me that much. And I know people that it'll really take a toll on them. They're like, I don't want to go back out on the ocean ever again after that experience. They'll be puking the whole time, 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, you eventually get used to it. You do.
Okay.
So you don't really puke all that much the next couple of times. But yeah, anyways, we finished Santa Cruz, kept going. We made it to Moss Landing, and when we pulled into Moss Landing, Moss Landing is kind of tricky. It's kind of like Morro Bay where you have a narrow inlet to try and get into, and our boat's super wide.
Right.
All that's docked at Moss Landing is a bunch of monohulls. And so we didn't really know if we were going to be able to fit in there, and we did. We fit in there, but our keel, which is like the center part that kind of holds the boat centered, is 6 feet. So from like the actual base of the boat, it's 6 feet into the water, and we got stuck. We're like, great, you know, but we were in the channel and we got stuck because it was so shallow. And I was like, oh no, we're gonna get stuck. We're all terrified. We're like, what are we gonna do? So we called the harbor patrol guy, and he was really cool. The harbor master, such a cool guy. He comes out. He's like, what are you guys doing out here with this massive boat trying to come into my, but he looked at our boat. He's like, you guys know how to sail or anything? Obviously. Nope.
We've been doing it.
No. He's like, you guys are still alive, you know? I'm like, yeah, we've been going. And he looks at our motor, little rigged up thing that we did, totally rednecked it.
Yeah.
And he's
See,
like,
this is the kind of stuff people write books about.
No,
like some guy needs to come in and write a book about this story, and then they'll make a movie and they'll have some young guy play you, and it'll be on the whole thing. He survived on this boat with a duct taped motor on the back,
Absolutely. No, I mean, and I agree so much, and I would love it if anyone who's listening to this is actually an author and would like to make a really cool book out of this, and I think a lot of people have told me that, and I would love to make one. I myself am not an English person at all.
Yeah. We'll write it in Spanish then.
Maybe. Ryan, I can barely speak English.
Me too.
I'm still learning some of the words in English. I don't know that I can do Spanish quite yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a crazy trip. We get to Moss Landing, the guy's like, you guys don't know how to sail, dude. Just by looking at the boat. You guys don't know what you're doing, dude.
Right.
No idea, sir.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? This boat just left. You could take their spot. So we stayed in that spot.
Oh, nice.
For a week. We stayed in that spot. And our boat's big enough to where we could have slept on it. But we were like, land. Because for 21 hours, we hadn't been on land.
Right.
And so for us getting back on land, we were like, rocking back and forth trying to get our land legs
you
back.
You probably get land sickness at that point.
Oh, we were like, what is this?
And your mom and your brother were there too?
Yeah, they met us there at Moss Landing because we had reception while we were out in the ocean contacting them.
Okay.
And we were like, this is where we are. This is our location, And I don't know that I mentioned this, but our radio also didn't work.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. So we were awesome. Like, if we got stranded, we were actually stranded. Like, we would have died. Like, stranded, you know? So it was so nice to be back on land, but my dad wasn't done there. He's like, no, we're taking this all the way to Port St. Louis.
Okay.
It cannot stay here at Moss Landing.
Right.
So we had to wait a week because
the whole point of this trip is to get it from Canada.
No, from
Napa to
Port St. Louis.
So you could keep it there
So we could keep
as
it
your
there.
own boat.
Yeah.
Because you live close by there. That's why that's your port. Okay, gotcha.
Yep, absolutely. That's it.
This wasn't like a vacation trip. This was literally just picking up the used car and driving it back home, basically. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we were like, well, that's fun. So we went to Sonic, and let me tell you, I've never had a burger that good in my life. And I know Sonic doesn't even have the best food. They're known for their drinks.
Yeah.
But I was like, food is so good.
Yeah. No, dude, honestly, I think Sonic Burger is one of the best fast food burgers around.
Really?
I really think that. Because we don't have one here, obviously, but they have them up in Washington where my cousin lives.
Yeah.
And we go over there and get them. I'm like, this is bomb. Like
yeah.
I mean, it's not up to, I think Charlie's is the best burger in all of town.
Okay.
Personally.
Where's that?
In Old Orchid.
Old Orchid.
Yeah,
okay.
it's right by Far Western.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'll have
a little
to try it.
tiny. It's got a smiley face on the sign. Yeah, it's really good burgers.
I'll have to try them.
Yeah, it's really good. But I put Sonic's is up there. I'll put Sonic above McDonald's and not Wendy's. I like Wendy's a lot too, but like Burger King, Jack in the Box.
Really?
I'll put Sonic above all those. Yeah.
I don't like any of those. I wouldn't rank those at the bottom. So I'm kind of on the
Okay.
reverse there of you.
Okay.
I will argue Wendy's is pretty good though.
Yeah.
I do like.
Do you know why?
I do.
Do you know
like
why the burgers taste so much better?
Is there,
Because
like, some science
they're square shaped.
Yes. Okay.
That's
I
why.
was thinking about that. I was
That
like, every
Dave
time
guy
I get
figured it out.
every time I get a burger from Wendy's, they're square. They're not round.
I know.
So that's
and that brings out more flavor or something. That Dave guy was a genius. Dave, what was that? Dave Thomas, I think. Yeah,
Dave Thomas. Didn't he make the company after his sister or something?
His daughter.
His daughter.
His daughter was Wendy, I believe.
Okay.
I might get that wrong.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Super sick. Yeah.
But
we had the best burger ever. We went to Sonic.
Okay.
It was the greatest burger.
Any
of my
food
life.
would have been the best food of your life.
Oh, absolutely.
After being on the ocean for that long, what were you guys eating on the ship?
A bunch of snacks. I mean,
Okay.
my mom had packed us a bunch of terrible food, like your typical travel food,
Like trail mix and
trail
granola
mix
bars
and
stuff?
granola bars, and we had some sandwich stuff that we
Okay.
packed on there.
Okay.
And all that stuff. But, you
Yeah.
know, once we left for 21 hours, we were stuck with whatever the food was on the boat. And all of us, we were snackers. So we pretty much went through all that pretty quickly.
Gone.
So it was gone.
Pretty soon you're fishing for,
But, I mean, that was
sushi.
within the first couple of hours without seasickness. Obviously, after seasickness, it had just come out of us.
You don't want nothing.
Every single one of us were like, we're not eating again.
Yeah, ever. Well, boys, I guess we're going to starve to death out here.
So they were done. They were like, no, we're not eating, you know.
Yeah.
But we had that burger. We had to go home because we had school because we brought it down within Christmas break time period.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to wait for the weekend to like come back and do it again because that was our Christmas break that we did that in 2020. And we were being chased by the storm the whole time. The guy, the harbor master, when they pulled us out, a bunch of guys with boats came and like pulled us out of the sand. And me and Levi had to get on either side of the boat and kind of rock it to get the sand off of like the bottom of it, so we could pull in. But he's like, "You guys have been chased by a storm this whole time, and you guys made it, and you don't know how to sail?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no idea, man.
There you go.
And the swell was pretty big. I remember like I would not suggest going out in the wintertime, but the harbor master was like, "Those are some pretty big swells out there, you know, probably like 15 feet swells." And we were unbothered. Yeah. You know, we were like, okay, and like we were puking obviously. And we were terrified obviously.
Right.
But we didn't know
other than that.
we didn't know what that meant. You know, 15-foot swells? Really? No wonder why it was such a bumpy ride, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, anything after that would have been super nice and clean for us. We're like, we took it out one time with Judah and my mom on it. And it was like, oh, this is such a nice day to go out. Yeah. And I'm like, this is nothing.
Your mom's like, this is great. What were you guys talking about? You know? You're like, you weren't there, man.
So, I mean, we went home and we came back the next weekend. And I had to do a class on a Friday on Zoom, actually.
Because of COVID?
Because of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was COVID time.
Yeah.
And I had to do a class in the boat. Actually, I remember it. They were like, where are you? I was like, well, I'm on my boat. And everyone at the harbor was like, dang, that's such a nice boat.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't seen a boat that big before. I mean, I showed you a picture. Everyone's like,
sure.
Dang, that's awesome, you know?
You're like, oh, yeah, check out the motor.
Yeah, right.
See this here? This is called a clamp.
It was quite the journey to Moss Landing.
Yeah.
And my dad and my papa got into an argument because with particular boats, the sail works differently.
Okay.
So on a multi-hull boat, you would have the sail that only goes out to about a 45-degree angle. On a normal monohull boat, which is just a typical boat that you would see out there that doesn't have multiple like holes, it goes all the way out. Like it'll swing to almost a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
But on a multi-hull, it only goes 45. So my papa, the whole time we were out at the ocean, he's like, it should swing out just this far. He's arguing with my dad the whole time. That was a whole argument. And my dad's like, all right, that's fine, but you're not coming with us next time.
That's it, yeah.
So he sent him home. He lived in Arizona at the time.
Okay.
So he's like, nope, you're going home. We'll pay for your rental car to go home. So we sent him home. So we did the next leg by ourselves from Moss Landing.
Okay.
Me, Levi, and my dad.
So your grandpa didn't even make it back to Port St. Louis?
No, he didn't come back with us.
Okay.
He only went down from Nampa to Moss Landing.
He had a Sonic Burger, and then he got on a car.
And he left, because my dad and him were super angry at each other because of the sail.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, it's supposed to go this far. My dad's like, no, it's supposed to go this far. So we looked it up, and it's like, no, Papa, you're actually wrong. But he wasn't able to be wrong.
Right.
The stubborn
Some people
old
are never wrong. I've met people like that. They've literally never been wrong ever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's just never happened.
There's no humility with those people. How are you supposed to talk to them? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But so he sent home. We sent him home. We're like, you're not going to destroy the boat. You've messed up enough. Obviously, you messed up a bunch when we were in Napa.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, you're done.
Okay.
We'll see you later. So we sent him back.
So the trek to Port St. Louis is just you, your brother, and your dad now.
My dad.
Okay.
And my mom and Judah were still following us, obviously.
On the land.
And at this time, we were more well prepared. We knew what to expect. Mm-hmm. We knew that we were going to probably encounter seasickness again. Our papa knew how to sail. He showed us how to sail because he had his own sailboat. So he knew how to sail. And that's why the reason we brought him along.
So you kind of got rid of your captain now.
So he was kind of like the guy we were counting on to kind of teach us everything.
Sure.
But it was kind of us learning and him telling us what to do for the most part. So me and Levi learned really quickly how to do everything.
Okay. But how long of a trip is that from Moss Landing to Port St. Louis?
It just depends on how fast you're going.
Like if you went, whatever the standard, would you say the standard was, like 6 knots?
Yeah.
So if you went 6 knots, let's just say nonstop, about how long would that take you? Like with no bathroom breaks?
Probably 19 hours.
Okay.
20 hours, 19, 20 hours.
Okay.
It took us 22.
Okay.
21, 22, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But yeah, it took us a little bit longer than the standard because obviously we don't know what we're doing still.
Yeah.
We were a little bit more well prepared than the first leg of the trip, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the second leg of the trip, we didn't have Papa kind of leading us through how to do everything or how to fix things.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, well, now we're really on our own. But we were well prepared we took Dramamine, we took V8. My brother swears by V8. Levi's like, V8's great! I was like, I hate V8. Like, it sucks.
Like V8 or V8 Splash?
The juice, whatever the canned juice is.
The straight up V8.
The V8. He loves it. It's like the soupy stuff, you know what I'm talking about?
You feel like you're drinking a can of tomato soup that's cold?
He swears by it that it helps him with his motion sickness.
That's got to be placebo.
And I'm like, there's no way. I don't know who you heard that from.
Yeah.
He didn't hear it from anybody.
Okay.
He just swears by it that it helped him.
Yeah.
I was like, you're nuts. I hate that stuff. It's gross. But he said it helped. He didn't puke at all the rest of the way down.
Okay. Did
the
you?
Second leg, no, I didn't either.
Well, there you go.
So we got over it pretty quick.
And you didn't drink V8?
I didn't drink V8.
How about your dad? Did he puke it all the way back?
No, he didn't either.
And did he drink V8?
I think he did. He drank
okay.
one,
All right. Well, see, now you ruined your control group now, so you don't really know
if
it was the V8 or if it was not the V8. Because if all you guys were fine anyway, I don't know.
That is true. And I guess we could have been the tests for that. But
the test would have been on the way there or on the way where you guys were thrown up to have one of you start chugging the V8. And then if that guy just all of a sudden I feel great, guys, and the rest of you are still yakking, then it would have been like, hey, there's some evidence for the claim about the V8 juice, you know?
I tried it again when we went out another time just to see. I can't get over the taste of V8. V8's just nasty.
There's a reason for that, dude. Because it's gross. That's the reason why. It tastes nasty. You can't even have an acquired taste for V8.
No, I agree with
it's
you.
beyond that. If you're drinking V8 now, if you're drinking it because it's really helping your sickness, hey, great. There's lots of medications that taste nasty, but we take them because they work.
They work,
right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there you go. But if somebody's drinking V8 and they're doing so because this is just delightful, this is the best. You go ahead and drink your Dr. Pepper over there. I'll take this V8. See, I would probably have that guy committed because there's something wrong with that guy. That's not firing on all cylinders upstairs.
No. And I know what definitely wasn't that. And I don't think he would say and swear by that it's so good that he'll drink it as like his go-to drink.
Yeah.
But he says that it helps him with his motion
sickness.
sickness.
It's a miracle cure.
And he tried telling Ella when we went to Six Flags once that she should try it before she goes on the rides. I was like, dude...
Unless you're a vomiter on rides, you don't want to throw up V8 on a ride.
No.
That's not going to be good.
No. So I was like, dude, you know what? Just let her stick to the Dramamine.
Okay.
You know, so anyways, we took Dramamine. We were so much more well prepared. My mom got us these bracelets. We put a pouch behind our ear. So we did a couple things.
Bracelets before. I've seen those.
We did a couple things, and none of us puked. Obviously, there were times where we were like, ooh, you know, because we had that thought that, it might come up again. Because we definitely hit some rough swells. I think we hit, I don't know if it was worse, but probably pretty the same swells coming back from Moss Landing to Port St. Louis, similar to the ones that we encountered the first leg.
Yeah.
If not a little bigger, potentially. Because I remember one time on the second leg, it came over the bow. And we're like, whoa, that's the first time for that. Like, so we got a little scared and timid because our boat, it sits really high off of the water.
Right.
And we were like, that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
And it sucks because the way that our boat is, a lot of new boats have this thing called the roller furling, which allows you to roll in the sail automatically just by pressing a button. You hold the rope, and so the sail will just wrap itself.
Like automatically.
Automatically. Our boat, you had these little clamps that you had to open and then put on this wire every time that you wanted to do it. And you had to put, I think it was like, I didn't count them, maybe 25, maybe 30 little clamps on the wire. And then you'd pull it up manually and you'd crank it up with this winch.
So it takes some time.
So it takes a little bit of time, but the way that the wire was, it's right there in front of the anchor box. So you're standing on literally the front of the boat, clipping these things in while not trying to fall off the boat.
Yeah.
And then you have to make sure that it's all straight and they're not crooked. And you can't put them on backwards or you pull up the sail and it's all backwards.
Yeah.
Well, we left Moss Landing. And we're going down, and it was a good day. Like, it was a great day sailing. It was beautiful out. We didn't really have any complaints. And then it was always the nighttime that came, and we would always get freaked out by the nighttime because you can't see anything.
You can't see the sea monsters out
there.
there.
Horrible. You can't see anything.
Yeah.
And I swear, like I swear on, I'm not even gonna swear, but anyways, I'm not gonna swear. But I could promise you, I would bet money on it that there were some whales out there at nighttime.
I bet.
And when we look back later, that particular San Simeon area, or like all of Highway 1 area particularly, all the way from like Moss Landing, I guess, down to where we were going. Well, San Simeon, technically, Cayucas, almost Morro Bay. That whole stretch from Morro Bay up to Moss Landing is notorious for seaweed and whales.
Yeah.
Known for it.
Yeah.
And it was nighttime. It's probably about midnight, 1 a.m. We're still going. We're going nonstop. We're not stopping anywhere. And we were going. And we thought about stopping in San Simeon because it was a nice little protected area from the wind and like the storm. But we looked at the weather. We looked at like all the details and everything. And we're like, if we stop, we're going to get stuck in either seaweed because there's a ton of seaweed out there by San Simeon.
Yeah. And
a lot of people will get their propellers stuck in seaweed. And then you got to go out off the boat, cut off all the seaweed with a dive knife or something. I'm like, I'm not getting in that water. Who knows what's in that water? And especially with all the whales out there and sharks potentially and who knows what else. I don't want to get down in there. I'm like, Levi, do you want to get down in there? We're like, all right, we're not taking a break then. So we just kept cruising. We cruised right past it. But it was around like 1 a.m. when we were like, oh, maybe it wasn't 1 a.m. It was more like, I don't know, this is like 2 years ago. This is 2021, in January of 2021. So it's, my brain's foggy, but it was nighttime. I can tell you that much. It was dark out.
Yeah.
And there was no moon. It was like pitch black, no moon. So we were just relying on the GPS. Again, we had that little GPS, little triangle.
Yeah.
Us with that purple line, just following that purple line down the coast, and that was it.
Did you have like one of those radar things like in the movies where you could see like big fish under you? Like you could track if there was whales around you? Like
no.
On the little blipper?
That would have been really cool. No, I'm sure like the GPS or the Garmin that we had could have done that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I didn't get that far. I was busy trying to chart us and make sure we were going in the right direction, you know?
I didn't tell you yet but you're talking about this, all the sailing and the water and stuff. Like I have probably the biggest fear I have is water. Really? Like I'm like, have you ever seen Unbreakable? That movie Unbreakable? Oh, okay. Well, then the reference won't make any sense. But yeah, like I don't know how to swim. First of all, that's probably a big part of it. I bet you if someday I learn how to swim.
Yeah.
So like my son-in-law is he's been a lifeguard. Yeah, he's a great swimmer. Like he's offered to teach me. So someday maybe he'll teach the old guy how to swim. But like I'm terrified of water.
Oh wow.
Terrified. Like I cannot think of any worse thing than to be in water that I can't touch the bottom. That's the freak, especially in the ocean because there's monsters in there, dude.
Yeah.
But like, so you mentioned the whales and nighttime, and one of the scariest scenes in any movie I've ever seen in my life is in Castaway. Have you seen the movie Castaway?
I have seen Castaway, yes.
So there's the part where he's out on the raft thing.
Yes.
And he wakes up in the middle of the night and it's all dark. And all he hears is the sound of the whales. And he looks like to his left and his right, and he just sees these big eyeballs of these whales. And I'm like, dude. And of course, they're not hurting him.
Yeah, no,
they actually help him. They're like good. The whales are like, they're not like great white sharks. They're like, they're cool.
Yeah.
But dude, I would have just died right then and there. That would have killed me. That would have just stopped my heart dead cold on that raft. And I'd be like, all right, we're done. All right, now the sharks can come eat me because I'm dead anyway. Yeah, so it's bad. So, but I mean, just listening to you talk about this, I'm thinking to myself, if I was on that boat, you guys would have just killed me and thrown me off the side because I would have been destroying your trip. You'd have been like, oh man, this guy.
Leave him for him.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It would have been like Jonah. You'd be like, throw this guy off the boat so the waves stop or whatever. But So anyway, so listening to your stories is kind of like, it's like intriguing to me at this end, but terrifying at the same time because I think, wow, dude, you guys really did that.
And I think people who would have, I mean, everyone we talked to that we did this, even captains out there, they're like, you're insane. Mm-hmm. Like I've talked to his name's Greg Wall. You know PJ Wall maybe?
No.
His name's Greg Wall and he builds boats. He's actually building his own boat right now. I got a chance to go and see it. It was really, really cool. Well, you know Leslie Fuller?
Yes.
Yeah, you know George Fuller?
Yes, that's Hannah's mom.
Yes. So he used to have a boat. They used to have a really cool boat, actually.
Okay.
Before he passed away, me and Greg went out to go look at it. Or maybe it was after. And we went to go look at it and diagnosed how bad the issues were on it. Because we were both pretty familiar with boats. I mean, after the story, I was
like... You have to be after
I'm pretty familiar with these by now.
You're a pro at that point.
You know, I was like, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And Greg, he did it for a long time. I mean, there's so many stories that Greg has. He's older, but he was a boat mechanic. He knows a lot about boats.
Yeah.
We went and checked out his boat, but that was cool. And I was asking him if you knew Greg because he came out a couple times to help us fix a couple things on the boat after my dad passed away. But that was really cool. I learned a lot about boats with him and just talking to him and stuff.
Nice.
But even telling him the story, he's like, what? You're insane. Like, really? Like, that's... And then the funny part is like, he's super up to regulations and Coast Guard regulations. He's kind of one of those guys that's kind of like a Coast Guard regulation guy. Like, it's got to be this way. And so when I was talking to him, he said, like, dude, that's insane. How is that Coast Guard regulated? I was like, it's not. It's definitely not. Nothing was Coast Guard regulated. Like, your radio is supposed to work. Your flares aren't supposed to be, like, years old and expired.
Right.
And, I mean, he just went through a whole list of things on our boat. He's like, who did this? And I was like, well, it was already unconventional. We're just working with what we have here.
Yeah.
Because Kent, he did everything himself.
Yeah.
Before Aaron came along and destroyed everything or moved everything.
Yeah.
It was all Kent who replaced it. He built the boat. He knew what needed to be fixed, and he knew how to fix it.
Okay.
And he fixed it with the most unconventional things ever.
Yeah.
He'd take some cord and be like, this will work.
Yeah.
Put it together. Right. And he knew it worked because he built it.
Yeah. He must have been a hillbilly kind of guy.
Oh, I don't know, actually.
You give them some duct tape and or whatever, they'll fix something.
I'm sure he was like a Mr. Fix-It. I can tell you that much. Okay. I don't know that he was a hillbilly. But I can tell you as a Mr. Fix-It, definitely.
Okay.
But anyways, we take the boat down. It's nighttime, and there's definite whales on the side of the boat. Okay. I mean, definite whales.
You could see them? You
could see them. You could see them. And I was looking, and it's probably from here to there, and we're in a massive boat. You know, I'm like, our boat's pretty big, and everyone at Moss Landing is like bragging about how big our boat was.
Right.
And seeing it on the dock, I'm like, we got a big boat.
Right.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now being up next to one of these suckers, I'm like, I feel tiny.
Yeah.
I'm like a shrimp compared to this thing.
Yeah.
And the scariest part was, because it was nighttime, you didn't even get a good look at them.
Yeah.
You just got to see the shadow.
Yeah.
And it's dark. There's no moon. So you just see a shadow of this massive creature.
This is a horror movie right here. That's what this is. This is frightening, dude. Because what if, let's just say they're chilling, and they just go up under you, and they just decide to come up, or they decide to flip their tail or something. You're just going to go flying.
I don't know, man. It was terrifying. It was really, really scary.
I bet.
Really terrifying. And I just see off to the right, and in front of us, too, massive black objects. And my dad's like, hey, what's that? I'm like, I know that's not land. I'm telling you that's not land.
Yeah.
Because land's way over there.
Right.
So I don't know what that is, but that's not land.
But let's go faster to get away from it. Keep going.
And my brother, Levi, he's like, I don't remember whales because he's sleeping the whole time.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you the whole story.
He's smart.
He's sleeping
still. I would
still.
have slept the whole time. There's whales out there in water. I'm sleeping. See you later. Wake me up when we get there.
He was sleeping in the cockpit. You know, and the way that the guy built the boat, inside the cockpit, it's a bathtub pretty much, like bathtub seats.
Okay.
And he built it that way, and it was a huge U that he put together, bathtub seat in for the cockpit. Yeah. The cockpit's massive. So Levi's just sleeping right along like the inside of the cockpit on like the chair, just with a sleeping bag, his hood on, and just chilling.
Okay.
And every 2 hours, again, we'd have to get up, and we'd have to go fill up the gas. And I remember while the whales were there, actually, I remember having to get up and go and fill it up. And I was like, Levi, come with me, please. Come with me. I don't want to fall off the boat. And then all of a sudden, like, one of these things decides to open its mouth or something. Right. Like Jonah, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, you got to hold me, dude. Yeah. You got to hold me because I got to pour the gasoline and not fall off the boat at the same time as, like, making sure it's going in there and not spilling everywhere.
Because this is nighttime, so
it's nighttime.
Can't see real good anyway.
Right? And it was terrifying. But, the sun started coming up, and I think prior to that, like leaving Moss Landing, I actually had to climb the way that the center sail on the mast worked is there's the line and it pulls up the sail. Well, there were square triangles on the side of the mast that allowed you to climb up the mast in case, like, to fix the light bulb or to fix anything.
Yeah.
And the rope that's supposed to be straight up and down would flap and get stuck on them. So we tried to hoist the mainsail up, and I had to climb all the way up to the top in the middle of the ocean while this thing's rocking back and forth like crazy.
I would have never done that. There is no amount of money you could have paid me to do that. None.
And my dad's like, you got to do it, son. You got to do it. Face your fears. I was like, Dad, I'm going to die if I fall off this thing.
Right.
So I'm just holding on for dear life. One rung at a time, baby.
Oh, my gosh.
I was just climbing up the mast. And again, we're out in the middle of the ocean, probably 10, 12-foot swells in the daytime. And the whole boat is, like, on the actual boat surface, it doesn't feel bad at all.
Yeah.
You can barely notice it. It's kind of like a raft. You're just kind of drifting.
Sure.
But when you get up there, and you're on the skinny pole, and you're like...
Oh, yeah.
You're like, whoa!
Yeah.
So I'm up there, I'm holding on, and I had to get the rope unstuck. And the hard part was keeping it unstuck, because I get it unstuck, and then it would get stuck again, and I had to climb right back up and undo it. And we're out in the middle of the ocean. I kid you not, I had to do this like twice. And we're out in the middle of the ocean. And I'm like, all right, I got to figure out a way to keep this from not getting stuck on the thing.
Yeah.
So Kent, here's a genius, and I didn't notice it before, but he had like this little carabiner he would use, and he would attach it at the top, and he would attach it around the rung, so that way you could pull the sail up.
Oh, that's.
And I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, no wonder why that's sitting there. Like, why is that? No wonder why that's sitting there. I was always questioning, like, why is that sitting there? He's like, oh, that's why it's sitting there. Like, so I finally used it, and I came back down, and that's how like it stayed up. But after the whales and after that experience, because that was the day leaving Moss Landing, going down to Port St. Louis. That was during the daytime that happened. And then the nighttime, the whales. And then kind of like right around the time we hit Cambria, we were getting really excited because we knew we were close.
Yeah.
We're like, Cambria, finally a place we recognized because
Yeah.
we could see it. And it was nighttime still, but we could see it. We're like, Cambria, yes. Soon we'll see Morro Bay. And it was a clear night, which is cool. It wasn't foggy.
Okay.
So it was a clear night, but there was still no moon, which kind of sucked, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then came up on Morro Bay and Morro Rock, and we were just celebrating. We're like, guys, we're alive! You know, like if we have to, we'll go to Morro Bay. It's really sketchy, especially for a boat our size to get through the canal there. But we're like, if we have to, we'll do it, you know? So they're like, we're alive, we're safe, we're about an hour away from home by land, you know, all these things. And my mom and my brother, Judah, had already gone home. They were like, all right, we're done following you guys. So they went home. And it was around 6 a.m. We finally, it was pitch black out, I remember, because my dad was screaming at me. I was like, on the Garmin, it tells us where there's shipwrecks or like obstructions. And it said that there was a shipwreck. And so we're looking, and there's a shadow being cast over onto the water from the land side, and we're looking at the land on our left, and we're looking at the Garmin, and there's a shipwreck here, and this is probably 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, shipwreck here, and a massive shadow being cast onto the ocean, and we know we're getting close to Port St. Louis. And have you been out there before, Port St. Louis?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you know the break wall there? I'm like, I think that's the break wall, because I thought it was the shadow, and you can't see anything.
Right.
Like, I swear, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
And we thought it was the break wall. My dad's like, well, you better figure it out soon, son. I was like, well, great, thank you. Like, I appreciate that, you know, like, I'm trying. So we were like, well, I can't really see anything. Like, it's pitch black out here, shadow. And if that is the break wall, we obviously want to stay away from it. But we got a shipwreck on the Garmin right here. Yeah. And because there's a shipwreck, my dad was like, all right, well, you either choose the shipwreck or you choose the break wall. He's like, we're not wrecking the boat. We've gotten this far. So we ran over the shipwreck. Like, we literally ran it over.
Really?
And my dad, if he was here, he told a story. He said, I saw these eerie lights. Like, I swear it was like a ghost ship. He's like, I saw these eerie lights. And I was like, no, Dad, those weren't eerie lights. And looking back, the spot that we were at was actually Diablo Canyon. Okay. And I think we were a little too close inside the waters to Diablo Canyon. Yeah. So they sent somebody out, and this is what they typically do. Anyways, they'll send somebody out to make sure you're not some like pirate ship or like somebody trying to come and like attack Diablo or something. Yeah, right. So they sent somebody out to just watch us. And I was like, Dad, no, that was just somebody sent out by like Diablo to come and watch us. Yeah. Like, we were pretty close to Diablo. I was like, there was no weird ghostly lights on this shipwreck that we ran over. Matter of fact, our little triangle went right over the shipwreck and nothing happened. I was like, that's a praise God thing. Yeah. I think
that whole trip is a praise God.
Yeah, right. Just keeping us alive the whole time.
Right.
So it was finally about 5, 6 a.m. Sun was coming up, and probably around 6 a.m. The sun was coming up, and we finally made it around the break wall, and we were like, oh, we're here. Like, we were absolutely we were wrecked. We were like, man, we are so tired. Mm-hmm. And everything looks so different from the ocean. Like, an inch still looks like you've gone nowhere, you know, or even a couple miles looks like you've gone nowhere. Yeah. And so there's the 3 piers. You've got Port St. Louis Pier, you've got like the Cal Poly Pier, and you've got the actual pier. Okay. So we went around the Cal Poly Pier, and then we just anchored right in between the Cal Poly Pier and the Avila Pier, right there. Yeah. And you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like between the 2 piers. Sure. There. Not the Port St. Louis one, but the Cal Poly. Right. After the Cal Poly, before the other one. We anchored there. And my dad, he's like, all right, see you guys. Figure out how to anchor it. He's like, he just took off. He's like, he just left us there. And we're like, what do you mean figure out how to anchor it? And he took the kayak. He's like, I'm getting in the kayak and I'm going ashore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just left us there.
Left the 2 of you out there.
Yeah, wow. Left us there. He waited and made sure that we put the anchor down first. Thank goodness. Right. And he's like, make sure you put the anchor down. And we're like, we don't know how to do that. Papa did that the last 2 times, you know. It's like, you didn't watch him? We're like, no. Like, no, we didn't watch him. Of course not. So we just threw it overboard like we knew how to, you know. And we wrapped it around the cleat there on the front of the boat, and we did it right. We did it right. So that was the nice thing. And we left it there. And my dad took the kayak and he disappeared. And we're like, how are we supposed to get back to shore?
Yeah.
And we had bought a dinghy before leaving Napa that we hadn't opened. It was still a box inside the cabin that we hadn't even opened yet. Okay. My dad's like, you got the dinghy? I'm like, what the? It's not even put together yet. Like, how are we supposed to figure this thing out?
Right.
So me and my brother, we pulled the whole box apart, read the instructions, how to put the thing together. Like Lego blocks, we put it together, It's like a whole big puzzle. And nobody showed us how to do it. We just learned how to do it by ourselves.
And you got in it and went to shore?
And we got in it and we rowed ourselves to shore after we anchored the boat. We left the boat there. And my dad was already at shore.
Now, how long of a little ride is that from where you anchored to the shore?
It depends on how you're rowing.
Okay.
Me and my brother had never rowed before.
Okay.
so
how long did it take you guys?
It took us about 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't horrible. It was like 30 minutes.
Okay.
But we were doing it the way that we saw it in the movies, where one guy's in the back paddling and the other guy's in the back paddling in the front paddling, Right. Each of us have one paddle. We didn't realize until later you're actually supposed to screw them onto the side, sit backwards and row like Jack Sparrow.
Right.
We didn't think about that. We were just like, we're at shore. We got to get to shore. So we were like rowing. We were chasing
like in a circle.
Yeah. Luckily, we didn't do that. Like, we actually made it. I was like, pull, bro. Pull, Like, come on, push. Like, what are you doing, It took us about 30 minutes to get to shore. But in retrospect, we could have done it faster if we did it the right way. You sat backwards and you, like, pull the oars and one person sits in the dinghy.
Okay.
But, yeah, we could have done that. We didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. My dad left us. He's like, I'm going back to shore. and so... He left. He went back to shore. My mom took a picture of us coming around the break wall, actually.
Okay.
Which is super cool. The sun was rising, and you saw like a little boat way out on the horizon, right around the break wall. And she took a video, and she's like, okay, guys, like, they're finally here. It's been about 21 hours, and they're finally showing up here. Hopefully they're okay. Our phone died, so we didn't have any way of like, telling her that we made it.
Yeah.
And none of the outlets on the boat were working for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really charge the phone.
Right.
And that was a whole thing because we didn't really have any way of contacting anybody. It was the phone for a long time. After the phone died, I asked my dad at one point, like, are we going to die? And he took out his pipe, and he was smoking his pipe. And he didn't say anything. He just sat down. I remember it so clearly.
That's how you know you're deep in thought.
It was literally, it was nighttime, and we weren't to Cambria yet. And he sat down. I said, are we going to die? And he sat down with his pipe in his mouth, just steering the boat, following like following the little triangle in the Garmin, smoking his pipe. Like total Popeye move. Yeah. He's like, I don't know, son, but at least we're saved.
Yeah, right.
All he said.
Right.
Still steering.
Oh my
but we got there. We got to shore. My mom met my dad at the shore. And my mom picked my dad up, and he's like, all right, boys, well, you're going to stay here and watch the boat while we go and get some food. We were there watching the boat on the shore for 2 hours. Literally looked like Castaway.
Yeah.
Dudes on the beach with the kayak next to us.
Nice.
And a dinghy. Just sitting there. At Avila. Sitting there. For 2 hours we were sitting there, just hanging out.
While they're all out eating food.
We were sleeping. Well, we were sleeping. We were catching up on our sleep because we had to stay awake. My dad made my brother stay awake at some point. He's like, we got to stay awake, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can't keep sleeping on us. So we were sleeping, catching up on sleep. And then finally the Coast Guard, or the Harbor Patrol, Harbor Patrol came out. And they started circling our boat. And we were like, what the heck? Why are they circling our boat?
Yeah.
So that was the whole thing. They came out. They're like, hey, this big storm's coming through. Like, your boat's probably not going to make it if it's right here. You're going to have to move it. And they helped us get it back to a mooring ball, which we had bought. And we anchored to the mooring ball. But yeah, that was the whole story.
Okay.
That was the whole thing. And that was the whole reason we kind of moved to California, I guess, is to get the boat.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the boat story.
Wow, man.
If somebody wants to document that on paper. In a book.
Somebody should. Because I'm already picturing the made-for-TV movie that's going to come out. And then, and it's going to be like a horror movie. Because it's so scary with all that. So.
Wow.
But anyway. All right, man. Let's talk some music stuff. Do you like music? Are you a music guy, or are you not so much? Or
I mean, I listen to music.
Okay. Like often?
We'll
like
start
a lot?
there. I listen to music.
You do listen to
I
music?
do listen to music.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like the way music sounds?
I do.
Okay.
I do like
all right. So what kind of stuff do you like?
I'm not really one of those guys who knows all the musical notes and knows how to play instruments. There's one thing growing up that I wish I would have done is learn a musical instrument.
Because your brother's musical, right?
My brother is very musically inclined, but he taught himself everything he knows.
Okay.
He had a good friend teaching piano, and then from piano, he went to guitar, and then my family bought him a guitar. Actually, he was blessed with a guitar by somebody, and then he just started learning how to play it.
Okay.
And it was actually electric guitar first, and then he went to like the acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Because he plays on the youth worship team, right?
He does.
Or he did. Does he still?
He still does.
Okay.
Yeah, he does. Okay. He took a break there for a minute because we just kind of transitioned churches.
Yeah. Because your mom goes to a different church now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I didn't really get to finish that because I went into the boat story.
Oh, yeah.
But basically, basically my dad passed away in 21, and then my mom got remarried. Okay. And then after she got remarried, we went with, which is a funny story. I didn't really like him. To begin with, I didn't really like him.
Her new husband?
Her new husband,
okay.
Yeah. His name's Jonathan.
Okay.
I didn't really like him to begin with. Neither did Levi or Judah.
Okay.
He pretty much came in. He's like, I'm marrying your mom.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
See, that's always hard, though, right?
You know?
That's always hard. It's hard especially for boys, to like the new guy.
Yes.
Right? It's just, he probably knew that going into it.
Oh, absolutely. And there were so many times where he would hang out. It was so funny. My mom made up this date to try and get us, like, I know we're supposed to be on the music topic,
we're good, dude. Go for it.
But it came up. My mom made this date, and she's like, "Oh man, it would be so fun to introduce you to the family by going axe throwing."
Oh no!
We were like, "Great, Mom, that's great," you know.
Well, that is bold, man. That's a bold move, right there.
Thanks, Mom. Yeah. Great opportunity.
Oh no!
So we went to Slow for the first time that we were hanging out with them as a family to go axe throwing.
Your mom was there too, I hope.
My mom was there, yes.
Good.
And Levi was not happy. He was very angry. Levi was kind of like, I don't like this guy. I don't appreciate him.
Yeah.
And it's still a joke to this day because that's how we kind of first had like our opportunity to get to know him, and none of us really wanted to get to know him. Mm-hmm. Well, my mom, obviously, she would disappear sometimes, and she wouldn't be home for hours later, and she wouldn't tell us where she would go. And we're like, "Where have you been?" And she'd be over at his house all the time, so we were kind of angry and upset about that.
Oh.
And then she made this whole axe throw, and you're like, "Yeah, that's a great idea, Mom."
Yeah, good one. Yeah. Just wait till his back's turned. No.
No. But yeah, Levi wasn't too happy about that. But that's the first time we kind of got introduced to him.
Sure.
And it was hilarious because for a long time we didn't like him, and then we came around. Like, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, he is a recovered alcoholic.
Okay.
He was an alcoholic.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell too much of his testimony.
Sure.
He can speak to that.
Yeah, maybe he'll come on the show.
On his own. Yeah. I'll totally suggest it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a recovered alcoholic, and he's a great after the Lord guy now. Like, he's fully devout to the Lord.
Nice.
He's not a youth pastor. He's an assistant pastor at Oak Park, and kind of coming full circle. That's
Oak Park, like
Oak Park Boulevard, Rio Grande.
AG. Okay.
AG. Yes.
Gotcha.
And he's the assistant pastor there. And that's why we kind of moved churches from Calvary there, is because we were just following suit. Sure. Like, hey, we want to follow the head of the household and just be honorable to that. Mm-hmm. When I turned 20, so like last year, I guess, I was like, hey, you know, I'm an adult. I'm 20.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go to my own church, or back to the church that I originally like grew up in.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of in and out of the church for a long time because my parents were going through a lot of issues in their marriage. Sure. And so my dad's like, no, we're not going to church. My mom's like, no, I want to go to church. And it was a whole thing. My dad was a Christian, but he didn't really want the whole world knowing all of our problems. Right. And so he would try and keep it behind closed doors. Sure. And he was definitely against counseling and all of that. Yeah. Which in retrospect, I am not going to follow suit in that. But you live and you learn, right? Right. But yeah, that's kind of why we went to Oak Park. And last year I was like, yeah, you know, I'd really like to go back to Calvary Chapel, and that's kind of what happened. And I went back to Calvary Chapel, and nice. I think it was like, when was it? It was right before we transitioned to Oak Park. I had everybody, and maybe you remember this, I don't know, but I went to YWAM, and it was right after my mom and him got eloped. Okay. And they got eloped, And then it was like, hey, I'm asking everybody for support for donations because I'm going to go on a missions trip.
Because you came up on stage, right? Everybody prayed for you.
Yeah, and everybody prayed for me.
I remember that, yeah.
And they sent me off, and I was gone for 5.5 months. And that was crazy. Let me tell you, that 5.5 months that I was away, so much changed. My mom and Jonathan got eloped. They were going to wait for their wedding until after I got back.
Yeah.
And that 5.5 months was super life-changing for me being away, but also the things that were going on at home, I just couldn't let go of. You know, the fact that my mom just got remarried, everything's going to change when I come back home. And while I was in Korea on my missions trip, because for the first 3 months, September through November, they had us go through training. And that was like diving deep into the Word. And each week there would be a topic, and we would focus on that topic. You know, like the Father's heart for us, how to hear the Holy Spirit speak, the gifts of the Spirit, like all of those things. We just kind of went through all of a bunch of different topics, praying and intercession, and a whole bunch of different topics. But right within the second week of going on my outreach, is what they call it, the outreach portion of YWAM, I was in South Korea. And like I said, when I was a kid, I went to South Korea and I thought I'd never go back there. But they sent me out with a team of 9 people to South Korea. And they told me while I was there that my mom was pregnant. I was like, what? It's like, wait, what?
Oh, wait a minute. You're like, I thought that ship had sailed. What are you talking about?
So my mom was pregnant while I was in South Korea. I was like, you're kidding me.
Oh, crazy.
Right? So when they got married in March.
And your youngest brother at that point was what?
Dang, what was he? That was
12?
2 years ago.
So like 12. You said he's 14 now, right?
He's 14 now. Yeah, maybe he's 13. Okay. He's in 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe 13, 14. But I'm sorry, Judah. I don't remember how old you are. I don't keep up that.
But still, pretty old to be having a new baby into the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my mom's like 42.
Yeah.
Okay. Potentially. I'm sorry, Mom.
You're sorry.
I don't keep up with the ages. You know?
Yeah.
I try, but I can't.
Yeah.
But she was 42, 43 when she had David. We called him David.
Another boy.
And it was another boy. I was really hoping for a sister.
Yeah, right?
But it is a boy, and he's cool. Like, I love him. He's so funny.
Yeah.
But it is kind of interesting to think, like, oh, dang, like, I've got a little brother. Like, I'm 21.
Yeah.
And he's 1.
You could potentially have your own kid at this point.
And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was 20 when my first was born.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, yeah, for to be that age and have a younger sibling is like, whoa. Wait a minute, you know?
And then we went out in public once, and she's like, so is he the dad with my mom? I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm glad you think that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm flattered, but no.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Okay.
And I've had that a couple times, actually.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
So, yeah, that all went down while I was in South Korea. They told me, oh, your mom's pregnant, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And I had a real heart change when I went to YWAM. You know, I didn't really like him to begin with. But, you know, while I was in YWAM, God did a real big work on my heart and in my life. And I learned a lot being in a team of all Europeans. And for anyone who's heard this story before, because a lot of people have heard this story before, and I've told it many times, but I was in a team full of Europeans. And just to keep it short and sweet, Europeans are very different than Americans.
Yes.
Very, very different than Americans.
Yes.
When it comes to politics, when it comes to how they live their day-to-day life,
Yeah.
when it comes to just their culture, their traditions, everything is so different. And you're like, well, we can't be that much different. We came from like the
Right,
UK,
we came from there, right? Yeah.
And it's like, no, we are just absolutely different. Americans are different. You know, we are so different from Europe in general.
Yeah.
You know, and that was hard. That was really hard to be in a full team of Europeans and then be the only American. And especially fitting all the boxes that Europeans would consider an American to fit into.
Yeah.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, outgoing, loud. I fit every box.
Nice.
Any box you can think of. I fit all of them,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so that was hard. And just learning how to communicate with the team, like, hey, like, I don't agree with that, but we can agree to disagree, was really difficult.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were immature Christians, too.
Okay.
Like, I'm not putting myself higher up on a hierarchy or anything, but they knew nothing about the Bible.
Oh, wow.
Like, they were, I I don't want to say.
Did they want to know about the Bible, or was
they
it
did? And I think a lot of them came there because they wanted to learn more about it. Now, one of the guys on our team, he's a Romanian gangster.
Oh wow!
Romanian gangster, and I tell this story because it's super cool.
Yeah.
But he's a Romanian gangster, and he did not want to go at all. But he was adopted by missionaries from Georgia and Romania. And his parents were like, well, you like surfing, right? Because the whole idea behind it was to use surfing, kite surfing, and snowboarding or snow ministry to reach the people groups. And he was like, yeah, I like that stuff. So like, great, well, we're sending you to this. And for the longest time, I remember he didn't show up to any of or he was late to the teachings.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to go to the teachings.
Right.
So a leader would have to go wake him up and tell him to come to the teachings.
Did he even profess to be a believer?
He was not a believer at all. He wasn't.
But he was there.
He was there.
On a missions trip.
I wouldn't say like, I guess it was technically a school. He was sent to the school, and he was a non-believer first, and then the missions trip is like the second half.
But the school is to equip you for the missions trip.
Exactly. And he still wasn't even going to the school.
And he wasn't even a believer.
So
that's classic.
He's like just showing up to show up because he wanted to go surfing or learn how to surf. Pretty much.
Right.
And
which you could have done many other ways.
Definitely.
You could have learned how to surf without going to a Christian,
absolutely
Bible school.
And it wasn't even his choice.
Yeah.
He was sent because his parents were like, you need to do this.
Yeah.
This is life-changing.
Right.
Go and do this.
Okay.
And it's cool because it actually worked out. It's like he came out, and after our missions trip, when we got back from Japan, he's like, I want to get baptized.
Oh, wow.
Literally the last day of our DTS, he's like, I want to get baptized and follow the Lord.
Yeah.
He got baptized. Everyone was like so excited because the entire learning stage, he was totally against all of it. He didn't. He showed up late to the teaching. He didn't go to any of the worship nights, or he didn't really want to. They forced him to. They're like, hey, you have to come to this. Like, this is a requirement, and he didn't want to. And I remember when we were in South Korea, like, the gangsters in Romania came after his brother. They almost tried to kill him. And he was so angry. Like, I was like, stay out of his way. Stay out of his way.
Wow.
And there were specific tasks that we had been given while we were on our mission trip in South Korea and Japan. Mm-hmm. And he was on the intercession team with me. I was like, he's not even a believer.
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to pray with somebody?
How hard is that, dude? I would have struggled with that so bad.
I was like...
I'd be like, look, you give me this guy that's supposed to be praying for people, and he doesn't even believe. Like, what is this? Mm-hmm. That's not right.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It was really, really hard. And I'm not going to lie, there were times where I was like, I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah, I would too.
Like, I'm sorry, but
I got him. 5, man. We'll see you later.
I got him really hyped up on it because I was like, dude, we're going to wake up at like 5:30 a.m. and we're going to go work out, and then we're going to pray for people, pray for the city and stuff.
Yeah.
We never really did that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't follow through on my word with that. I really wanted to, but I was really struggling with being in a team full of Europeans already and everything that was going on at home.
Right.
And me and Ella at this time, we really wanted to date, but we couldn't. So I went to YWAM to get my life together and get it straight and to learn more about God.
Because you were far away?
No, we couldn't because she wasn't of age yet. And so Ella's only 18.
Oh, wow.
Right now, she's only 18.
Right now, she's only 18.
So when I left, she was still only 16.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, well, I was 20.
You're right.
Or I was 19.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was 19.
Which I get.
16,
that's our rules,
like
too.
We don't let
3
our years.
Date either.
It's like, well, okay, that's kind of a big gap. So when I came back, she was finally 17, and I was like 19. I was like, doesn't sound as bad, so we could date when I come back.
All right.
Right? But,
yeah.
I mean... being there, I was struggling with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really follow through with working out in the morning time and waking up to do that stuff.
Sure.
And at the time change, oh my gosh, that messed with me so bad.
Yeah.
8 hours from California, or 9 hours from California to 9 hours from California to Norway.
That's the flight, you mean?
No, just the time difference.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, time difference, right?
Yeah.
And so for 3 months, I had to adjust to 9 hours ahead for 3 months. And then after those 3 months, I had to adjust to a whole nother, I think it was like, what is South Korea? How far? 13 hours? Something like, no, it's more than 13
At least, yeah.
But I remember the flight was like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that was from the Netherlands. It was a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a giant time gap. And so the whole time change was messing with my body. I was like, I just got used to 9 hours ahead for 3 months, and now I've got to get used to another probably 8 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 17 hours? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Japan 17, 18 hours ahead, something like that. Yeah. And the whole time, I wasn't... me and Ella set this rule that we weren't going to talk except for once a week. That was the rule that we set.
Because it would be too hard to talk all the time?
Because YWAM has this very specific thing where they're like, hey, we don't want you to be dating while you're in the DTS. So you can set yourself apart and actually see what the Lord has for you and not have to worry about being in a relationship.
Right. Stay focused on the Lord.
And so that was the whole thing. And a lot of people have problems with that. But I'm like, I personally, genuinely, I really like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't fully relinquish myself to the Lord because there was still that part of me that's like, well, I really, really want to be in this relationship.
Sure.
And it was hard for us to do once a week. But it was also, I was torn. I was really torn for a lot of it. Like, I really want to talk to her. I really want to be a part of this DTS. And there's a lot of fun things going on. At the same time, like, I really want to talk, So it was a big in between. But we only did once a week. So that way I could stay really focused. And sometimes we broke that where I would talk for her for 2 days,
Oh, yeah.
But that was a hard thing to kind of overcome, you know. Just coming back full circle. I went to YWAM and I came back and a lot of life changed and life happened and
and when you came back, was she 18 at that point? So you guys
she was 18 in February, and it was so funny. So get
this past February
last February.
Last February
I came back. Okay, so get this is so funny. I was praying all night. God, give me a promise that she's supposed to be the one. And the Lord woke me up and he said it was early morning time. I remember it because it just rained that night. It was a really heavy rain. The rain cleared up and I woke up that morning and right outside my window, and I actually have the photo saved, and I'll show everybody this because it was such an impactful thing that kind of like hit me straight to the face. Easy, but this is the picture that I woke up to one morning.
Wow, dude, that's beautiful.
It was beautiful, right outside my window.
That's
Norway. This is Norway.
Norway. Okay.
Yes, Norway. Wow. And I woke up after praying, and I saw that picture, and you see the rainbow. I was immediately reminded of Jeremiah 29:11.
Yeah.
And my life up to that point had been super terrible. Like, my parents went through all these things, and my dad passed away, and then literally not even that long after my grandma passed away, my dad's mom passed away. She had the same health issue, but that's a whole thing.
Right.
And she passed away, and so my mom pregnant, and all these things are happening.
Yeah, a lot of changes, man.
And I woke up to that, and Jeremiah 29:11 is like, God has a plan for you.
Right.
Like, there are good things in store for you that God hasn't planned for you. And I was like, God, that's it. Like, okay, that's an answered prayer. Like, she's the one, I guess.
Yeah.
So that I took that as, that's my promise. Like, she's going to be the one that I'm supposed to marry, so I got to step up my game.
You should tell her that when you propose one day. You should say, you're the one, I guess.
Well, she knows. She already knows. She knows. And I mean, I say it all the time because she's like, well, you got to believe your promise. She's super big on believing promises that God's given you.
Right.
And so I came back. I'm working through at Avila Lighthouse Suites.
Okay.
And while I was working at Avila Lighthouse Suites, I thought it would be a great way to preach the gospel, and turned out that the management wasn't too great. And I told them that I put in my 2 weeks, like right before the end of July, and I told them, hey, I'll help you finish out July. I'll help you finish it out, but I'm done working here.
Yeah.
So I told him that, and he was okay with that. He was like, okay, understandable. He wanted to keep me, and I was like, hey, I'm only making like $18.50 an hour. And Court at this time, you know who Court is? Court Newby.
Yeah, he's been on here twice.
He has Newby Construction.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. He offered me a job.
Oh, is that who you work for now?
Him. And no, not now.
Oh, okay.
I mean, well, actually, technically, I do. Like as like a freelance, I guess. I'm not like with him all the time.
Yeah.
But I'll sometimes help him out with a job here and there, and because I have a full stable job, which I'll get into in a second. Because I've worked like so many jobs since last year. I've worked pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I went from that to working for Court. After the hotel, I quit and I started with Court in August. And I worked for Court in August all the way through this January. And it was great. I loved it. The only thing that I found was with general contracting, because he's a contractor, you have to find jobs. And if you don't find jobs, then you're kind of at a loss. There's no money, right?
Yeah.
And we were struggling to get jobs. And I was like, I got bills to pay. My
Right.
parents at this time started like saying, hey, you've got a car payment,
Right.
you've got rent to pay. And I bought a car that was kind of like a beater car. It really sucked. It was a RAV4 2009, and the guy who sold it to me knew it was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And it was way down in Oxnard, and I had to take a train to get there because my parents couldn't take me there. And he took me over to his house, and I was like, great, I can't find my way back from his house to the train station without asking him. And how awkward would it be to be like, yeah, I don't like the car, so take me back to the train station.
Right.
That was my thought process.
Right.
Probably should have done that anyways. That was just my thought process. So it was just a miracle that I got that car back from Oxnard all the way to, because in December of last year, I got it in March. It died on me, and in November it died on me. The transmission totally gave out, and I tried rebuilding it myself. I watched YouTube on it. I was like, oh, dude, it's super easy, you know. So I pulled it apart, started pulling apart, and it was a solenoid. So like, okay, easy. Like I could do mechanics work. Okay. So I went onto the car, took the transmission fluid pan, did all the things that YouTube said to do, and I got to the right solenoid, and I pulled it out, and the whole transmission valve fell at me.
Oh.
So all the parts underneath that were inside also fell at me.
Oh, no.
I was like, well, there goes that car. So I bought it for $6,000. I was like, no, I bought it for $5,000 because I had $7,000. I'm like, there's no flipping way I'm going to give you $6,000 or $6,000 for this.
Yeah.
So I bargained it down to $5,000. I was like, first of all, the tires are shot. You patched the sidewall. I knew that much. Like, it's insane that you're driving this around and you're still alive, you know? So I bargained it down. I got new tires. First thing I did, I mean, that day I literally took it over to the tire shop and got new tires. I was like, look at those tires. Like, that's what a car is supposed to look like.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I finished with that car. I sold it. I only got $1,000 out of it, but you live and you learn. You do. Right? You're like, okay, well, that was a stupid idea. Let's not do that again. Yeah. So I bought a little Honda stick shift for $3,000. It was a salvage title. Only had 104,000 miles on it. And it was a really God thing because I was looking for a car, and I was like, great, well, I don't have any car. I don't have any transportation. So I got that thing and driving that around. But started working for Court. Okay. I didn't really have the ability to continue not having work for him. So I was like, okay, you know, there's no work. I still have bills to pay. I'm going to have to find something else to do. And I was like, hey, you know, I might actually decide to go back to school. I was like, let me try school. So I went back to school for like a semester.
Like Hancock or?
Yeah, Hancock. Okay. Yeah, January to June. I went back to school.
Okay.
And I thought it was great. I really liked it. School's always been easy for me. I graduated high school with the 4.17, and I took
show off.
And I took the funniest part is like I had to teach myself physics. Yeah. Through COVID, I taught myself physics and calc. Nice, dude. And then Calc 2, I graduated out of high school passing Calc 2 with an A-. I passed advanced physics with an A-, and a couple other dual enrollment classes. Okay. And I was like, okay, but I went straight to YWAM because my dad passed away my senior year in high school. Wow. I went straight from school to taking like a little break. Yeah. And then I went from that little break to going to YWAM. I worked security actually for 9 months. Where? At the Healing Rooms in Santa Maria Valley. Really? So I worked security there. Okay. And a lot of people find that really surprising because a lot of people will talk to me about the Healing Rooms. Like, oh, X, Y, and Z about the Healing Rooms. I'm like, I know a lot about the Healing Rooms. I just don't tell people. Right. I'm like, I know, I love that place. Yeah. But I was there when a lot of things went down. Yeah. And I was like, no, it's a great place. You know, there's some things that I disagree with, obviously. You disagree with a lot of things. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But there were some other things that happened there. I was like, I still love everybody. Yeah. But I just had to leave. You know, I was like, it was a great job. I loved it, working security, talking to everyone there. I had no complaints. I needed a job. My mom was like, you either get a job or you go back to school. And I was like, I hate school. Like, even though I'm good at it, I don't want to go back to school. Right. So I got a job, and I worked security there. But then I started working for Court, and this was I finished in January of this year. I was like, hey, Court, I'm going back to school. Mm-hmm. And I still needed a job to pay the bills because my parents were like, no, you still got bills to pay. You know, you can't just not pay your bills. Right. And I was like, I'm not going to pull out Pell Grants. I don't want any grants from anybody for debt, you know. Right. So I took up a teacher's position in the Santa Maria Bonita School District. I was like, teacher's position is like something I love working with kids. I thought they're super fun. Yeah. I'm good with kids. I grew up with kids, like I said at the beginning of the episode. Yeah. I mean, I played with I made games for the kids. They loved it, right? Sure. Obviously, I can't hurt them this time, but it's a different thing. But, you know, I taught them how to code Minecraft. And they taught me as a company. They paid for my training to learn how to code Minecraft. And it was just block coding, basic block coding.
That was what you taught.
And that's what I taught.
That was your class.
The 6th graders, I taught 4 different classes of 6th graders how to code Minecraft. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday I didn't have anything, and Friday I taught some 6th graders. And they were the most unruly kids that you could ever imagine. I mean, you know, it was so funny because everyone else in the district, like, it's a company that goes in. It's technically ACES. And we go in and we teach kids how to do science and fun STEM activities.
Did you say ISIS?
No. It's called ACES.
ACES?
Yes.
Like
ACES.
cards. ACES. ACES.
ACES. ASES. It's
Gotcha, okay.
Advanced STEM Education System.
Okay.
Advanced.
Much different than ISIS.
Yeah, much different than the
just to
terrorist
clarify,
group ISIS. No.
Just to make sure that the listeners know you're not
teaching ISIS.
Yes,
no,
right,
not
okay.
ISIS.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I taught them how to code Minecraft, and it's so funny because I don't think any other teacher would have made it with the classes that I had and the stories that I had to tell my boss. And the fact that he came in there and he got the teacher fired because the teacher would just let the kids run all over her and do nothing, and they would draw penises on the wall and they would hurl blasphemy and like it was horrible. It was a horrible class to teach. It wasn't even teaching; it was me just yelling at the kids to sit down and shut up.
Right.
Pretty much, you know. And I mean, even that didn't work. I mean, I spit in a kid's face, not intentionally. let me clarify, not intentionally.
He probably deserved it.
But he was playing the not sriracha. What do you call that? Marachi?
Maraca?
Marachi band, like the Mexican music.
Oh, mariachi.
Mariachi, thank you. He was playing that in class on his phone. And I was so tempted to just pick up his phone and chuck it.
Yes.
Know? And I was like, God, give me patience in this moment to not do that. And I mean, the rest of the kids are making paper airplanes, throwing them around the classroom, breaking pencils, screaming at each other.
See, in the old days, the teacher could just smack those kids. And that's why they never did that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why. They do it because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah, and this teacher was so passive, she just sat in the back of the classroom and did nothing about it.
Right.
She just let the kids run the class, pretty much.
Right.
So, I don't think any other teacher would have made it in that because my patience was really stretched thin.
Man, I would have.
But I learned so much.
You would have saw me on the news.
It was bad. And this is my Tuesday class. So Monday I've got a class, and my Monday class is great. That teacher, she's been a teacher for ages. She just retired. And she's great. She knows how to control her classroom. Classroom management's amazing. Her class is perfect.
Yeah.
No problems, you know?
Yeah.
And she just knows how to teach. And that Monday class, I was like, wow, this is going to be a really good season. You know, then the Tuesday class comes. I'm like, great. Now we got to go back to this. My Wednesday class was peachy, and then my Friday class was sometimes rocky.
Yeah.
Well, the teacher was actually really good at teaching the kids, and they really enjoyed the teacher.
Yeah.
And she definitely had some boundaries set, but the kids loved to talk back. They at least they didn't hurl blasphemies or like crazy things like my Tuesday class. There was no structure whatsoever.
Yeah.
But they still kind of like, you did that wrong, or like they would tell me, you know, they're very vocal.
Yeah.
But I did that all the way through. My school season. I did school part time. I did psychology, and I did psychology, and I did what was the other class that I did? Psychology, PE, and then I did one other class, and I'm blanking on what it was. Oh, physical geography.
Okay.
I did those, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was great. But I was teaching at the same time, so after class, I would go straight to work every day besides Thursday, and it just wasn't enough money. I needed more money to save.
Because you're living in California.
Yeah.
It's never enough money.
Yeah. And I don't have to pay like $1,200 for rent, you know, so I have a pretty good rent. But even still, I was like, I'm not making enough to save money, to pay off my car debt that I have to pay my parents back, and to pay my house and rent and food and gas, because I was going from AG, because we live in AG, all the way down to Santa Maria like every day of the week. And it was a lot of money.
Oh yeah, that's a lot on the gas.
So I was getting CalSTRS from my dad, because my dad put into his teacher retirement, and I was getting that. So it's helpful. Like I was saving a little bit of that, but I was putting it towards food. Because I was trying to eat healthy and like get a good like diet together. Yeah. Or, you know, trying to eat a little bit healthier.
No Hot Pockets and Top Ramen for you.
No. Not like a typical college student, you know. I made protein shakes. I made like sandwiches. I made all the good stuff, you know. And I mean, just getting back around to the point, I did the teacher stuff, did school. Okay. I finished school in June, and then the guy that I originally wanted a job with in January, he called me up like right after I got done going through the HR process for the job, the teacher's position, and going back to school. The guy for the aviation company, his name's Andrew. I love Andrew. He's a great guy, good boss. He owns this jet company. He doesn't own it. He's the vice president of ACI Jet in SLO. And I had been praying about this job and this position because I really wanted it. I was like, dude, this would be sick. Like working at a jet company in SLO would be awesome.
Right.
That's super cool.
It's like Top Gun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they pay for half of your flight school. Like it's 50% they pay for 50% of you trying to get your pilot's license.
Okay.
As long as you work there.
Is that something you're interested in?
For a long time, it was until I learned even with 50%, it's still like a lot of money.
Right, but like money aside, like you would like to be a pilot.
Absolutely.
As your profession.
Yeah, money aside, I think it'd be great. But you're kind of like a bus driver in the air.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
You know? And I thought about it, but the amount of time you're away from your family because of that is a lot. And it's not really like a godly environment to be in either.
Right.
A lot of flight attendants / pilots, they get into a lot of parties. They drink a lot. They're into like the party scene.
Hopefully not while they're flying the plane.
No. the passengers, though, they will be. And I've heard some of the maintenance people come and get on the plane and like, man, the things we find inside the plane. And these are like millions of dollars worth of planes.
Yeah.
And I actually have pictures I'll show you of one of these jets. But while I'm at it, he contacted me right after I signed the HR contract for the teacher's position in January. I was like, Andrew, my man, like if you would have just called me a day prior, I totally could have said yes.
Right.
And it just didn't work out. And so come May, he contacted me again. I said, in May, if you have an open or available position, let me know. I'll be interested. So that's where I've been working. And I work some crazy hours. It's never consistent.
Yeah.
It's closing, opening. Sometimes I had a shift where it was 12 to 12, 12:30 to 12 a.m.
Wow.
We had a Cal Poly charter plane come through because their football team uses a jet, and we have to help them load it up and get it off and out into the sky, get it some fuel and everything. And you know, wealthy people, they like to come in and go whenever they want to.
Right.
You know, they want it their way and how they want it, and we're like, hey, well, we'll provide the services for that.
Sure.
So that's what we do. That's why my hours are so messed up all the time.
Yeah.
One day I'll be working 12:30 to 9, and then the next day I'll be potentially working. We call it clopening, where you close and then you open. And opening is not like your typical 8 a.m. or 7:30. It's 5 a.m. Sometimes it's 4 a.m.
And what time's closing?
Closing's at 9. So it's not horrible.
So you pretty much go home, sleep, and you're right back at work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not horrible, but
yeah,
it's still, for some of the guys, they're like, that kind of sucks, you know. But you get paid a decent amount of money to do it. It's not like they don't pay you, you know. And anything over or on a weekend is, or on a holiday. Sorry, not a weekend. On holidays, it's double pay, double your typical wage.
Right.
And so if you're working like Christmas, Thanksgiving, you're getting double what you would normally make, which is great, you know.
For now that you don't have a wife and children.
Exactly.
But if you have kids, working on Christmas and Thanksgiving sucks. It's like, but that's probably why guys like you are the ones that get those shifts.
Yep.
People that work there that have families, they're like, oh no, we don't care. Double time, don't care. Still not going to do it.
I finished working for the school, for like teaching job, finished school, and now I've been working at the jet company. The hours are super inconsistent, but I love it. It's been great. I'm not working by myself like a lot of the other jobs. Right. I'm working with a bunch of dudes who are all about the same thing, and it's really fun because there's a lot of camaraderie that comes with it. Sure. It's like, dude, I just fielded that plane and it sucked. And you're like, I know how that feels. Like, I totally get it, man. Like, and some of these planes, man, like the FedEx planes, they're the worst planes to fuel in the world. They got these high wings that are like probably 14, 15 feet off the ground.
Sure.
You got to pick up a hose that's probably 10, 20 pounds, put it inside of the nozzle flap. Well, by the way, you can't see inside.
Yeah.
And so you got to put it in there, and there's this flap you got to push the hose down into for it to open, and then you got to fuel it. And so you can't see it. And you're like, well, shoot, what if it just starts spewing out? You're like, I guess I got to stop, you know? Like, it's horrible. Yeah. And you're sweating and you're hot. It's terrible. But, I mean, the cool thing is you've got people to share the horrible experience with. Right. You know? You're like, this is awful.
Yeah,
but there are other guys here who I can share the experience with.
Sure.
And a lot of those guys, they've been working there for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Like,
You're the noob.
I am the noob.
Yeah.
Actually, we've had 3 guys come on since me. I'm so grateful because I'm no longer the noob.
Okay.
And
they're like, I can tell you little young bucks a thing or two.
Exactly. I've been through a couple things, boys.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm getting to a place where I can finally start to kind of choose my schedule, switch with people. I have these things called sign-offs, which is how you get pay raises. And that's how you kind of like level up, or like how you get to a particular place. A lead is the highest you can go. And it goes level 1, 2, 3, and then a lead. And I'm at a level 1 right now. Almost a level 1.
Wow, dude.
Just almost a level 1. I got one more thing that I need, and then I'm a level 1.
And that's a good job to be in if you're looking at potentially being a pilot someday, right? I mean, you're already kind of in the field. Mm-hmm. Got your foot in the door. You know,
talk to a lot of people.
Maybe even one of your bosses will be like, man, you are just such a great worker. You know what, man? I'm going to pay for your pilot schooling.
Absolutely.
You know? And you'd be like, yes.
You know what's really cool is there are people like that.
I
They
bet.
will.
Yeah.
Like wealthy people will be like, hey, you want to be my private pilot? Yeah. I will pay for you to go to school.
That's right, man.
But you're going to fly me for whatever the thing is.
But see how fun would that be to be a private pilot of
That'd be sweet.
Some famous person.
Very, very sweet.
Yeah.
You know, and
but you want to let's segue that into some politics. What do you think? So politically speaking, I know you kind of talked a little bit.
Yes.
I'm just guessing that you lean right.
Absolutely.
Okay. So
no, the blue hair give it off?
Yeah, the blue hair and exactly. All the piercings. Uh-huh. No, so kind of tell me about kind of where you stand. I mean, other than just being right-leaning.
Yes.
Like, what are some things that are politically, in the realm of political stuff that you feel passionately about?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
This is such a hard topic because politically, like, I don't like politics anymore, and it hasn't become politics anymore. It's like morality at this point.
Sure.
It's no longer political. It's become moral at this point in time, especially in the time and place that we are. But I always look at it from a morality standpoint.
Okay.
And a Christian biblical worldview point as well, right? Like, how can you justify death?
Sure.
Or killing of innocent people, particularly abortion, which is a hot topic.
Okay.
Like, how can you justify that and a biblical worldview,
Right.
That's what all of the prophets of Baal did. And, Elisha didn't really like that.
Right.
And God told him to pretty much set the whole altar on fire.
Yeah.
You remember that. And so,
But that's kind of it, though, right? I mean, like you said it from a biblical worldview, but I think the problem is most people that are pro-choice, they're not viewing things from a biblical worldview.
No.
They'll tell you that you shouldn't be viewing it through a biblical worldview because of separation of church and state, and my body, my choice, what does that have to do with the Bible?
Yes.
Those are the kind of arguments they would level at you, right?
Yes.
So I don't meet a whole lot of pro-life people that are not... Well, I'm sorry. I don't meet a lot of pro-choice people that are Christians. Right, they're out there.
No, yes,
I have met
absolutely.
them, but few and far between. Most pro-choice people are not Christians.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard for me to vote, and I say this a lot, but it's hard for me to vote for a side that's okay with subjectively saying that it's okay to do things that you're like, nah, that's really not okay. Even from an unbiblical standpoint, just morally, justifying things that, the left side has done, particularly like telling a little 7-year-old that they can get a vasectomy and get new parts at 7 years old.
Right.
How do you even morally, like, take the biblical worldview out of it for a second. Morally, I don't think at any time in literally history, I don't think that we've had the science or the ability to be able to do that. You know, like, how far have we come on the evil scale, just morally?
Sure.
But
can you separate morality from biblical? Right, because isn't that where our morality comes from?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so explain that.
And that's such a good question.
Okay.
Because I've thought about this so much, and I do have my own questions that I'm constantly looking for answers for.
Okay.
And I've been researching different forms of morality, and I think honestly, and I love Pastor Connor, because he had a sermon on this a little while ago, and it was from the Bible, and I'll get into like morally how you can use it, not with the Bible, right?
Okay.
But he said it like this, and I don't want to like screw up what he said particularly, so I'm paraphrasing. And if people are out there listening and it's like, that's not exactly what he said,
Yeah.
then forgive me, have some grace.
So everybody go find Connor and ask him what
Find Connor and ask exactly what he said. But from my perspective, and this is what I took away from it, is creation speaks to the existence of a God.
Yes.
So if creation's speaking to the existence of a God, that means that there has to be good and evil, right? And even if you're non-biblical, just think for a moment, there's good and then there's evil, and you can tell there's good and evil. And inside, and this is like a little while ago, this is pre-2025, I've even heard atheists say, yeah, there's good and evil.
Sure.
And they'll always make the argument, why can't a good person go to heaven?
Correct.
And you're like, hey, well, what makes you a good person? Like, without the Bible, period, what makes you a good person? Well, I've donated to charity, and I've done X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And you're like, okay, that's great. Like, you're a good person. So they obviously have something inside of them that dictates good and bad. Yeah. It's like, okay, without the Bible, you know what's good and bad.
Not only just without the Bible, but without even a belief in God.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, an atheist would say, oh, rape is wrong.
Yes.
Murder is wrong.
Yep.
Right? They would say that in certain contexts. Obviously, we talk about abortion. They would say
that's
not
different.
that one's okay.
Yeah.
But like, certain forms of murder, they would say, no, that is absolutely morally wrong.
Yes.
And that's why we as Christians can say, says who?
Yes.
If you don't believe in God at all, well, who is dictating to you what that morality is, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And that's, you asked without the Bible,
right?
Morally, there is good and wrong. And like you said, the atheists know it. They know good and wrong.
Sure.
And obviously they have nuances where they're like, no, abortion is one of those things where you can kind of tweak.
Right.
It's not really that bad.
Well, they say it's not murder.
It's not alive
it's
yet.
Not alive,
so we're not going to tweak that. And that's a whole discussion.
It is.
In and of its own. But still, they have that moral compass where they're like, hey, this is wrong. And I've actually been, and I wish I brought my notebook with me, but I looked into some of there's four different ways that you can have morality or like your moral viewpoints, and I forget what they're called, but it was from an excerpt of a book, and one of them is subjective reality, one of them is absolutism, and then you've got culturalism, and then there's one other one that I'm forgetting. But anyways, in all of these different ones, besides subjective reality, which is what a lot of people live in these days, even culturally, we're kind of like, not everyone, I'm not going to classify everyone who's a Christian as an absolutist. Yeah. But, we have good and bad according to the Bible. And if you're not a believer or you don't believe in the Bible, you have, keeping subjective out of it for now, you have your culture. Your culture can dictate what's good and bad. Yes. And it's super interesting because, and I've been on the missions field, there are some cultures, like African cultures, will justify cannibalism. Yes. As good. Yes. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's population control.
Hang on a second here, right?
Sure.
And that's actually scary to think about. But they still have their own kind of cultural good and bad. Yeah. Now, that's kind of an extreme version, I would say, in some tribes in Africa or the Amazon rainforest where they have cannibalism as a good thing. That's an extreme bad side of it, like bad morality. That's obviously bad, and biblically we're not called to do that by any means, right? But people who, like we were saying, atheists, they do have that cultural lens where obviously, this is bad, this is good, and without the Bible, they know it, right? But being subjective these days is really where it comes into play. It's like that's subjective is like you're right, I'm right, nobody can be wrong. Yeah. Strawberry ice cream tastes like chocolate, and therefore I'm right. And with that same mindset, and this is where you get a lot of people when you talk to them and they believe in the subjective reality, without even telling them that subjective reality is a thing or even talking about it, you'll get them and they're like, well, I identify as a dog. Great, you're not a dog. Right. I think that Hitler's murder of 6 million Jews was right. And with that same knowledge, I'm right. Because you're obviously not a dog, and that's a fact. Right. And Hitler was right because he, in his own perspective, killing all those Jews was right. Right. And he can't be wrong. Sure. With that same mindset. And if you're saying it's wrong, you're going against exactly what you said with the, like, if you're a dog, you're a dog.
Yeah, obviously there's some Okay, so back to
subjective.
Yeah, so like subjective, right? There's certain things that are obviously subjective.
Yeah.
Like I could say, I like pepperoni on my pizza. You could say I don't.
Yes.
And in that case, we're both right.
Yes.
Right? And or let me rephrase that. I could say pepperoni's delicious. You could say it's nasty, and we're both right.
Yeah.
But if I said this is a pizza, and it really was a pizza, and you said no, it's not. That's a dump truck.
Yeah.
Right. That's not an opinion that can match, because that's not an opinion. That's a factual statement. It actually is a pizza.
Yes.
So you can believe it's something else, but your belief would be incorrect.
Absolutely.
Right. So when we get into absolutism, like you were saying, like what Christians might say that we believe in absolute truth. It doesn't mean we think everything that there is can be absolutely true. Like it leaves room for opinion, obviously. But you can't have an opinion on, I mean, you can have an opinion on whether or not God is real.
Yes.
But we would say, we think it's a little more than that, right? Like we believe that that's a pretty absolute truth, that he does exist. Mm-hmm. But an atheist might say, well, I absolutely believe he doesn't exist.
Right.
Right? So then you have to grapple with that, so.
Right.
Anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's hard with atheists to do that. And I was just watching, I love Charlie Kirk, by the way, but
Me too.
What a guy.
Yeah.
But
he was my favorite of all the political commentators. Hands down, my favorite.
He was so good, and I'm gonna miss that guy. But
that rocked me when that happened.
That was really sad, and I think a lot of people are coming to that realization. Mm-hmm. Like again, I said at the original thing, it's no longer political parties.
Yeah.
At this point, it's just morality.
Yes.
It literally comes back to that. Like morally, you can't justify any longer being. Sorry, guys, a Democrat. Obviously, political parties have changed through history, and you can give me a whole history lesson on that. And yes, I'm very well informed that the Democrats used to be Christians,
sure.
And Bill Clinton was one of them. He was a Democrat, had some more weird views, but Democrat, Christian, technically Southern Belle Christian, whatever you want to say.
Sure.
But you can't justify the current state of the Democratic Party as morally good any longer to be fit for a presidency position.
Well, then how do they do that then? Because that is what they do. They do, quote unquote, morally justify it.
And they do. You're right. And I just think it's them siding with evil at this point.
Okay.
They're just like, I intentionally am choosing to bat a blind eye at the evil that this party does. Mm-hmm. An absolute, just like I said with my brother on the boat. Mm-hmm. He decided that he was not going to be a part of it.
Right.
And just went to sleep.
Going to sleep.
Hibernate, And
but do you think that's the healthy way for us to view things politically? Because a lot of people are doing that. They're kind of burying their head in the sand. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but nothing's going to change if we all do that.
Absolutely not.
So.
And I have this conversation with Ella a lot. And I posted this on my Instagram story, and I absolutely love this. And there's this guy named Simon Creek. And he's on Instagram. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a South African, really cool podcaster.
That's an awesome name, though.
Simon Creek.
Yeah.
I think it's Creek. I don't know how you actually say it. It's Kriek.
Oh, okay.
And he said something along the lines of like, you think that by killing Charlie Kirk, you silenced us.
Right.
And he's like, 1 million Charlie Kirks are going to come out of this.
Yes.
But not only that, I was thinking about this. Everyone thinks that Charlie Kirk was a villain. Like, not everyone. I'm not going to say everyone. Not everyone.
Certain groups do,
but certain people think that Charlie Kirk was a villain. And I posted this on my story because I thought it was super funny. Mm-hmm. I said, if Charlie Kirk was a villain, then I guess the next generation is going to be the worst villains you've ever seen.
Yeah, right. Right.
I'm going to be the best villain that you've ever seen, that this world has ever seen.
But see, why do they view him as a villain? I mean, it's because he held views and opinions that they disagreed with, and I think that's the scary place that we're in, because there's lots of people I disagree with, on the political stage, in the spiritual realm, all that stuff, of course, and that's the beauty. That's supposed to be the beauty of our country. Yes, is that we can all have those views, and we can have discussions about them. We can share ideas. We can try to convince each other of certain things. I think it's all great. Mm-hmm. But if we're at the point where, having a differing opinion is going to mean someone wants to kill you, and then certain people are going to celebrate when you get killed, that's horrible, dude. I can't think of anybody that disagrees with me that I feel that way about. Yeah, like I can say, I think they're the worst politician of all time. I would never vote for them. I'll say all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But to want them dead,
No.
Or even if some psycho killed them, for me to celebrate their death, there's just no way that's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And again, just is morality versus like good and evil. And it's so apparent now.
Yeah.
You know, you can't even question it. Back then, you might be able to say like, oh, well, and justify what they did. Mm-hmm. And you could actually justify it in your mind to a certain extent that it was okay. Kind of like justifying sin in a way, you know?
Sure.
But now it's like you can't justify or hide, I guess is a better word for it. You can't hide it by justifying it. Mm-hmm. You know, now it's so apparent that there's good versus evil.
Right.
That nobody can justify that it's good versus evil.
But it's interesting, right? Because me and you would say it's so apparent.
Yeah.
And we're obviously viewing one side as evil and one side as good.
Yes.
But if you talk to that side that we're kind of putting on the evil camp,
yes,
and they'll say the same thing, but reversed.
Absolutely.
They'll say, well, it's obviously so apparent now. There's a good and there's an evil, and their idea of evil is us. Mm-hmm. We're the evil ones. We're the ones that believe in traditional values and Christianity and things like that, right?
Yes.
And to them, that's evil. So that's what I find interesting. And like, how do we... When we talk to people like that, how do we convince them or attempt to convince them that no, we're the good guys and you need to come over to our team, right? For lack of a better term.
Absolutely, and that is really hard, mm-hmm. and because a lot of people, and I want to figure out how I want to word this, but mm-hmm. a lot of people will justify the sin that they're living in.
Sure.
And then they don't want to change it. And I think that's what's happening now and why people are getting so upset and frustrated on both sides is because one side is like, you're living in your sin. Mm-hmm. And obviously the other side still has sin. I'm not saying the other side doesn't have sin.
Sure.
But these people are actively living in their sin and okay with living in their sin, and they don't want change.
Yeah.
And they don't think that change is going to benefit them.
Right.
And then you have the other side that's like, no, this change is good. Like, you need this change. We're sinners. We need this change. We know that this is good and that it needs to change, because if it doesn't change, the trajectory is this. Mm. And I think, you know, seeing it from the other lens is like, well, your trajectory is this. You know, it's all good things. It's are terrible things.
Right.
And I have a hard time seeing their perspective, to be honest, mm-hmm. because... And again, I grew up in a Christian home, so it is difficult. But I don't see anything wrong with having good perspectives on people having debates, conversations around things that they will disagree with, mm-hmm. and you can agree to disagree without killing people.
Yes.
You know, and it should be. And this side's like, no, it's okay to gloat the fact that somebody died.
Right.
And like, where does that moral compass stem from? Or do you have a moral compass at this point in time? Like, is there anything driving your moral compass besides the fact that you want to gratify your flesh here and now?
Yeah.
Because it seems to change. One minute you're like, this is okay. The next minute you're like, this isn't okay. It's the same thing. So is it just you choosing what you want to in that moment because it feels good at this point in time, and because of that you're just going to chase what feels good whenever it feels good, and so therefore you're just going to gratify that instant desire to do whatever you want to, And
so kind of the difference then would probably be like, for someone who believes in like a Christian morality, when it's not to say we don't do things that are evil or sinful, but when we do, we recognize them as sinful and evil, to where the other side won't necessarily.
Right.
You know, there might be other kind of convictions they have, like you might feel guilt, right, for doing something, but it's not because necessarily you believe in a God, or a moral God who's given laws and rules and said, okay, doing this is sin, doing this is not. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of thing. So that's what's kind of interesting about it, right? You
Absolutely.
say, well, it's not to say one side is like you just said, one side's not a bunch of sinners and one side's a bunch of angels.
No, because we're both sinners. We're both sinners.
Right, we're all sinners, but the question is what happens when we commit those sins, right? And if for a believer, we're broken over it, right? We're asking forgiveness, we're crying out to the Lord. So where, you know, someone who's more of the worldly persuasion would be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, I might have consequences for speeding on the highway, but I paid the ticket. Yep. Whatever, you know. I might have get a girl pregnant when I didn't want to, or whatever, right? There's consequences, but it's not a moral thing, because they wouldn't come to the conclusion that sleeping with someone outside of marriage is wrong.
Right.
They would just be like, oh crap, I didn't want to have a kid.
Yeah.
Right. That's the consequence, right? But
right.
they don't see anything wrong with what they did other than maybe not using a condom or something.
Absolutely.
You know.
And I think that's where we come into play is like, Lord, give them the Holy Spirit. Like,
right.
Like fill them with the Holy Spirit so that way they see
sure.
that what they're doing is wrong. And I've heard so many people say on other podcasts, like, I met Jesus in such a supernatural way, it was undeniable.
Sure.
And I love Chuck Smith because Chuck Smith actually said this one time. He said, you cannot deny, if you're serving the same Jesus that Christianity is proclaiming, you cannot deny that you were hit by a semi.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like,
right.
If you were hit by a semi,
yes.
you were hit by a semi.
Right.
You know, and you can't deny that. And so if you have contrary beliefs to being hit by a semi, then I don't think you were hit by a semi.
Right.
Right? Because that's a fact.
There'll be evidence there.
You know, there's evidence that you were hit by a semi when you're in a Prius or whatever car you're in. You know?
Well, that's similar Prius, to, I don't know if you know, are you familiar with Paul Washer?
Yes.
So he has a whole thing where he says, you guys, imagine like if you guys were all waiting here to hear me speak, and I was an hour late, and I came in here and I ran up on the stage and I grabbed the mic and I said, you guys, I'm so sorry for being late. But I was on my way here, and I got a flat tire in the freeway, and I got out, and I went to go change the tire, and the lug nut went over into the street. I went to grab the lug nut, and I looked up, and there was a 2-ton logging truck coming right at me, and it ran me over, and I'm sorry, that's why I'm late.
But you're still there.
Right.
You know?
And his whole point is like, he's like, you guys will look at me like, Paul, there's no way that you got hit by a 2-ton logging truck and it didn't show any effect on you. And he says, you're right, but some of you are saying the same thing about your experience with Jesus.
Yes.
Like you're saying that you got saved, yet your life shows nothing of the sort. Like there's no evidence of that, you know? So
100%.
That impacted.
And that's a scary place to be too, because if that's the case, you're going to lead so many people astray.
Right.
You know? And I've heard that over and over and over again, especially with like the Queen James Bible. Have you heard of that one?
The Queen James?
The Queen James Bible.
This is a real thing?
This is a real thing, and you can look it up, and it's really terrifying. The Queen James Bible says that Jesus was queer, and Lord forgive me for even saying that.
Does it really?
They think he's queer. He was black. Some of these Bibles say this. He's black.
Yeah.
And I got into an argument.
Well, we know he wasn't white.
No,
some of the movies present him as blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus. It's like we know
no,
that wasn't true. He wasn't from England.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with being like... right.
He was probably Middle Eastern looking, I would imagine. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being black. I'm not saying that either, you know?
Yes.
But we know from historical context, if you're a person who studies the Bible, that he obviously wasn't full-on like black, you know? Like he wasn't. Right. And you know that he was Jewish, and so therefore, if he was Jewish, he probably had some tan skin tone to him.
Right.
But yeah, it's really scary. The Queen James Bible has led so many people astray.
How old is this translation?
It's worth a listen to. I actually don't know how old the translation is. Okay. It just came about in probably 20, you know, pretty recently.
It can't be real. I mean, I know it's real, but it can't be somebody honestly attempting to translate the scriptures into a new translation. It's probably obviously people that are kind of poking fun at the Bible, right? And saying, hey, what if we made Jesus queer and we did, you know, all this other stuff? You know, honestly, I don't know too much about it, so I can't speak to it. Okay. And that's that humility part of me. I'm definitely looking that up. But it is a real thing, and I do know that there is an actual translation that people have opened and have started reading saying it's the Queen James Bible. Wowzers. To the extent of how much, like if there's actually a Genesis, an Old Testament, to the extent of how much they've actually included and then just changed everything inside of each of those books, I don't know. And I don't know the layout, I don't know anything else about it, but I do know there is a Queen James Bible, and I think that Jesus is queer, and I think, and I'm not hating on Presbyterians, but I think a lot of Presbyterians have that Bible. A lot of them do. And I'm not hating on Presbyterians again, but for the most part, where I've seen it and where I've listened to podcasts on it and where I've watched YouTube videos on it, a lot of Presbyterian churches have the Queen James Bible. Wow. And I'm not hating on Presbyterian churches. But you're just hating on the Queen James Bible. I'm just observing, purely from an observation standpoint. I've seen it mostly, I'm not saying it's all Presbyterian church again, but mostly I've seen it in Presbyterian churches. Yeah. So you would say that your your beef is with the Queen James Bible, not the Presbyterian denomination.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And actually, Presbyterians are really cool. I had a conversation with the Presbyterian a little while ago at a bonfire. Nice. And I'm not too informed on Presbyterians, but I guess they had their own little tiff. And so they have like two different groups of Presbyterians within Presbyterianism.
Of course.
Which I didn't know that. I haven't really researched that.
That's why we have 14,000 denominations.
But
we all have the same Bible, supposedly. I don't know. We got all these different denominations.
But I guess, I guess they have their own disagreements within the Presbyterian Church.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that's really fascinating to me.
Right.
And this guy, he's like, no. I'm part of this Presbyterian, not that Presbyterian. I don't identify with them. Like, they're a different thing entirely than us. But for the most part, I have seen, just purely from an observation standpoint, the Queen James Bible being in there, and I do have beef with the Queen James Bible because it is false. Historically and contextually false.
Yeah. Based on what I'm hearing, I would agree with you.
It's absolutely false.
Yeah, right.
Like, if you're reading it, stop reading it. It's not true. Go back to the original Bible.
Right.
Start with the King James version.
There you go. But see, that's chauvinistic, dude. King James, that's very traditional, dude. Very.
Okay, if you don't like that, try CSB. There's plenty of other versions besides the Queen James. Like, let's start somewhere else.
Yeah.
Anything but the Queen James, because I can tell you one thing: Jesus was not queer.
Right.
And in all the other versions.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I mean, there's so many versions out there, but as far as I know, all of the other versions point to the fact that Jesus was actually never even sexually active.
Well, maybe I was just going to ask, like, where would they even get that idea that he's queer from? And I'm thinking the only place, unless they add into the Bible.
Absolutely.
But if they just take the Bible alone, maybe they're getting that from the fact that he was a middle-aged man that never got married.
Yeah, potentially.
Right? But, I mean, that's a stupid conclusion to come to without more evidence than that. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And I'm just, it's just surprising to me how much you can inflict the wrong, doctrine or theology on somebody and they actually believe it. And that's the sad part, It's like, hey, let's look at all these other versions, whether or not these versions actually, like, agree with one another or the doctrines agree with one another. I think we can all agree that Jesus was not queer.
Right.
And he was not African American, I'm sorry.
Right.
Or even American. Not African at all, black. He was not black.
And he wasn't American either.
He wasn't American
either. A lot of
either,
people believe that. Jesus was a white middle-class Republican.
He's absolutely not that either. Came from a bunch of, carpenters. So,
right.
I mean, no, he it's so sad to think that people would take it to that extreme and to just change it how they want it to. And the question, I have this question all the time is, did they take it and they change it because they want it to fit their lifestyle?
Yes.
And then that's where I think that
Obviously.
it really comes into play. Like, my Jesus is this way, so I'm going to follow my Jesus.
Correct. Yeah, they create their own God.
We take it and we create our own Jesus to follow by his rules, which allows us inevitably to follow our sin.
Yeah, and ultimately, like you and I would probably agree, I mean, most Christians would say, there are parts in the Bible that are really difficult.
Oh, absolutely.
They're hard to take, they're hard to read, they're hard to imagine. It's difficult. I mean, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, there's parts that I think to myself, I wouldn't have done it that way if I was God.
Nope.
But all that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what I think or what I believe. What matters is what's true.
Yep.
God knows far more than I ever will.
Absolutely.
He obviously does things a certain way for a reason, and my job is to follow that.
Absolutely.
In the non-believing world, they think that's me being a sheep to something that I shouldn't be, or you just follow along even if you don't agree.
Yes.
What if it's terrible? What do you see in there? Are you just going to follow along with it? Well, I mean, I've done studies on my own to see that I think the way the Bible was put together is very obviously more than men putting it together.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that alone tells me it's a divinely inspired book, which tells me then, if there's something in there I disagree with, it's probably me that's wrong.
Absolutely.
Not God. God's never wrong,
Yeah.
But, the outside world has a hard time with that because they say, well, Ryan, how can you say that, this part of the Bible is right? I mean, look at God sent the people in to slaughter out everybody, the women and the children. Yeah, but did he have a good reason for it?
Absolutely.
There could never be a good reason. See, and that's where the human side comes in. There could never be a good reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Like, you're going to tell God that he has a bad reason for doing so? Like, really, you little mere man who's just a speck of dirt?
Literally clay.
Right.
Exactly. If that, at that most,
Right.
And it actually, now that you talk about that particular topic, I was going to say this, though. The fact that you've done the research and you know all these things about the Bible and all the studies you've done is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I have this study here. There were over 63,779 cross-references from the Old Testament to the New Testament.
Right.
Prophecies that came true to the T. Like T's crossed, dotted I's.
Yeah.
You know, which is insane. Again, 63,779. Now, that's such a long time period, and span of time that you would have to get every single thing right.
Yeah.
How is that even possible
without
somebody
bingo
coming in and telling you these things,
right.
you know? And like you said, with man, it's
something
not, right?
supernatural. Right?
And somebody's supernatural, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you can't deny that whether atheist or anything else, that there's a deity or what say you that intervened or told them things.
Right.
You know?
Yet they do deny it.
And they do deny it. You're right. And they do.
And that's the part
that's the funny part. And you can talk to them for ages
right.
on this whole topic.
And that's the one thing I always kind of harp on is just the idea of intelligent design. When I have atheists on here or whatever, I mean, I understand that the argument for which book, which religion, which God, quote unquote, I get that's a deep debate that you can get into with people, but the whole idea of something intelligent, I don't care what it is, space aliens,
yes.
giant flying spaghetti monster, whatever you want to call it, something with a brain or some form of intelligence created everything. To me, if you don't at least believe that, I don't know. I mean, what's your other explanation? Just random chance and unguided processes created all the complexities of life that we see on Earth?
Absolutely. And you got to, that is absolutely crazy. I don't know how people can talk about that and say that, you know. And I do have a question for you, though, because I am curious. You've probably spoken to a lot more atheists than I have. I haven't really spoken to a lot of atheists because even though I love talking to people, a lot of the people that I've talked to, they're already Christian or somewhat have a right-leaning view or perspective.
Sure.
And I'm trying to broaden that, but I've always been scared that somebody's going to hit me or punch me in the face, you know? Which I'm overcoming that slowly.
Sure.
Or calling me a terrorist or something.
Right.
Insane. But what is there... I guess when you tell them that, and I'm sure you've probably told them this, maybe not, but when they go back to the beginning and you're like, hey, what started the Big Bang? They just think that something was always there. Yeah. They just think that something always existed. As an atheist, something always... And if something always existed, why do they continue to deny the existence of a supernatural being? Right. You know? Okay, something always existed. Well, was it a supernatural being then? Right. And why couldn't it be a supernatural being?
I don't even know if they would word it that way. I don't even know if they would say that something always existed.
Or there was nothing.
There was nothing. That's why the argument is so ridiculous in my view.
Explain nothing.
It's literally something, or in this case, everything. Yes. From nothing.
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Because you could be sitting here doing quote unquote nothing.
Right.
But you're actually sitting here. Your atoms are still moving. Right. Your cells are still reproducing. Your heart is beating. Yeah. So explain to me what nothing is. Right. And you can't, because there isn't. Right. You know, like if you think about anything, literally anything. Yeah. There is no such thing as nothing. Right. Literally, I don't know how you can explain nothing.
Right. Well, it's like when I ask my kid, what are you doing? Nothing. You're never doing nothing.
No, you're doing something.
You're staring at the wall. You're breathing. You're moving your left pinky. You're doing something. There's never a time. What about a night when I'm sleeping? Well, you're sleeping.
You're sleeping.
You're always doing. There's never a nothing, and that's a good point because really, like even in our world right now, when we look at this, we look at what is nothing, and people talk about matter, and there's antimatter, or there's what's the
Aether.
Yeah, like what's that out in space? The guy I just had on was talking about this.
Black matter.
Yeah, like dark matter, but then there's like there's a thing that they're calling basically it's just a bunch of nothing.
Superfluid? Aether?
No, I forgot the name of it, but the point is you're saying there's a whole bunch of nothing. How can there be a whole bunch of anything if it's nothing? If it's nothing, it's nothing.
Yes.
You can't have a whole bunch of
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
No. Yeah,
It doesn't.
so I'm trying to, and it's hard to see their viewpoint on it. But you're like, okay, well, if there's just like this whole thing out there, what's it made of?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's got to be doing
It's
something.
made out of nothing. Okay. Yeah.
So where did that nothing come from? And you
Correct.
just keep going back. Where did
Right.
that come from?
Right.
And where did that come from?
Yeah.
What about this?
Yeah.
And
the number one thing I always get when I say, well, look at everything we have, and to think that anything was just created out of nothing, just out of, they would agree. No, this table had a builder, right? A painting has a painter, right? We all know that kind of stuff, but then they say, well, okay, but if everything had a creator, then who created God? And that's where they always go. And I'm like, well, God didn't have a God. God is the one thing that's always existed. And they say, Ryan, that's a cop-out. That's a cop-out answer because you just said everything that exists had a creator. Okay, but at some point...
Stemmed from something.
Yes, you have to get back to an origin that was always there, that was never created, just has always been in existence.
Well, they'll even admit to, like you said a couple seconds ago, it's always been there.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Like, okay, it's always been there.
Yeah.
How?
Right.
Like how?
Yeah.
Okay, so you admit it as well.
You're right.
That it's always been there.
Correct.
Okay, so if it's always been there, then you too yourself would believe that there's got to be a deity there too as well.
Yes.
You can't deny that.
Or maybe, or something. Right? Again, I'm fine for the intelligent design debate if they just say, "Oh, we're an experiment. We're a fail." I just had somebody the other day tell me we're just a failed experiment. Oh. I said, "Okay, but if you hold that view, who put on the experiment?
Yeah, who started
even if it's a failed experiment, somebody did the experiment.
Yes,
that's intelligence. That's something, right?
Yes,
sure.
And where does that intelligence come from then?
Right.
You're like, hey, well, if we're created with intelligence and somebody created us and we're a failed experiment,
right?
Where did their intelligence come from?
Sure.
And how were they intelligent enough to create another intelligent being?
Right.
Similar to AI, it's like, well, we were intelligent enough to create AI, which is a whole rabbit hole you can go down. It's like,
that's
maybe you could, maybe we couldn't, maybe they're demons, maybe it is demons. Maybe it's some kind of interesting thing. But I want to get back to the Aether because I think that's really fascinating. And my dad, like I said, was a genius on these particular things. And sometimes I really wish, not sometimes, all the time.
Yeah.
I really wish that he wrote these things down.
Sure.
Because he was so smart that some of the things he said, I said, that needs to be on a Nobel Peace Prize.
Do you remember them?
That needs to be here,
Maybe
and I do. And
maybe you can write them down.
And one of the things that I so vividly remember, he was explaining to me this thing called the Aether, and they call it dark matter now. He called it the Aether, but...
The other.
Ether.
Ether,
yeah. The Aether.
Like in Minecraft.
Yes.
Isn't that what it's called?
Ether.
That's the nether?
The nether. That's the nether, yeah. I'm not too to be honest, even though I was a Minecraft teacher...
I don't know much about Minecraft.
I actually don't know much about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I know there are kids who sit in their rooms and just build and build and build. I'm like, I really don't know anything about Minecraft except for what they taught me.
I don't know anything either.
That's the extent to how far I go.
Okay.
But
I know my kids play it. That's about as far as I get.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, they've had me watch them before, and I'm like, okay, this isn't my kind of game. Like, it requires way too much imagination that I don't have.
Yes.
I want a specific goal. I want you to say, okay, Ryan, here's a little man, and he has to get over here somehow.
Yeah,
and he has to fight the enemies and all that. Okay, I'm all for that. But you're like, here's a vast world, Ryan, just create. I'm like, no.
And there is survival. There's survival. You've got different parts of Minecraft you can do. And there is kind of like a theme or like a journey that Minecraft can follow, which ends in killing the Ender Dragon, and then you beat the whole game.
That's right.
But back to the Aether. My
Right.
dad mentioned the Aether when I was a kid, and I remember this. It was a long drive. We were driving to Arkansas one Christmas, Christmas of 2016, and we were driving. And he's like, "Man, talk to me about something. Tell me like ideas," because he was always a guy that would be like an idea guy, you know. And I was in the front seat, and everybody else was sleeping in the back of the minivan.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and he explained this super long. I think we were 2 hours. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree talking. Mm-hmm. But here we are, like 4 minutes or 4 hours into the podcast.
That's right, man.
He explained this thing called the Aether, and the way he explained it was, and it was really good too, because he included biblical things to prove the existence of the Aether. And he said what scientists are calling it these days is black matter. But anyways, they call it black matter. Or, I don't know what there's another word for it. My dad called it a superfluid.
Okay.
And what he said was, imagine that the Earth, or not even the Earth, but space itself, is a superfluid.
Okay.
He said, now, if you take a superfluid and you spin it, which is what the planets are actively doing already, he said, if you're spinning it, wouldn't they technically spin around kind of like a tornado? Spin around the thing that's kind of like at the center?
Yeah.
You know, if it's a superfluid?
Right.
And he started explaining this idea of a superfluid to me, and he said, you know, in Genesis, Jesus said that the Holy Spirit was hovering over the surface of the waters. And he's like, what could he be talking about there?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're telling me that water was there first.
Right.
Like, there's a fluid there. And he's like, what if everything... Because now they talk about folding space and time.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, how do you fold an inch? We created an inch to understand an inch.
Right.
How do you do that actively?
Yeah. You
take a ruler, you look at an inch, and you're like, how do you fold it? What would be the in-between of an inch? And you're like, well, obviously, if you do the math, half of an inch would be like 0.5 or something like that. You know,
Right.
And you're like, well, yeah, but you got to fold an inch. Like with the rule, how do you, like a book, you can fold a book, but how do you fold an inch?
Right.
He's like, how do you fold time?
Yeah.
You can't fold time.
Right.
That's what they're saying now for time travel. It's like, we're going to time travel. We're going to fold space and time.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you fold something we created to understand how it works?
Right.
You know? And he was like, why don't we just use what the Bible already started with, which is there was fluid. If we start with the fluid idea, how do we get through fluid? Like, why don't we just start there? Some propulsion that gets us through some fluid. I was like, well, that's a genius idea. Why didn't anybody else think of that? Why didn't anybody else think of that?
Right.
You know? If it is a fluid, then why don't we just start treating the space like it's a fluid and see what happens instead of trying to make up these things that help us understand it, like folding space and time, which he tried asking me, how do you fold an inch? And I was like, I don't know how you fold an inch. Like, how do you explain that? You know, how do you explain to somebody folding an inch or folding an hour? You're folding an hour is 30 seconds. No. How do you fold time?
Right.
How does that work?
Well, because time isn't tangible,
You know?
right? You can fold a piece of paper. This is tangible.
Yes.
I can fold this, but you're talking about something that's like saying, how do you fold happiness?
Like, you can't.
Right.
You can't fold
How do you taste courage? Right? Like, there's certain things you can't.
You just can't do it.
Yes.
And so he was saying, you know what? Why don't we just start treating it like a superfluid and see what happens? And I think a lot of people are on track with this now. And a lot of scientists are coming to it. And they actually just came out. This was 2016 that my dad was saying this. And they're just coming out. I think it came out 2 years ago and started saying, we think space is a fluid.
Wow.
And he's like, I knew that back in 2016.
But what does that mean, though? So space, you talk about like the astronauts go out,
Yeah.
right? And they're obviously not as far as they could go.
No.
I'm sure the vast reaches of space we haven't even come anywhere near.
Right.
But like when they're out there, it's not like a fluid, right? It's air. They're floating around in air. It's not like they're like getting wet or they're like, or maybe I'm just not understanding.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, I mean, still, the floating, like, if you could mimic floating in water, you know? 'Cause you could
I
float
see.
in
So
water.
like anti-gravity in a sense.
You could float in water.
Sure.
But honestly, I'm really not that informed on this. I'm just repeating what my dad said.
Right.
And I wish he was here to kind of explain his perspective on it.
Yeah.
Because I kind of checked out. I was how old am I? I was like 14 maybe then. I checked out. He was explaining it to me and I checked out. And all I remember is superfluid. And then he's like, yeah, what if we just started treating it like it was a liquid instead of not actually treating it like some kind of, you know, weird thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was a whole thing. And I was like, whoa, you got this whole spiel that I've never heard before.
Sure.
None of the scientists can explain it, but now they're actually coming out and saying, like, yeah, we think that space is a fluid of some sort. Like, wow, okay, got
Interesting.
it. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you can look it up. A lot of scientists, they're actually starting to say, like, we think it's a fluid.
Yeah.
we think that space is a fluid. And
Interesting.
And I'm like, I don't know to the extent. I haven't done the research on it.
Yeah.
It's not really my like cup of tea to
me either. But it's
dive into that stuff.
Definitely exciting when they start discovering things and they start like, because I mean, from my view and probably yours as well, it's like these things aren't being created.
Right.
They've always been there, right? It's just, but people need to discover it.
Yes.
Like gravity didn't come into existence when Newton noticed it.
Yes.
Right? He discovered something that was already in existence.
It's been there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what science is continuing to do, at least, the good science.
Yeah, the good scientists.
Where they're like, wow, like look like you're saying, what if space is fluid?
Okay.
Like you said, like that's cool. That's
Yeah.
like, okay, well then that's something that they can start to study and look into, and like that's how everything starts, with an idea.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it's really sad because I remember there was an article that came out in 2020 when we had our it was actually 2021, right before my dad passed away, and he's like, there's trying to rewrite science, he said, because, and this is the left particularly, with COVID specifically as well, he's like, they're trying to say that the scientific method is wrong.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with the scientific method?
Yes.
Where you like start with the question,
and
then you continue to prove that question, and then you start to do studies on it, and then in full circle, right? But he's like, they're trying to say and label people that do this wrong. They're trying to say it's wrong. It's not right. You shouldn't do it. And he's like, then what are they doing to tell us?
Right.
Right, that their science is right.
Right.
They're doing the same thing.
Yeah,
they're
you have
telling
to have
us
something to test and
not
study.
to
and,
do.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a whole thing. I remember my dad talking a lot about that, and there was a dream he had, and if anyone's out there to interpret this dream, I would love to hear it. Because this is just wild, my dad's dream on this. He said he went to sleep one night, and we asked him about this dream. It was so interesting. He was obsessed with sci-fi, and not only sci-fi, he was obsessed with just anything futuristic.
Yeah.
And he was definitely against the idea of AI. He actually predicted AI coming out and how it is now, way back in 2012 when we moved.
Yeah.
And I thought about, I was like, it was crazy. Like, my dad was kind of predicting the future. And at some points, honestly, I think he knew he was going to pass away.
Oh, really?
Like, I think he knew. Because in 2020, he was telling us, he's like, pretend like I'm teaching you because I may not be here tomorrow. And he said it multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just something he said because he was just saying it like a lot of people say.
Sure.
He was saying it intentionally, at least I believe, because he said it multiple occasions.
Yeah.
And we just overlooked it.
Sure.
We just, looked right over it.
Well, because like you said, people say that all the time.
People say it all the time,
Yeah,
right? Just as something to throw out there.
Yeah.
But he was saying it like he knew what was going to happen. But back to his dream, he's like, one time I had this dream where we were trying to build a rocket ship. Like, our family was trying to build a rocket ship, and we were trying to get to Saturn. And he's obsessed with Saturn.
Okay.
Like, he's obsessed with it. But not Saturn particularly. He was obsessed with Titan, the moon of Saturn. That apparently is very inhabitable for life, I guess.
Right.
According to a lot of scientists these days, they're like, Titan's very inhabitable, I guess, is what people have started to say.
Right.
And he said, I had a dream that the Earth was this wormhole, and we created a rocket ship, and we took the rocket ship through the wormhole, the center of the Earth, I guess, and then we skyrocketed it all the way to Saturn, but we went to Titan instead. And he said there were a bunch of kings, and there were palaces, and there was a whole society on Titan. And he said when we showed up, they were all amazed and surprised that we had done it.
Yeah.
And when we got there, he said, the king was like, I have not seen anybody of your kind do this for ages. And I was like, what? I was like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. He's like, I haven't seen any. The king, obviously, of Titan was like, yeah, people have done this before you. They've braved it. They've done it. But you are the first in a very long time that's done it, I guess. And he said that the king, he honored us and, he made us nobles and all this stuff. And it came time to go home. And the king gave us some kind of advice to not do on the way home to avoid some kind of mistrajectory or something like that.
Yeah.
And he said there was a whole system and a whole society on Titan. And the king was, super surprised we made it. But He's like, yeah, people have done it before, but you're the first in a very long time that's done this.
So like people on Titan were before us on Earth, kind of thing.
No, people have come to Titan the same way we did.
Oh, okay.
So people had visited before.
Oh, okay.
And so the king's like, yeah, we know that you guys exist, but we don't really come and visit you guys.
Yeah.
But you guys come and visit us sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's like, but who? Obviously, you know, like,
right.
who would do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess we were kind of the first in a long time that had gone and visited. And the only thing I can really think about when I think about that particularly is Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
You ever seen Tomorrowland?
I have, yeah.
Where you're like, where the heck did they go?
Was that George Clooney in that one?
Alternate, is it George Clooney?
Isn't that George Clooney?
I don't know if it's George Clooney.
And then it was Britt Robertson or whatever her name is.
I don't know. I don't keep up
You're talking about the movie Tomorrowland, right?
Yes, the movie Tomorrowland.
I saw it.
Yeah, where they disappear and they go into that alternate reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so interesting because I was like, that is such a wild dream. And he said they had a whole system set up there, and everyone was happy and everyone was flourishing, and nobody had a problem with the king. It wasn't like a dictatorship. Everyone had a purpose.
Yeah.
The society was amazing. Like, everything looked magical.
Yeah.
He's like, they knew what they were doing. And he said no one was angry. No one wanted a coup. Nobody wanted anything to change, really. He's like, they had figured out a system and an economic system that everyone liked.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's crazy. Like, that's hard to do.
Right.
That's really hard to do.
Right.
You know, but if you can do it, more power to
Yeah.
you. Because that's difficult. You know, really, really difficult. But he said when we in his dream, we came back, and he's like, I really just wanted to go back and stay there. Because it was so peaceful. They had such a nice, flourishing economic system that everyone loved. We even went down to, I guess, like you would call like the lower class, which wasn't even really lower class, he said. The lower class was still working. They technically would be middle class, I guess you would say. And everyone was, I guess the way I would explain it, and I don't know, I can't check with him, but the way that I would explain how he explained it to me is kind of like how the apostles in the early days of the church in Acts shared everything that they owned with one another.
Yeah.
And that's how they did it.
Yeah. Socialism.
And nobody was, socialism, I guess. But, you know, it's really funny you bring that up. My dad said the best form of socialism would be with Jesus at like the top.
Yeah.
Or like the leader of socialism would be Jesus,
right?
And everyone would be happy.
Yeah, it worked in the early church because they all had one goal in mind. It wasn't like people say, "Well, Jesus did socialism. Why don't we have socialism in America?" Well, because it wouldn't work. No. Because there's too many selfish people, too many people that are looking out. Well, I should get more than that guy. I'm better than that guy.
Absolutely.
Right? There'd be this hierarchy. That's why it wouldn't work.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
I know. I 100% agree, and that's a really good point. And I think there's I'll finish it. But anyways, he said he came back and he really wanted to go, but that was pretty much the whole dream. And I was like, that is an insane dream. Yeah. Like, how the heck did you figure out the Earth's a wormhole, first of all?
Right.
And secondly, how do you know that the Earth's wormhole actually goes to Titan?
Right.
You know, like, how do you do? And again, it's just a dream, first of all. But the fact that
But if they ever discover that, you're gonna be like, dude,
it's
my
crazy.
dad dreamed that.
Yeah, right, right. And there's a lot of things that my dad just said, and I was like, dude, you should have written it down first of all, so I could be like, yeah, this date he said this, and then 4 or 5 years later, they're actually coming out and finally saying that, like, this is actually it.
Right.
Like, Dad, like you predicted the future pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, like, how'd you do that?
When was this? He told you the dream. Like, how old were you at what point? Do you remember?
2018.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
2018, 2019, somewhere in there.
Okay.
It was during COVID.
Right.
Like, during. So technically 2019.
Yeah, like
2020.
2019. Yeah.
But somewhere in there. So, it was crazy. A lot of the things that he said was really crazy.
Yeah.
What were we talking about before that?
I don't remember because I'm really good at forgetting stuff. That's why I write stuff down. Well, socialism came into it. But there is one thing I do want to ask before we close. And I kind of ask all Christians that come on the show this.
Yes.
But, so we talked a little bit about intelligent design and that whole idea. But like, if you were to, let me word it this way: what, other than your personal experience with the Lord, what reasons do you see to believe that Christianity is true?
That's a great question.
Or that the Bible is true, or like any of that? Because if I was an atheist, you could tell me, oh, Ryan, I believe Jesus is true and everything the Bible says is true because I had a personal experience with him, or I prayed and he answered, or whatever your reason would be.
Yeah.
And I could say, well, how do you know that's not, some whatever, like things in your brain, firing off. Yeah, I mean, how do you really know?
Yeah.
Like, right? And this is obviously this is like apologetics and that kind of stuff. But
absolutely.
So, like, what would your answer to that be?
I love apologetics.
Me too. Me too.
Apologetics is so fun to get into. And
actually,
if anybody's out there and you go to Hancock, I'm starting Turning Point USA on Hancock campus. So
you are?
Yes. Please. It's been there. I can't say that I've pioneered it. It's been there. It just hasn't been growing or hasn't been big.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the McCracken's a church.
I think I do.
Kraken's, he owns Victory Auto Sales over there off the corner there.
Okay. And
he's the grandpa, but Carly McCracken actually is the president of Turning Point USA, the little chapter there at Hancock. But we haven't really done anything with it. And me and Ella came alongside her, and we're starting to get it up again.
Dude.
So if anyone's interested and you're a Hancock student, please get in touch with me.
Are you going to do a similar thing?
We are going to do a similar thing.
And you answer questions?
We are going to do that.
Okay.
And there has been a little bit of that, but a lot of the people who have been doing that have been preaching hellfire and brimstone. Oh. If you don't change and you don't repent as a sinner, you're going to hell. Turn or burn.
Flip or fry.
And so we find we find that isn't necessarily the best way to preach the gospel,
I would agree, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
There you go.
I got it back.
There you go.
Okay, going back to that topic of morality and political stuff, it's interesting how history changes, though.
Yeah.
Because you look and you're like, okay, at what point in time did Jesus say enough is enough? Mm-hmm. And you look at the Bible and you look at the stories that you hear in the Bible and you're like, right around the time that we're at now in history is when Jesus says enough is enough. Right. Start with Noah and the ark. The angels came down and had daughters with men. Mm-hmm. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. Sexual immorality was rampant.
Right.
And Jesus sent the flood. Yeah. Fast forward, Sodom and Gomorrah. Jesus sent hellfire and brimstone. Mm-hmm. Killed them all. Yeah. You go right back to Babylon. God destroyed Babylon. Mm-hmm. You go back to Rome. Jesus absolutely obliterated Rome. Right. And you're like, dang, all these time stamps in history, every time Jesus said, I guess I got to start over, or I got to send somebody to save them, or I guess I got to do something, it's always come back to sexual immorality. Yeah. And it's so fascinating. And you're like, wait a minute, how far have we come on the sexual immorality, especially in 2025? Yeah. And I'm not saying that he's coming back anytime soon, but he is.
I think that's what you're saying. I think you're saying tomorrow is the end.
I'm getting
You're
there.
predicting it here. Tomorrow it's all over.
He is.
Sell all your possessions.
He is. It is the end times. And I would say you look back and you're like, well, every time that sexual immorality has entered the state of that period of time or whatever the time period is, you'll see him coming very soon.
Yeah. Once it gets to a certain point, because sexual immorality has always been there.
Oh, absolutely.
But you're saying once it reaches a height of acceptability.
Yes, there's this. But I mean, again, I don't know any other time period where we've been able to scientifically elevate ourselves to a place where now we can alter the genes that God's created. These Japanese scientists have been able to alter genes now. Gene editing is what they call it. Yeah. They can edit your height gene, your strength gene, your eye color gene, your hair color gene. Any gene that you want to edit. Yeah. We've come to the place in time where they can edit that. Wow. And how long, and this is the biggest question that I have, how long is God going to allow us to play God? Yeah. Before he says enough is enough. Right. And that's the scary part, is like, okay, well, I don't know any other time period in history where we've been able to play the God card and elevate ourselves to a point where we can procreate, literally create human beings the way that we want them. Right. Like back then, they could have, kind of, but the technology we have now is like absolutely, for sure, 100%, we're going to create a superhuman being. Yeah. That's it. And that's
scary.
That to me is like the God card where you're like, I am God. I am now elevating myself above Jesus in the aspect of like, we're creating our own thing now. Right. And that's terrifying. We've hit that apex. I believe personally. Yeah. We've hit that apex where now we're like really, really Tower of Babel-ish. Yeah. Kind of hitting that.
So you're just waiting for it at this point.
Yeah, we're here. Personally, I believe. we're there. I don't know any other time period that we can actually alter or edit somebody's physical appearance to the extent...
Like in utero?
In your utero, yes.
Okay, not like after.
No.
Like I couldn't go down there and have them alter my genes, so I'm like...
No, not after.
I'm all ripped, and I look like I'm 25.
Actually, you know what? Thor Ragnarok is a good,
That's true.
And they can do a lot with makeup now.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's fake. I don't want fake. I want like the raw.
You want the real thing?
I want the genes
They
changed.
could do tummy tuck.
Yeah.
They got that. No, you want
I don't want that either. No. I just want someone to tweak my genes so I just come out looking like a Greek god,
Yeah, we're not there yet, like in our current state, right? But I mean, if you're in utero and you got a baby and you're like, no, this is how I want the baby to be.
Okay.
You could do it.
So we can have a few more kids, which we weren't planning on doing, but now with this whole technology, maybe we have some more kids, and then we'll make sure that they're.
It's actually really terrifying. I don't know. Maybe we could do a second thing on this because I know we're coming close to the end, but I would love to kind of travel on the topic of how movies in Hollywood portray what we're going through in today's society.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of times Hollywood puts things into movies that then is reciprocated into what we see now.
Sure.
And I think especially, and this is really scary, there's this movie called The Island. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I haven't.
It's with Erwin McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. Highly suggest it.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It's called The Island.
The Island.
It's not for kids.
Okay.
They rated it PG-13.
Okay.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely should be rated R.
Okay.
And the sense of blood, guts, gore.
Okay.
Rated R.
Yeah.
I would consider it close to the 300.
Oh, I saw that one.
In the blood, guts, and gore
category.
category.
That one was pretty gory.
But I would consider it close to that.
Okay.
To the 300 when it comes to blood, guts, and gore. But basically, the whole point of the movie is that rich people are paying for their health insurance, which their health insurance really isn't their health insurance. Their health insurance is an exact replica of themselves, a clone of themselves.
Interesting.
To the T, where they can now, and I think Putin actually said this recently. You can look this up. He's like, I've defeated death.
Wow.
Like, I've done it.
Yeah.
And he's bragging about
That's
it.
famous last words right there.
But I think, that movie particularly is talking about how they can clone you. And when you need a particular organ or you need a particular body part and you're dying, they'll just cut it out of them, transport it.
Give you a new one.
And give you a new one. But it's the exact same as yours. It's literally like if you're looking face to face.
Yeah.
In the mirror, as you.
No more need for you to find a liver donor that matches because it's yourself. So of course you're going to match yourself to a T.
Yeah, it's literally you.
Okay.
And so that's a movie that I've seen recently, and I was really interesting. John F. K. actually mentioned cloning way back in one of his speeches. I don't know if you've ever listened to that.
I didn't know.
John F. Kennedy mentioned cloning, and he said how it's inhumane and how we shouldn't clone. Which that's back in the 50s.
Right.
It's like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the 50s, you're saying that?
Right.
What do we have? 2025. And I think there's a lot of science and technology that they're not publicly disclosing.
Oh, for sure, dude. They're doing all kind of crazy stuff behind closed doors that we don't know about.
And that part of me really wants to become like a AMP is like aviation mechanic, just to go into the military and see what kind of aircraft we have, just to see it. The problem with that is like
then you have to sign away your life and say somebody will kill me if I say anything.
The problem with that is like with how much I love talking to people, the things that I see that I can't say.
Right.
That would be just. There's just so much, you know.
For sure.
But getting back to,
hang on, real quick. Have you seen The Prestige?
The Prestige? No, I haven't.
Watch that one.
The Prestige.
The Prestige.
Okay.
It's a Christopher Nolan movie. Do you like Christopher Nolan?
I don't know who Christopher Nolan is.
He did Inception. He did Memento.
Okay. What's kind of like the theme of the movie or like the?
So it's Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale.
Okay.
Are competing magicians basically.
Oh, I have seen that. And there's cloning. Yes, I have seen that. And Nikolai.
That's like the big reveal at the end. He's
Nikolai Tesla's in it.
Yes.
And Nikolai
David
Tesla.
Bowie plays him.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's also crazy to think about because Nikola Tesla himself had so many things that he was ahead of his time on.
Yeah.
And they literally raided his house
Yes.
after he died.
Right.
It's such a coincidence,
Yeah.
like that they just went into his house and raided it. And it's so funny because he was the first guy to advocate for AC current. And Thomas Jefferson, or not Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Edison.
We're going way back.
Thomas Edison, creating the first light bulb, advocated for DC current. And that's where we went for a long time, is DC current. And then you find like a couple years later, we went to AC current, who Nikola Tesla was the first person to start advocating for that. It's so fascinating. It's like
stupid Thomas Edison.
You literally like,
what an idiot.
Come on, really? Imagine how much more advanced we could have become. Thomas Edison.
You blew it, man.
But I'll have to. I've seen that movie, so that's crazy.
It's a great movie. Yeah,
I love that movie.
It's my favorite.
I watched it one time when my dad was around, and he's like, "Man, the part where he cuts his pinky off."
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know how you do that. He's just.
Yeah, see.
Couldn't do it, man.
No bones for me, dude.
Could
I
not
do
do
blood and guts. Blood and guts, no problem, but bones, no.
No.
Even in a movie, someone breaks a bone. Like, did you watch Stranger Things? Are you a fan of Stranger Things?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Well, the last season there's a lot of bone breaking stuff going on, and it's just like, I can't watch it. No,
I can't. I just can't do that, man.
Yeah.
But just justifying like.
Close it up, man.
Close it up.
Give me some closing thoughts from you.
Is the question you originally posed on the apologetics part?
Yeah. Just give me some of your favorite reasons for you thinking Christianity is the right.
No, absolutely, and it's so hard because you said without using the experiences that I've had.
Yeah.
So I've been racking my brain. How do you explain this to somebody who hasn't had those same experiences?
Right.
And I just have to say, like, if you haven't had those experiences, it is very hard to explain to you the extents of how true this is.
Sure.
like we said, we talked about this earlier, getting hit by a semi truck.
Right.
And you can't justify like getting hit by a semi truck,
right,
if that's what actually happened. Sure. And so in my life, I've been hit by a semi truck, and I'm like, no, I can't justify the fact that I've been hit by a semi truck.
Yeah. But let's say like I'm a Mormon.
Yeah.
I could also make that same claim. So I got hit by a semi-truck, and it was the angel Moroni.
Oh, my.
And the whole thing, right? and my belief system is Mormon, or LDS, right?
Yes.
That's my whole belief system.
Yeah.
And obviously you would say, well, Ryan, I disagree with that completely.
Yes.
I think that this form of Christianity is better and more true.
Yeah.
But we could both say we had an experience with God, whoever we're calling God, right?
Right.
So my question is, like, along what lines would you be so certain that LDS is wrong and then, traditional Christianity is correct?
Definitely apologetics there.
Yeah.
And you could dive deep, and it just depends on who you're talking to, but you could dive deep into their religion and be like, hey, this is what you guys believe and think.
Right.
And are you okay with that? Right. Is that something that you're going to stand behind and say, this is what I believe in? Yeah. Through and through, I will die for this. Yeah. Like Peter did he die on like an X or an upside down cross?
Upside down is
I think
what tradition says.
Andrew is like a like an X, right?
I don't know.
I think somebody died on an X. But anyways, are you willing to go to that extent to die for your faith? And a lot of Christians, if you've really been hit by that semi truck, you're like, sure. I am ready for that.
Sure.
Or you should be prepared for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you know what the response to that is? Like, someone would say, and again, you asked me what atheists say when I talk about this.
Yeah.
So they would say, if I said that to them, they would say, well, what about the Islamic suicide bombers?
Yeah.
They're willing to die. They're willing to die.
Yeah. No, that's a great
which means they believe wholeheartedly that they are going to wake up in paradise as soon as they do that.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's like...
And again, back to it depends on the person again, you know? But it all goes back to, as well, like, the beliefs of that particular religion or the beliefs of that particular thing. And you're like, okay, they're willing, Islam particularly, you are willing to die for that and kill yourself actively for that. But the Bible doesn't tell us to like actively go out and kill ourselves for that.
No.
It says that we should be an example while we're still alive, first of all, and Jesus is very pro-life. Yeah. And so the fact that he's very pro-life doesn't mean you should go out and kill yourself to get a point across.
Right.
Right? And I would say that's the biggest difference is like being pro-life, Jesus is pro-creation, and Islamists are not pro-creation. They're very like death and gore and kill and murder and rape and take over.
The fun stuff.
The things that Christianity is totally against, but and the fact of like dying, it's like, okay, if that's something that you truly are going to die for, are you going to preach it while you're alive though?
Right.
And I mean, a lot of people, and it's so hard. There's so much knowledge and information in today's world and society that's so hard to debate people.
Yeah.
You just have to know your stuff. But, you really do have to know what you're talking about. You have to know Mormonism. You got to know it good. You know? And Sun Tzu said this, and somebody told me this quote again. To know yourself is good, but to know yourself and your enemy is better, right?
Yeah.
And so that's not the quote entirely. So don't.
It's a good quote.
Don't.
What attribute that quote to you? How about that?
Don't totally quote that to me because it's not the exact quote.
Right.
But I was paraphrasing big time.
Yeah.
Right. But I think, and the reason I bring it up, and this is important, is because if you know who you're debating, who you're talking to, who you're trying to preach the gospel to, and you know your own stance, your own belief, and you know their belief, you'll have a much higher chance and probability of being able to give them the true word of God.
Yeah.
And because then you can point out the criticisms in their own religion that they follow, the own religion that they view. Right. And a lot of those, I think, the difference is one king's out of the grave, one king's risen again. Yeah. And even if you do even atheists have done this. There's so many atheists who have gone to try and prove that Jesus was never real. And they always come back and they're like, oh, it was real. Yeah. Go and do it.
C.S. Lewis is a famous example of that. He was an atheist.
Really?
Yeah, he set out to disprove Christianity and in the process got saved.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's a few. Lee Strobel's another one that did that.
Perfect examples right there. And so if you go and you do your lineage and you try and fact check it, you're going to find that it's true through and through. Yeah. And you could try and do that with Islam, but then you're like, okay, but people made that up, right? And then you can make the opposite. You're like, well, people made up the Bible.
Right, and that's what they would say,
that's what they would say. Yeah. And then I would tell them exactly what I told you. There's 16,000 different prophecies that were written over a span of time that are exactly to the T, what is said would happen, what was said happened, and it happened in that exact way, and they don't even know each other. Yeah, that's the crazy part. They don't know each other, right? Yeah. So how would you do that without some kind of intervention from God, Jesus, or some deity? How would that play out? And a lot of Islams will kiss the black block. That's a whole thing. I don't know if you know what that is.
I have no idea.
There's a black block that they kiss that they think is like the center of the world, the cube.
Really?
From Transformers.
Like the Allspark.
Yes, like the Allspark.
Okay.
They'll kiss it, and I was just learning about this the other day. I forget what the name of it is. Okay. But it's in where is it? I don't know where
Mecca?
it is exactly. But it is Mecca.
Okay.
I think it is Mecca. Yeah, it's just a big black box that they pray to.
Wow.
Like you pray to this big black box a specific amount of time a day, and then you kiss it too. It's like, okay, interesting.
Wow. Well, there you go.
I don't know that we do that. I don't know that you're supposed to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't do that personally, but
no, definitely not.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah,
we're good.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thanks again for checking out this episode. To reach me, please send an email to whycan'twetalkaboutthat@proton.me. Thanks. Until next time.